Chapter 266. You. Lying on top of her own body, Frenda's small breasts were in disarray. Her face was flushed red and her blue eyes were misty. Clearly she was in a daze. Frenda's heavy breathing showed her nervousness and uneasiness. Her originally flawless and petite body was now covered in sweat. She was trembling slightly as she slid on the surface of her body. She was clearly just a petite figure with no ups and downs, but at this moment she was bursting with astonishing strength. Listening to Frenda's soft moans, Wu Yan smiled proudly. He seemed to be very proud of his teasing skills. He laid on top of Frenda's body and extended his tongue from her small breasts to her neck. Another sobbing sound came out of her mouth. Frenda's heart was filled with panic. She felt that her body no longer belonged to her. Frenda felt a little dizzy. Her body is very sensitive and under Wu Yan's teasing, she couldn't take it anymore. Her body started trembling as if she couldn't take it anymore. At this time, Wu Yan's tongue had already kissed her from her neck to her breasts. The girl's upper body was covered in a faint red. Wu Yan's mouth was dry as he smelled the scent of the most delicious delicacy. In the end, he couldn't take it anymore and sucked on the little cherry on the girl's breasts. Frenda couldn't help but cry out. She had never experienced such a situation before. Her heart was pounding furiously as moans continuously came out of her mouth. Under Wu Yan's relentless assault, Frenda's small body started trembling violently. She reached out a hand and pressed down on Wu Yan's head as if she's trying to stop him from leaving. Her other hand was clenched into a fist and placed on her lips, as if to prevent herself from making a sound. She even bit down on her index finger to prevent any sound from leaking out. However, it was all in vain. Even though she bit down on her index finger, she couldn't stop moaning and moaning, pleasuring Wu Yan who was roaming all over her body. As Wu Yan's movements got bigger and bigger, Frenda's little heart started to get flustered. She felt like her body was suspended in midair. That strange feeling made her feel all sorts of flustered. She wanted to push away the man on top of her, but her sensitive body disobeyed her command over and over again. She couldn't even muster up a bit of strength. Let alone pushing Wu Yan away, she couldn't even support her own body. If she wasn't lying on the bed right now, she probably wouldn't be able to get up. Under the control of her body, Frenda didn't resist Wu Yan's invasion. Instead, she twisted her body towards Wu Yan. It was as if she was the one who opened the door and allowed the man on top of her to do whatever he wanted to her. This made Frenda both angry and agitated. To sum it up, it was a pain in the ass. If Wu Yan knew what Frenda was thinking, he would definitely laugh evilly. Because if you can't take it at this level, what are you going to do next? Very quickly, Wu Yan's hand reached for her nipple under Frenda's incredulous gaze. No. When those nimble fingers entered her body, Frenda's legs trembled. The rejection in her mouth turned into a painful yet joyful cry and tender moans. Under the touch of Wu Yan's fingers, the girl couldn't hold it in anymore. A small stream of water flowed out. This made Wu Yan laugh. How long has it been? Isn't she a little too sensitive? Frenda tightened her body once again, enjoying the feeling of emptiness and excitement. After the tide passed, her petite body landed on top of the bed. She panted softly, and couldn't help but let out a small moan that seemed to be lingering in the aftershock. And it was this little lowly moan that triggered Wu Yan's evil thoughts. His body suddenly moved downwards. His tongue flipped over Frenda's small hill. Crossing the smooth plains, he charged towards the hill that was already submerged by the stream. He charged straight into the enemy's closed door. Frenda's misty eyes suddenly widened. She let out a tender moan. Her originally relaxed body tensed up again. Feeling Wu Yan treating that place like this, Frenda quickly reached out and shouted at Wu Yan. Don't do that place. Wu Yan ignored her. He's never played this kind of trick before. In the past he couldn't get any proof from Mikoto, Chuju and Ikaros. If it wasn't because he was rejected by Mikoto and Chuju, it was because when he lightly touched Ikaros she was traumatized and gave up on the spot. This time, Wu Yan couldn't help but want to give it a try. Thus, amidst the petite squeals, Wu Yan's tongue barged in and tasted something different. Whoa! Frenda's outstretched hand trembled violently and fell down heavily. She let out a heavy moan and squinted her eyes. Her petite body kept twisting as if trying to break free from Wu Yan's grasp. Alas, it was useless again. The seemingly powerful enemy army had been completely defeated. Their weak side had been completely exposed. The enemy leader couldn't help but beg for mercy. However, Wu Yan's invincible army is currently in the middle of a killing spree. How could they possibly stop now? Ignoring Frenda's feeble pleas for mercy, the Five Fingers Mountain climbed up Frenda's body and lifted it up high, bringing it right in front of him. Frenda instantly panicked. She watched as her body was lifted up by Wu Yan and placed in Wu Yan's embrace. Frenda's heart hung high. At this time Wu Yan's spearman was released. Feeling the hard body beneath her, Frenda panicked. In the end, the fear of her first experience won over the desire to break her rationality. Frenda begged for mercy. Don't. I beg you, don't. However, this kind of begging only fueled Wu Yan's anger. Everyone knows that Lolas have 3 good qualities. Clear voice, tender body, easy to push down and whatnot. This high schooler hasn't shown any of those qualities yet. However, her tender body, Wu Yan has experienced it firsthand. In addition, her clear voice begging for mercy. Frenda's rationality is still on the verge of collapse. But Wu Yan's is the first to collapse. Looking at Frenda's petite frame, Wu Yan is a bit worried. Can such a small body fit all of this? However, this worry was quickly tossed to the back of Wu Yan's head. The enemy is already at his doorstep. If he retreats now, even Wu Yan himself will look down on himself. He pressed Frenda's petite body into his embrace. Frenda's body sank down under her panicked expression. Following a crisp sound, Frenda's petite body was completely pierced through after breaking through the first layer of obstruction. Ah! Frenda was like a wild horse that had been struck by lightning. She raised her neck and let out a long hiss that could not be compared to all the previous sounds. Her small face was filled with pain. Her 4 limbs tightly wrapped around Wu Yan's body. Frenda's eyes were filled with tears as she whined, Don't move, it hurts." Hearing this, Wu Yan obediently stopped all his actions. Feeling the pressure of being tightly bound, he was so satisfied that he couldn't speak. After a long while, when Wu Yan felt that it was about time, Frenda twisted her body. Thus, Wu Yan smiled and began to move freely on this petite body. Frenda moaned, feeling the endless desire in her body. She closed her eyes and enjoyed the tidal wave of violent thrusts. She let out moans of pleasure. Chapter 267. Early in the morning, a ray of sunlight spilled into the room through the crack in the window. The curtains had already lost their function in the breeze. The sunlight shone into the room pleasantly and fell on the tightly shut eyes of the person who was sleeping. Wu Yan felt his comfortable dream being dispelled by the dazzling light. His sleepiness melted away like thin ice in an instant. Wu Yan gently opened his eyes. In the past, the first thing he did when he woke up was to stretch his body. This time, however, he didn't do so. Because even without stretching his body, he is already very comfortable. Wu Yan moaned comfortably as he felt something tighten around him. Now that he's awake, Wu Yan naturally recalled everything that happened last night. Feeling his waist being hugged by a pair of petite arms and the smooth skin touching his body, Wu Yan chuckled and tightened his grip around the petite body lying on top of him. Wu Yan's movement woke Frenda up from her dream. She opened her eyes and a pair of sapphire blue eyes appeared in front of Wu Yan's eyes. Frenda naturally turned her head and raised a hand to rub her eyes. This action made her realize her current situation. Her consciousness was called back in an instant. She felt a sense of fullness in her body that she had never felt before. Frenda finally recalled everything that happened last night. Frenda's dazed face stiffened as she felt herself lying on top of a body. She slowly lifted her head and very quickly, a face with a faint smile entered her eyes. Frenda blankly stared at Wu Yan's face. She covered her face with her hands and sighed softly. In the end, why wasn't it a dream? Hearing this, Wu Yan also sighed and said to Frenda, "Indeed, I had a good dream." Frenda gritted her teeth as she listened to Wu Yan's infuriating tone. She wanted nothing more than to bite the skin right in front of her into a pile of minced meat. In her heart, she had already cursed Wu Yan 100 times. Tears streamed down her face. Even though Frenda already knew that she would be eaten alive by Wu Yan sooner or later, she really didn't expect this day to come so quickly. It's only been one night. In just one night, who knows how many times she has been eaten alive. Not even her bones are left. There are still so many days ahead, how can she survive this? The most unforgivable thing is that her body actually became dependent on the other party's violent treatment. Is there anything sadder than this in the world? Really? Really? As she thought about it, Frenda, who was crying in her heart, couldn't hold it in any longer. Even on the surface, tears started to flow down her cheeks. Coupled with her cute little face, it was truly a sight to behold. Looking at the kelp-shaped tear lines on her face that were the same as when he was abused by Hinajiku Mikoto yesterday, he smiled in a vengeful manner. This girl, she even dared to gloat over his misfortune yesterday. He straightened his body and sat up. Frenda, who was lying on top of him, was also passively pulled up into a straddle position. At this time, Wu Yan's *** is still inside Frenda's body. Therefore, with this movement and tug, Frenda immediately moaned as if her sensitive spot was poked. "What are you doing all of a sudden?" When she moaned, Frenda immediately recalled the countless times she begged for mercy last night. Countless times she was ignored by Wu Yan. Countless times she moaned like this. She was instantly angered. He forcefully pushed her down and still had so much fun playing with her. "Don't think that I won't lose my temper just because I'm on the receiving end." And so, Frenda chose to forget about Wu Yan's deterrence and yelled at Wu Yan. This yell also made Wu Yan raise an eyebrow. The corner of his mouth raised into a smile that made Frenda tremble in fear. Before Frenda could react, she felt Wu Yan's body move. Instantly, an indescribable electric current that she enjoyed countless times last night came from the deepest part of her body. Frenda moaned again. However, this was only the prelude to the storm. Therefore, this one shrug quickly became a lot more shrug. A blush crept up Frenda's fair face. Her petite body was tossed up and down by Wu Yan. Her long blonde hair bounced up and down with her body. Frenda couldn't help but start playing the song that made her feel ashamed and angry. Seeing Wu Yan's proud face, Frenda moaned and said with difficulty, You're still going." Hearing this, Wu Yan didn't slow down at all. He continued to toss her body and smiled nonchalantly. "Of course I'm still going. Do you think I can't do it? Aren't you underestimating me too much?" Indeed, Wu Yan hugged Frenda for an entire night. If it was the old Wu Yan, perhaps he wouldn't be able to do such a heroic thing. But don't forget, Wu Yan is now a true ancestor. With the increase in stamina and recovery, Wu Yan became a valiant general. Even Wu Yan didn't expect the true ancestor bloodline to give him such a surprise. This made Wu Yan rejoice that he chose the true ancestor bloodline back then. He made the right choice. Thinking of this, Wu Yan couldn't help but smile happily. He tossed her body even more frequently, and in return, Frenda moaned even more frequently. At this point, the sun shone down on the bed. Naturally, it also shone on Wu Yan and Frenda. Under the sunlight, Frenda felt a sense of shame. Her naked body was exposed under the sun. Frenda didn't feel good at all. Furthermore, they were doing this under the sun. Even if it was in her room, Frenda still felt a sense of shame. Grabbing Wu Yan's shoulders, Frenda started chanting. Her face was red as she forced out a few words with a high-pitched voice. It's already morning." Hearing this, Wu Yan didn't stop. Instead, he sped up. Frenda felt like she was struck by lightning. Seeing this, Wu Yan laughed. "Morning? Good morning. Morning is when we men are the most energetic. This is the time to do it. Don't you think so, little Frenda?" Frenda couldn't speak anymore. All the time she could speak was taken over by moans. She didn't have time to talk anymore and could only moan. Wu Yan chuckled as he continued to toss her petite body around. Listening to Frenda's bell-like moans, he closed his eyes and focused on enjoying the moment. So much so that Wu Yan didn't notice two figures outside the room. Chuju, Mikoto. Listening to the moans coming from Frenda's room, Hinajiku and Mikoto grit their teeth and looked at each other. They couldn't help but sigh, feeling a little sour in their hearts. Mikoto resisted the urge to flirt and said softly with hatred, "I knew it. This Yen definitely has bad intentions for bringing these girls home." Chuju crossed her arms and sighed. Sigh. "I should have known, but why didn't I let him in the room? If I let him in last night, maybe he wouldn't have." Towards the end, Chuju's face started to redden. Mikoto heard this and sighed helplessly. Indeed, if they let Wu Yan in last night, Wu Yan wouldn't have pushed down other girls. Chuju and Mikoto knew this very well. But for some reason, when they saw Wu Yan bring girls home, they couldn't think rationally and pushed Wu Yan into another girl's room. They looked at each other again and sighed. What bad luck. Chapter 268. Academy City, School District 7, Wu Yan's house. Wu Yan looked at his living room. It looked like it was ravaged by a level 10 typhoon. The corner of his mouth twitched, he couldn't keep his cool. As for the creators of this scene, each of them had the attitude of, "This has nothing to do with me, so I'm not concerned." They raised their heads to the ceiling as if to say, "This has nothing to do with us." The three creators are Kinohata Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku. At this point, the three girls have changed into maid outfits and they are standing in front of Wu Yan. They look like young and pretty little maids. They don't even need to add on all kinds of cute points, they just naturally exuded from their bodies. Wu Yen, who was seeing the three girls in this way for the first time, had his eyes lit up. However, when he saw the scene of his living room being messed up by them, his wine-red eyes couldn't light up. Instead, there was only a faint trace of sadness in his eyes. Wu Yen started to regret. If he knew this would happen, he would have cleaned it himself. Why did he ask the three of them to clean the living room? Isn't this just asking for trouble? Well, you can't blame Wu Yen for this. Anyone who has 3 maids in maid outfits wouldn't choose to do the cleaning themselves. Luckily, Chuju, Mikoto, Ikaros, and Astria are out on the streets or else. But Wu Yen didn't understand why Chuju and Mikoto would ask him to clean the house. Wasn't it always Ikaros who did it? Also, when they asked him to clean the house, why did they look like they had a grudge against him? Until now, a certain wolf still didn't know that because he had pushed down the lowly girl, his wife had already found out about it. Maybe Chuju and Mikoto thought the reason Wu Yen pushed Frenda down was because they didn't allow Wu Yen to enter the room, so they didn't pursue the matter. They just asked Wu Yen to clean the house and dragged Ikaros away as a small punishment. What kind and lovable girls! I wonder if they would be heartbroken if they found out about Wu Yan's mission 3. As for Wu Yen, after he received the mission to clean the house out of nowhere, he didn't think much of it. After all, it's just cleaning the house, not Academy City. That's why these 2 girls are too kind. Wu Yen, on the other hand, is too naive. He had already forgotten how big this house is for him, Hinajiku, Mikoto, Ikaros, Astria, Kinohara Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku to live in. How big is this house that can house all 8 of them? So, when Chuju, Mikoto, Ikaros, and Astria left the house, Wu Yen picked up a rag and scanned the size of his house. After a moment of daze, he decisively gave up on the idea of relying on himself. At this time, the 3 girls who just moved in yesterday, Kinohara Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku, naturally became Wu Yan's scapegoats. Using the reason that maids should look like maids as an excuse, Wu Yen made the 3 girls put on maid outfits, forced, and sat down leisurely waiting for them to clean his house until it shines. However, Wu Yen soon realized that he was too naive. Looking at this ruined house, it's hard not to realize that he was wrong. Is this cleaning? This is clearly destruction, right? Yes, right? Yes, right. That's definitely it. Wu Yen flipped countless tables in his heart. He can't afford to be hurt. Is it because Kinohara Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku don't know how to do housework? Maybe that's part of the reason, but more importantly, it's because the 3 girls are unhappy. No. Or rather, it's because 2 of them are unhappy. She was forcefully abducted and brought here. She was even taken advantage of. Yesterday she was crowned as a maid, and today, she was sent here to clean the house. How can she live up to the great name of Kinohara Sai if she doesn't cause some destruction? Thus, Kinohara Sai, who is unhappy in her heart, on the surface, on the other hand, she is obedient. She will wipe the floor, wipe the table, and wipe the chair. It's just that when she's doing something, Kinohara Sai will attach a layer of nitrogen armor to her hands. Thus, when she wipes the floor will crack. When she wipes the table will fall apart. When she wipes the chair will say goodbye to her. If Kinohara Sai is unhappy to this extent, Frenda is even more unhappy. Yesterday she snuck into her room and pushed her on Twitter. This morning she was still messing around with her. Yet not long after she left her room she was called to clean the house. She even had to wear maid outfits. Frenda, on the other hand, erupted in secret. At this moment, Frenda miraculously thought of the same thing as Kinohara Sai. Thus, this house suffered a calamity. Frenda doesn't know Kinohara Sai's nitrogen armor, but when it comes to destruction as the explosive girl, how could she lose to Kinohara Sai? She gently placed a few thin wires on the floor, the table, and the chair. Then she gently tapped on them. Thus, the floor, table, and chair, after shaking for a while, they cracked and fell apart. As for Takitsubu Riku, actually she's just a bystander. Looking at Kinohara Sai and Frenda, who are looking at each other, as well as Takitsubu Riku, who is lowering her head in embarrassment, Wu Yen slapped himself on the head. He wants to cry but no tears come out. I say, just how much hatred do you 2 have for this house? Hearing that, Kinohara Sai and Frenda snorted and turned their heads away. Takitsubu Riku panicked and looked around as if she didn't want to see an argument. Wu Yen sighed helplessly. He can roughly guess that these 2 cute girls are purposely causing destruction. Rather than saying that they have hatred for this house, it's more accurate to say that they have hatred for him. But this house is innocent. Even if you don't want to stay, we still want to stay. But in the end it's still his fault. What do you mean it's his fault? It's his fault. Kinuhada Sai and Frenda's reaction is only natural. Forget it, I'll just treat it as a little girl complaining. Patting his cheeks, Wu Yan said to the two ladies. I say, since you've done the destruction, your anger should be gone by now, right? Chuju and the rest should be back soon, it's time to clean things up properly, right? Two cold snorts resounded in response to Wu Yan and two faces turned to the other side. Takitsubu Riku instantly felt awkward, she didn't know what to do. Wu Yan's lips twitched, he really didn't know what to say. After trying his best to persuade the two ladies, all he got was cold snorts, indicating that he's still angry. The two ladies didn't even bother to look at Wu Yan, causing Wu Yan to be furious. These two girls, are they asking for a lesson? But at this moment, the big hall is still waiting for someone to clean it up. Wu Yan can only resist the urge to teach these two cute things a lesson. He tried to persuade the two girls, but unfortunately, it didn't work out very well. If this continues, even with Takitsubu Riku's help, he won't be able to clean up before Chuju and the rest return. What should I do? Slapping his forehead with a headache, Wu Yan looked at the three maids in front of him and couldn't help but sigh. If only there was a capable maid, of various meanings, that would be great. But, who has the ability to clean up the entire living room in an instant? Hee unless time can stop. Such a thought flashed through his mind. Wu Yan was stunned by this sudden thought. Maid, time, stop. He couldn't help but mumble these two sentences. As he mumbled, Wu Yan's eyes became brighter and brighter. Chapter 269. A beautiful figure flashed through his mind. Wu Yan's eyes shone brighter and brighter. Happiness started to surface on his face as well. If it was her, it would be a piece of cake for her to clean up this mess. With that thought in mind, Wu Yan's heart calmed down. Ignoring the presence of Kinuhada Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku, he opened the system list. Since it's not an existence that's fused with his life, they won't be able to see the system list. Wu Yan didn't have to worry about it. At most, he would just make them feel confused. Just like the three girls, they were confused. After opening the system list, Wu Yan clicked on the summon option. Dragging on the list, an extremely familiar name entered Wu Yan's eyes, 16 Nights Black Knight. Oriental character, the head maid of the fantasy village Red Devil Mansion. Known as the perfect head maid, she is one of the few humans in the fantasy village that is blessed by the gods and monsters. Apart from humans, she is one of the few humans. Summoning points, 100,000. Speaking of maids, there was no one better than 16 Nights Black Knight to have the image of a maid etched into people's hearts. This head maid with the title of Perfect Head Maid is extremely popular. In Wu Yan's heart, Wu Yan wanted to summon her a few times, but due to various matters, he could only put it aside for now that he has enough points and the timing is perfect. If he doesn't summon her now, when will he? Seeing the name, 16 Nights Black Knight, Wu Yan couldn't help but smile. He reached out his finger and clicked on the summon option. This time, it won't be because of other matters that he can't summon her, right? Tapping on the summon option, a joke flashed through Wu Yan's mind in 1,000th of a second. However, this joke soon came true because of Wu Yan's jinxed mouth. Kinuhada Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku looked at Wu Yan, who was pointing at the empty space in front of them with a silly smile on his face. Countless question marks appeared on their heads. Kinuhada Sai looked at Wu Yan strangely. Looking at his strange actions, she frowned. She couldn't help but wonder if this guy had gone crazy. Kinuhada Sai's feet clattered as she walked towards Wu Yan and shouted at Wu Yan. Hey, are you super stupid? Kinuhada Sai's sudden shout startled Wu Yan, who was pointing his finger at the summon option. Thus the plot that he's so happy to see. Do you still remember? Back then, when he completed Mission 2 of defeating directional travel, the reward for Mission 2 was summon a random character. Now the start option is at the top right of the list of summons. After being startled by Kinuhada Sai, Wu Yan's hand trembled and he clicked on the start option without hesitation. Wu Yan stared at his hand with his mouth agape. His entire face turned blank from this unforeseen plot. In his heart, it was as if 10,000 grass mud horses were galloping past him. The crappy thoughts in his heart were all destroyed by the grass mud horses. In the end, only 3 words remained in his heart. What the hell? Other than scaring Kinuhada Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku, there was no other effect. While Wu Yan's face is alternating between blue and white, red and black, a frame with a border started showing the names of the summoned characters in the summoning list. Furthermore, the names of the summoned characters started flashing one after another at a very refreshing speed. Like a lottery machine, the frame with a side kept flashing. In the end it got slower and slower. Then, under Wu Yan's deathly stare, it stopped on a name. When he saw this name, Wu Yan's face that was constantly changing colors turned completely black. Then, it turned so pale that his blood vessels could be seen. Why is it her? Looking at the name that stopped at the end of the frame, Wu Yan lost his composure and screamed again. So much so that Wu Yan didn't notice that Kinuhata Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubo Riku were looking at him with pity and worry in their eyes. However, Wu Yan didn't have any extra thoughts to train these three cute creatures. Right now, his heart was completely anxious. What to do, these two words filled his entire mind, making him so anxious that he wanted nothing more than to conjure up a hammer capable of smashing the system into smithereens. His wine-red eyes looked at the random name on the summoning list. Wu Yan's heart couldn't help but tremble. Could it be that the summoned character wasn't strong enough? Or maybe the character wasn't good enough? No. If the character wasn't good enough, then maybe it could be a little bit more. But if the summoned character wasn't strong enough, then there wouldn't be any strong characters in this world. But if such a strong character descends on Academy City, then it would be a disaster. No matter how anxious Wu Yan is, the randomization process is over and the summoned character has been selected. The system's summon list is starting to glow. The glow stunned Wu Yan, who was burning with anxiety. Then Wu Yan steeled his heart and took out a town return scroll. He crushed it and disappeared under the glow of the town return scroll. Kinuhata Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubo Riku were all stunned. They stared blankly at Wu Yan's position where he suddenly disappeared. The three of them looked at each other and for a moment, they were stunned on the spot and lost their ability to react. Could it be that he's also a space ability user? Back then, on the beach where the Archangel God's power descended, following a flash of light, Wu Yan's figure suddenly appeared on the beach. A second after Wu Yan appeared, a dazzling light shone from the system's summon list in front of Wu Yan that hasn't closed since the beginning. At the same time, the familiar light of summoning appeared in front of Wu Yan. Even though Wu Yan has seen this familiar scene a few times, he still couldn't let his eyes adapt to the intense light of summoning. Under the illumination of the summoning light, Wu Yan couldn't help but raise his hand to block his wine-red eyes from being illuminated by the light. After an unknown amount of time, the light of summoning slowly dimmed. Following the dimming of the summoning light, a small, short figure, under the influence of an unknown power, was slowly drawn out like a painting. First, it was the brush, then the drawing, finally the figure was painted in color and completely appeared in front of Wu Yan. Looking at the small figure in his memory, Wu Yan couldn't help but smile bitterly. After the summoning light completed its task, when the small figure was completed, it disappeared. The full appearance of the person that Wu Yan was so anxious to summon finally surfaced. It was an extremely petite and cute little loli. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to call her a little loli because her height was much shorter than even the shortest Frenda. She looked like a 10-year-old girl. She had a head of light yellow shoulder-length hair that shone like the sun. The side of her hair was tied into a single ponytail. She wore a very cute beret hat on her head. She wore mostly red with some white gothic loli clothing. She looked very charming and cute. Her eyelids were tightly shut and her two small hands were clasped together in front of her chest. Paired with her delicate and beautiful face, she looked like a sleeping princess. However, no matter how you look at this cute little loli, there was a pair of eye-catching wings on her back. Chapter 270. What kind of wings were they? Actually, it was a little far-fetched to call it a pair of wings because it looked more like a large necklace or a bracelet. Looking at the Luan, it should be a pair of wings. However, the part that was supposed to be the wings had completely disappeared, leaving only the edges that looked like they had once supported the wings. Crystals of different colors hung from the edges of the wings, causing them to emit all kinds of different and unbelievable colors. However, their shapes looked a bit distorted. Character: Flandora. Scarlet abilities: I. Ability to destroy almost any object. Rune card: Vampire bloodline. Strength: A. Endurance. S. Agility. A. Spirit. D. Equipment: Lavatian Leviathan. B. Grade. Level: 82. Level 82. Tier 9. Wu Yan's heart skipped a beat. That's because he was shocked. Other than the Spider Queen, this was the first Tier 9 that Wu Yan had seen in his life. In terms of level, Flandra's level was even higher than the Spider Queen's. Looking at the petite loli who looked like a sleeping beauty, who would have thought that she was a Tier 9 powerhouse? However, Flandra? Scarlet was a Tier 9. Wu Yan was not surprised at all. The reason was because of Flandra's ability. The ability to destroy almost anything. The ability called Sight. The so-called Sight was actually similar to the line seen by the demon eye of death perception. It was the same. Flandra could see the damage points of all objects, which were the so-called sight. By moving these sight into her hands and destroying these sight, Flandra could rapidly disintegrate things that could be touched and untouched. In other words, when Flandra stood in front of you and raised her hand with a smile, the sight on your body was already in her hands. At that time she only needed to lightly squeeze it and you would disappear from this world. What a terrifying ability. Although it was different from the demon eye of death perception, it was much scarier than the demon eye of death perception. Because the demon eye of death perception had to rush in front of you to slash you, but Flandra did not need to do that at all. As long as Flandra could see you, your sight would not be able to escape. Moreover, Flandra was a vampire. Although she was not a true ancestor, she was scarier than some true ancestors. The ability to control eyes, coupled with the vampire's powerful strength and recovery ability, made this little lowly into an abnormally terrifying demon king. Yes, demon queen. This was not an exaggeration at all. Flandra's mental state was a little damaged because she controlled too much power. In other words, Flandra's mental state was not healthy, so she could not control of her ability. To put it simply, it was like the demon eye of death perception that could not be closed. As soon as she saw something that moved, Flandra couldn't help but want to play with it. And the play Flandra was referring to was the bullet screen. Once she continued to play with the other party, she would uncontrollably take control of the other party's eyes, and in the end, the person who was playing with her would become the person who was played to the point of being broken, according to Flandora. The consequences were obvious. The ability to control sight was too scary. Coupled with Flandra's slightly abnormal mental state, even her sister, Remilia Scarlet, could not do anything about it. Scarlet could only bear the pain and lock her up in the basement. Because of this, Flandra spent her entire life in an underground room. This was also the reason why Wu Yan was so anxious when he saw that Flandra was the chosen one. Imagine how dangerous it was for a little girl who could not help but control the target's sight, when she saw something that moved, causing her to go overboard and destroy the moving thing. She was in Academy City filled with 2.3 million people. Based on Wu Yan's understanding of Flandra, if she runs into the streets, everywhere she goes will turn into a sea of blood. Academy City will also turn into a city of ghosts under the influence of this brat. No one could stop her. No one. Including Alistair and I was. With Flandra's level 82, Wu Yan did not have high hopes for them. Wu Yan had no choice but to use a return scroll and return to the beach. Putting aside the question of whether or not the problem can be solved, the first thing he needs to do is to isolate Flandra. Wu Yan looked at the little figure in front of him with his wine-red eyes. He looked at Flandra's cute little face and couldn't help but feel pity for her. If one didn't look at Flandra's age, then with Flandra's appearance and intelligence, she should still be a spoiled little girl in her mother's arms, jumping around and acting like a spoiled child. Now, due to Flandra's terrifying ability and mental state, even he couldn't help but feel wary of her. He even wanted to isolate her. No wonder Remilia had to bear the pain of locking her in the basement. How nice would it be if he could get along with Flandra? Wu Yan was at a loss. What should he do? He has already summoned Flandra to his side. This is an indisputable fact. However, Flandra is an incomparably dangerous existence. This is also an indisputable fact. Could it be that he had to learn from Remilia and think of a way to lock up Furando? With that thought, Wu Yan's body shook. His eyes narrowed and he slapped his own face. 5 bright red fingerprints appeared on Wu Yan's face. One can imagine how much strength Wu Yan used. Even with the true ancestor's powerful recovery, the 5 fingerprints disappeared in a second. However, the pain still lingered in Wu Yan's mind. I can't learn from Remilia. Never. Clenching his fist, Wu Yan looked at Flandra and quickly opened his system list. Character. Wu Yan abilities. True ancestor bloodline, sword expert, cooking expert, complete memory, chaotic return to horizon dance, electromaster, LV5, equipment, Shana of the Holy Temple C, Dragon Armor C, Meteor Shower B, Summons, Misaka Mikoto, Katsura Hinajiku, Ikaros, Astria, Flandra, Scarlet. Equipment points, 21,000 item points, 200,000 ability points, 1,000 summon points, 220000 level, 67. Wu Yan let out a sigh of relief. He looked at the various stats on his character. His mind spun like crazy. With the resources he has, what can he do to turn Flandra back into a normal little girl? Equipment, item, ability, and even some are being scrolled by Wu Yan at an incredible speed. His eyes skimmed through 10 lines at a glance, trying to find a way to solve this problem. Wu Yan isn't afraid that the system doesn't have a solution. At least until now, the system has never disappointed him. Every time he needs something, Wu Yan can find it from the system. Wu Yan's only worry is that he doesn't have enough points. Fortunately, the system didn't disappoint Wu Yan this time. Sealing bracelet. This item is divided into 2 bracelets, one red and one white. When the wearer wears the red bracelet, the wearer's power will be completely sealed. Only when the wearer of the white bracelet enters the release command through the white bracelet will the wearer of the red bracelet's power be released. Once worn, the bracelet can never be removed or destroyed. Note: the bracelet can only be worn if the wearer is willing and understands the bracelet's ability. If the wearer resists, the bracelet will not be worn. Item points: 200000. Chapter 271. Sealing bracelet. This item is divided into 2 bracelets, one red and one white. When the wearer wears the red bracelet, the wearer's power will be completely sealed. Only when the wearer of the white bracelet enters the release command through the white bracelet will the wearer of the red bracelet's power be released. Once worn, the wearer will never be able to remove or destroy the bracelet. Note: the bracelet can only be worn if the wearer is willing and understands the bracelet's abilities. If the wearer refuses, the bracelet will not be worn. 200000 item points. Sealing bracelet. This is great. Wu Yan was overjoyed, but when he saw the 200,000 item points, his face fell. His entire net worth is only 200,000 item points. He shook his head and his expression turned resolute. Now is not the time to worry about the points. He can still earn them, but without the sealing bracelet, Wu Yan really doesn't know how to get along with Flandre-chan. His finger quickly tapped and the item points turned into a cute 0. 2 bracelets, one red and one white, appeared out of thin air and fell into Wu Yan's arms. With one red and one white sealing bracelet in hand, Wu Yan put the white sealing bracelet on his hand and placed it next to the black biocontainment device. Then he gripped the red sealing bracelet tightly while looking at Flandola with a serious expression on his face. Next, he has to think of a way to put the sealing bracelet on Flandre-chan. It's complicated to describe, but all that happened in a short period of time. When Wu Yan was done with the above actions, Flandre finally reacted. A small ray of light shot out from Flandre's heart and connected to Wu Yan's heart. The familiar scene of life fusion happened again in front of Wu Yan. When their heartbeats became the same frequency, the ray of light that connected them finally broke apart. The ray of light started to twist in the middle and merged into a small ball of light. It then flew into Wu Yan's body and merged with him. The life fusion finally ended. 2 people from 2 different worlds, 2 different fates, 2 different lives, 2 completely unrelated people from this moment onwards, gradually became indispensable to each other. Wu Yan's heart was in his throat. His grip on the sealing bracelet tightened. Under Wu Yan's gaze, Flando's eyelids started trembling. She's like a bird that just came out of its shell. She's trying her best to open her eyelids, trying to see the world with her own eyes. In the end, her efforts were answered. Her small eyelids slowly opened and a pair of wine-red eyes that were almost the same color as Wu Yan's appeared in her eye sockets. Her wine-red pupils carried a trace of confusion as if she had just woken up from a dream. She tilted her head and looked around at her surroundings. She raised a small hand and rubbed her eyelids. Seeing Flandre-chan's actions after coming to this world, Wu Yan's weak heart trembled and trembled again. He stared blankly at Flandre-chan and screamed in his heart. "So cute," Flandre-chan murmured in a daze. Then, the confusion in her wine-red eyes slowly faded away, revealing a clear and bright expression. However, Wu Yan's heart felt heavy. That was because within those clear and limpid eyes, there was also a trace of insanity. Flandre-chan lifted her head. She seemed to have thought of something as a happy smile appeared on her face. When she saw Wu Yan standing in front of her, her eyes lit up and the happiness on her face became even more apparent. Flandre-chan cheered and she pounced on Wu Yan. Wu Yan looked at Flandre-chan with a surprised look on his face. Stunned, Wu Yan watched as Flandre-chan drew a beautiful arc in the air and landed on the ground. He quickly came to his senses and pulled Flandre-chan into his arms. Wu Yan underestimated Flandre-chan's strength. Due to her mental age, Flandre-chan didn't know how to control her strength. Wu Yan felt like a truck ramming into his chest. His chest felt heavy from the impact and he almost lost his breath. Rubbing his chest, Wu Yan bitterly smiled. Thank goodness he exchanged for the true ancestor bloodline. Otherwise, with his strength and body, he wouldn't be able to catch this little lowly. Hugging Flandre-chan's soft and tender body, Wu Yan felt a wave of pleasure, but at the same time, he also felt a bit confused. Flandre-chan kept rubbing her face against his chest. He didn't understand what is going on. Why is Flandre-chan so close to me? Could it be that the system knew about my difficulties, so it raised Flandre-chan's intimacy level to 100? Thinking up to this point, Wu Yan couldn't help but laugh. Let's not talk about whether or not the system would do something so considerate. The summoned characters aren't like those virtual characters that can only be seen on the screen. They're alive, they're real. Even the system said that there can only be one summon and it's impossible to summon a second one. In other words, every summon is unique. Therefore they weren't puppets. They weren't existences that could be casually intertwined with the system. The only thing the system could do was to link their fates together with him. That was all. Giving Flandre-chan a pat on the back, Wu Yan asked, "Flandre-chan, did you know me before?" Flandre-chan might have heard the confusion in Wu Yan's voice because she lifted her head from Wu Yan's chest and looked at Wu Yan. Her two little eyes curved into crescents. She seemed to be very happy that Wu Yan called her Flandre-chan. Flandre-chan didn't know Big Brother before. Wu Yan got even more confused when he heard that. Then why are you so close to me? Didn't your sister tell you that you shouldn't get too close to strangers? Wu Yan had a weird feeling when he said that. Why does it feel like he's teasing a child? When Flandre-chan heard Wu Yan's words, her eyes flashed with nostalgia and resentment. She looked at Wu Yan and said, "Humph, don't mention my sister in front of me." Wu Yan froze for a moment before he bitterly smiled. It seems like Flandre-chan has quite a bit of resentment towards Remilia. No matter what, she's the one who locked him in the basement. Even if it's her beloved sister, she can't help but feel resentment towards her. But it's good enough that she doesn't have any resentment towards her. A child's mood can change quickly. Flandre-chan put on a smile again in the blink of an eye. Although my sister did say that I shouldn't get close to strangers, Flandre-chan likes Big Brother a lot, so I'm an exception. Hearing her tender voice say the words, "I like it a lot" to him, he couldn't help but feel a bit smug. But it only lasted for a while. If you didn't know me before, why do you like me? That's because Big Brother is the one who released Fran from that detestable basement. That's why Flandre-chan likes Big Brother the most. And? Flandre-chan sniffed Wu Yan with her little nose. Flandre-chan nestled in Wu Yan's arms and squinted her eyes. She moaned softly as if she's intoxicated. Big Brother has a familiar scent on you that Flandre-chan likes. It's the same scent as my sister and Flandre-chan. Flandre-chan's summons will be imbued with memories of the system and himself. That's why she's so close to him, because she thinks he's the one who saved her from the abyss of suffering. That so-called familiar scent is probably because he's a vampire as well as a primogenitor. In other words, Flandre-chan's so-called is just a child's heartfelt joy towards the person who gave them candy. Sighing, Wu Yan couldn't help but feel disappointed. He thought he'd max out her favorability. Chapter 272. Flandre-chan's nose twitched as if she's sniffing a delicacy. The more she sniffed, the more excited she became. She kept rubbing her face against Wu Yan's chest, which amused Wu Yan. From the looks of it, Flandre-chan is just an ordinary little girl who likes to act spoiled. Hugging Flandre-chan, Wu Yan looked at Flandre-chan's delicate face. The more he looked at her, the more he liked her. However, Flandre-chan's next words made Wu Yan's happy heart turn cold. Flandre-chan lifted her pretty face and she excitedly said to Wu Yan, "Oni-chan, can you play with Flandre-chan?" Play? It's true, it's normal for a child to say something like, "Play with me." However, Wu Yan knows that the play she's talking about isn't something fun at all. If she doesn't play well, she might lose her life. Even though Wu Yan has an immortal body and is now a true ancestor, he can't help but feel suffocated. Flandre-chan's eyes are the same color as his, but they're filled with hope. Even though Wu Yan knows how dangerous Flandre-chan is, he can't bear to reject her. Sighing, Wu Yan ruffled Flandre-chan's blonde hair. "So, what do you want to play, Flandre-chan?" Flandre-chan's eyes lit up when she heard that. She raised both of her hands and made a cheering gesture. "Big Brother. Flandre-chan loves playing bullet screen games. Let's play a bullet screen game, okay?" As expected, Wu Yan frowned and patted Flandre-chan's back. "Flandre-chan, the bullet screen game isn't something you can play as you please." Flandre-chan's cheerful face turned grim when she heard Wu Yan's words. Her red eyes flashed with a crimson light that's darker than the color of her pupils. "Big Brother, don't you want to play with Flandre-chan?" It's still the same face and the same soft voice. But this time Flandrechan's words were followed by a bloody stench in the air. Nothing is happening, the beach is still peaceful, but Wu Yan can see an endless amount of blood rushing towards him. Wu Yan's frown deepened, he suddenly felt Flandrechan's weight. Of course, if it wasn't for the fact that Wu Yan is a true ancestor and doesn't feel uncomfortable with the smell of blood, it wouldn't be as simple as a frown. Wu Yan sensed that when Flandrechan said she doesn't want to play with Flan, her mental state seemed to have taken a turn for the worse. Hugging Flandrechan tightly, Wu Yan's furrowed brows relaxed. He sighed and he raised the red sealing bracelet in front of Flandrechan. Flandrechan, who had a weird expression on her face, froze up when she saw the bracelet. "It's so pretty." Flandrechan reached out and touched the bracelet in Wu Yan's hand. Wu Yan didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but for someone like Flandrechan who likes red, the bracelet in Wu Yan's hand is really pretty. "This bracelet is called the sealing bracelet," Wu Yan said. "Sealing bracelet?" Flandrechan looked up with a confused expression. She couldn't understand why such a beautiful bracelet would have such a strange name and why Wu Yan would suddenly say something like that. Wu Yan couldn't see the confusion on Flandrechan's face, he could only smile bitterly in his heart. Who told the bracelet to be worn willingly and knowing the effects of the bracelet? Wu Yan looked at Flandrechan seriously. "Flandrechan, do you want this bracelet?" Yes. "Flandrechan wants it." Flandrechan didn't hesitate to shout at Wu Yan. She reached out with both hands and grabbed the bracelet as if she was afraid that Wu Yan would put it away. "She's so cute. If you want it, I can give it to you." Wu Yan's words made Flandrechan smile again, but Wu Yan's next words made her smile disappear. "Flandrechan, this sealing bracelet can seal the power in your body." Flandrechan was stunned. "Seal power?" "Yes." Wu Yan looked at Flandrechan, then at the white bracelet on his wrist and the red bracelet in his hand. "As long as you're willing to put it on, it will seal your power. Without my permission, you won't be able to use your power anymore." Wu Yan sighed for the umpteenth time when he saw Flandrechan's expression. He suddenly looked at her seriously. "Flandrechan, if you want to play with me, you must put on this bracelet to seal your power." Flandrechan went silent. She slowly withdrew her hand from the sealing hoop. Her wine-red eyes slowly calmed down and became as calm as an ancient well. "I see." Flandrechan lowered her head, her low voice traveled into Wu Yan's ears from under her bangs. Wu Yan's heart went cold again. "So Big Brother hates Flandrechan's power just like Big Sister? That's why you don't want to play with Flandrechan?" Wu Yan saw how bad Flandrechan's mood got. "It's not like that." Before Wu Yan could finish, Flandrechan whispered again, interrupting Wu Yan. "Big Sister is like that, Big Brother is like that too. Flandrechan did nothing wrong, so why does everyone hate Flandrechan?" "It's not like that, Flandrechan. It's your power that's too dangerous." Flandrechan suddenly laughed at Wu Yan's words, but her laughter sent chills down Wu Yan's spine. Big Sister said the same thing too. In the end, Big Sister locked me up in that annoying room. Now Big Brother is saying the same thing. Are you going to use that annoying bracelet to lock me up too? It's just sealing your power, it won't lock you up. It's all the same. Flandrechan raised her head and shouted at Wu Yan. Her voice was filled with grievance and madness. "You're all the same. Big Sister is the same. Big Brother is the same. Everyone is the same. You hate Flandrechan." Flandrechan wriggled out of Wu Yan's grasp and floated up from Wu Yan's body. Then she quickly retreated. A pair of twisted but beautiful crystal wings fluttered. Flandrechan floated in midair, facing Wu Yan from afar. Two pairs of wine-red eyes stared at each other. Both of them were filled with a bewitching charm. However, the expressions in their eyes were completely different. One pair was filled with seriousness and worry, while the other pair was filled with madness and wariness. Suddenly, Flandrechan's wine-red eyes lit up like a small light bulb. Under the illumination of the red light, Flandrechan's adorable face turned into a horrifying and evil one. Flandrechan let out a sinister laugh that Wu Yan couldn't get used to. Flandrechan stared at Wu Yan with her red eyes and giggled. The words that came out of her mouth made Wu Yan panic. "Big Brother, Flandrechan hates you." Even though Flandrechan hates you, Flandrechan still wants to play with Big Brother. If Big Brother doesn't want to play with Flandrechan, then let Flandrechan play with Big Brother. Chapter 273. In the sky, Flan stared at Wu Yan with her glowing red eyes. Her lips curled into a cruel and bloodthirsty grin. Her rainbow-colored crystal wings sparkled as the crystals on her wings clanged against each other, creating a tinkling sound that resembled a bell. Tinkle, tinkle, tinkle. Heaven and earth seemed to darken in an instant. In the blink of an eye, the darkness faded away and was replaced by a thick red color. The sky is red. The ground is red. Even the clear blue ocean behind Flan turned into a sea of blood in an instant. The entire space was dyed in the color of blood. Flan's clean and tidy clothes looked like they were covered in a layer of blood. From where Wu Yan was standing, he could faintly see blood dripping from Flan's body and soaking the ocean on the ground. That's not real blood, it's just an illusion created by Flan's unique aura. Flandrachan's floating body suddenly came to a stop. Flandrachan could feel the thick blood color, the purest color, stimulating her soul, stimulating her body, causing her to tremble slightly. There's a voice in her heart that's screaming, "Destroy. Destroy. Destroy, everything." Flandrachan's red eyes were filled with endless madness. She lowered her head and looked at Wu Yan on the ground. She grinned. "Saw. Big brother, come play with Flan." The ground where Wu Yan was standing suddenly shook. Wu Yan's expression changed and a spark appeared on his forehead. An invisible wave of iron sand gushed out from the ground and wrapped around Wu Yan's arms and legs. It lifted Wu Yan into the air. Boom! Flan's feet barely left the ground when the ground rumbled. A row of light bullets shot out from the ground and split into countless vine-like whips. They whipped towards Wu Yan. It's the forbidden cranberry trap. One of Flandrachan's rune cards. Wu Yan's scalp tingled when he saw the forest of vine-like bullets. He moved his body and the ground shook again. This time it's not light bullets but iron sand. The iron sand quickly formed into iron sand swords and they flew towards the vine-like bullets. Boom, 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 boom. A series of continuous explosions rang out from the collision between the vines and the iron sand swords. It was as if firecrackers were being set off. The sounds were extremely frequent. "Flan, stop." Wu Yan yelled at Flandrachan. "No." Flandrachan refused. At the same time, she used the forbidden cranberry trap again. Countless vines formed in her hands and attacked Wu Yan. Wu Yan gritted his teeth and opened his palm. The iron sand swords formed again. It's another showdown between bullets. However, it's unknown if Flandrachan was being merciful or not. Flandrachan's attack was cancelled out by the Tier 7 Wu Yan's. Wu Yan leaped and landed in front of Flandrachan. He looked at Flandrachan and said seriously, "If you don't stop, I'm going to get angry." Flandrachan froze for a moment before she shouted angrily again. "No, no, I don't want to. All this time I've been alone. No one came to talk to me, no one came to play with me." Flandrachan screamed at Wu Yan. "Why did you lock me up? Flandrachan didn't do anything wrong. Flandrachan just wanted to play with Big Brother." "Flandrachan?" Wu Yan looked at Flan who was yelling at him and he felt pity for her. But he couldn't do anything about it. If he didn't do this, Flandrachan would cause a lot of damage to her surroundings. Maybe subconsciously, Wu Yan didn't want to see this cute little girl do something cruel under the influence of a superpower. That's why sealing Flandrachan's power was necessary. Wu Yan let out a sigh of relief. "Anyway, Flandrachan, can you stop and listen to me? I didn't want to lock you up. Big Brother, you're a bad guy. Flandrachan hates Big Brother." Flandrachan obviously didn't listen to Wu Yan. Her temper didn't show any signs of calming down. She started attacking indiscriminately. 495-year ripple. This rune card, that seemed to have a very meaningful name, actually displayed a terrifying scene. Light bullet. Pure light bullet. But the number of light bullets was enough to cover the sky. Compared to the 495-year ripple, the scene created by Accelerator's ability is so weak. "Big Brother, come play with Flandrachan." A terrifying amount of energy radiated from the projectile. Wu Yan's expression changed again and again when he saw the projectile filling up his field of vision. Wu Yan reached out to Flandrachan and snapped his fingers. Instantly, the iron sand swords turned into normal iron sand and scattered into the sky like a huge wave. However, the 495-year ripple is obviously bigger than the iron sand swords. Wu Yan clenched his teeth and a vein popped up on his forehead. At the same time, an even bigger wave of iron sand came out from the ground to supplement the iron sand swords in the sky. Wu Yan's veins popped up on his forehead and a hint of pain flashed across his eyes. It's a sign that he's having a hard time right now. But to fight against Flandrachan's 495-year ripple is not something he can do normally. Wu Yan can only overdraw his computing power. Anyway, his brain being burned out is nothing compared to the true ancestor's powerful recovery ability. The huge iron sand wave surged towards the light bullet that was falling from the sky and slowly spread out. It was like a big palm that wrapped around the light bullet of the 495-year ripple. Then it clenched its fist. Following an earth-shattering explosion, the iron sand and light bullets that were enough to form a small ocean were all turned into flowers of light and scattered between the heaven and earth. Under the sparks, Wu Yan's face turned extremely pale. His eyes were bloodshot and his originally red pupils turned even redder. Cold sweat dripped down his forehead and waves of pain came from his head. Wu Yan couldn't help but hold his head. Seeing that the 495-year ripple didn't take effect, Flan wasn't disappointed at all. Instead, she got even more excited. Seeing Wu Yan's pained expression made her even more excited. Licking her lips, Flan giggled. Haha, this is so fun. Big brother is very strong. But Flan is even stronger. Let's continue playing. Big brother. Holding his head, Wu Yan panted. The blood in his eyes visibly decreased and the pain in his head lessened. That's the true ancestor's powerful vitality and recovery ability at work, repairing Wu Yan's nearly burned-out brain. Holding his head and one of his eyes, Wu Yan looked at Flan in the sky with his remaining eye. This time, Wu Yan's remaining eye shrunk. Flan's lips twitched into a smile of infinite joy. She smiled happily at Wu Yan just like when they first met. So cute and pure. However, Flan's small hand is facing Wu Yan. She opened her hand. It's this action that made Wu Yan's heart turn cold. If possible, Wu Yan would rather face the barrage of bullet comments than watch Flandre-chan reach out her hand to him. Under Wu Yan's pinhole-sized gaze, Flandre-chan's hand suddenly clenched. Bam! After a light sound, Wu Yan's body shattered into pieces and turned into a pool of blood. Chapter 274. No one had ever experienced such a feeling before, right? Seeing one's own body shatter into pieces with their own eyes? But Wu Yan is experiencing it right now. Wu Yan didn't even have time to react when Flandre-chan grabbed him. He suddenly felt himself flying away and Wu Yan saw his body slowly disintegrating into pieces. What actually happened was that before Wu Yan could react, his head had already fallen right in front of his body. Before he lost consciousness, Wu Yan saw his own body being crushed to pieces. He experienced what it feels like to see one's own body being crushed to a pulp. Flandre-chan loosened her clenched fists. She looked at Wu Yan, who was reduced to a puddle of blood, and a bloodthirsty grin appeared on her face. However, that grin quickly disappeared. Flandre-chan pouted and said dejectedly, Big brother is broken. Even Big brother is broken by Flandre-chan. This isn't fun at all. Maybe the deceased. Wu Yan heard what she said. Flandre-chan froze for a moment before the blood that was splattered all over the place suddenly stopped. Then, under Flandre-chan's gaze, the blood started to gather at the spot where it fell. It didn't take long for all the blood to gather and form a blood ball. When all the blood was poured into the ball of blood started to twist. Slowly, it turned into a human figure. Then, organs, bones, and skin started to grow on the surface of the bloody figure at a speed visible to the naked eye. At some point, all the necessary parts have grown out. Wu Yan reappeared in front of Flandre-chan. Wu Yan raised his head and looked at Flandre-chan. His wine-red eyes flashed with a trace of seriousness and fear. It's too scary. Flandre-chan's ability is too scary. Just a second ago, he had only been tormented by the overdraft of his computing power. However, in the next second he had died once just like that. And the reason why he died was because of Flandre-chan's gentle grip. He shuddered at the thought of witnessing his own body being smashed into smithereens and turning into a pool of blood. That kind of feeling is indescribably weird. At the same time, Wu Yan rejoiced for the nth time. Thank goodness he exchanged for the true ancestor's bloodline. Otherwise, his soul would have returned to hell. On the other hand, when Flandre-chan saw Wu Yan come back to life, the shock on her face slowly faded away. Instead, it was replaced by excitement. She even bounced around in the air to show how happy she is right now. This is great. Big brother is healed again. Big brother can't be broken. This is great. Listening to Flandre-chan's excitement, Wu Yan wasn't happy at all. That's because of Flandre-chan's next sentence. Big brother can't be broken. I can play with Flan forever. Forever. Keep playing. This is great. Wu Yan's face gradually crumbled as he listened to Flandre-chan's naive and excited cries. He's flipped the table countless times to express his current feelings. Even though Flandre-chan was his summon, she was trying to kill him with every move she made. Whether it was the barrage of bullet screens, the terrifying control over her eyes, or her destructive power, they were all trying to kill him. Could it be that Flandre-chan didn't receive the system's memories and didn't know that their lives are intertwined? If I die, she'll die too? What's the difference between killing me and killing Flandre-chan? Flandre-chan must have received the system's memories. There's no doubt about it. Didn't Flandre-chan think that I'm the one who saved her? This proves that she did receive the system's memories. But with Flandre-chan's personality, even if she knew, she would have forgotten about it by now. Still, Wu Yan knew that even if he told her, it wouldn't do much. Flandre-chan's mental state is so easily triggered that she'll probably get even more excited after hearing about it. Taking a deep breath, Wu Yan looked at Flandre-chan. There's a hint of anger in his eyes. No one would be in a good mood after being screwed over. If it wasn't for Flandre-chan, Wu Yan would have pulled out his meteor shower. Flandre-chan, can you stop now? Flandre-chan shook her head without hesitation. No way. Why should I stop? It's just the beginning. Just the beginning? Wu Yan bitterly smiled. That's right, Flandre-chan is a rank 9 while he's a rank 7. Maybe what happened before was just the beginning. Stop playing, Flandre-chan. Be a good girl, okay? When he said this, he almost sounded like he was begging. This fight, let's not talk about whether he can win or not. Even if he can win, he can't bear to do it. But if he doesn't? From the start, Wu Yan kept telling Flandre-chan to stop, but was it effective? She's not a human being. Flandre-chan's smile faded when she heard Wu Yan's words. She lowered her voice and whined. I'll be a good girl. Big brother is just like big sister. You keep telling me to be a good girl, but I've always been a good girl. I just want to play with big brother, but I really can't afford to play with your so-called play. Wu Yan almost burst into tears. That's why people say that brats are the same as women. Once they're unreasonable, they're the scariest thing in the world. That's why Wu Yan can only smile bitterly. Flandre-chan got angry when she saw Wu Yan's bitter smile. Big brother just doesn't want to play with Flandre-chan. Flandre-chan won't. She wants to play with big brother. Following Flandre-chan's angry words, a terrifying aura burst forth from her body once more. This time it was even stronger and stronger than before. Light bullet. By the time Wu Yan reacted, the only thing left in front of him was the light bullet. Cursing in his heart, Wu Yan quickly retreated. He had no choice but to do so. There's no room for him to dodge the bullet. Ha! With a shout, the lightning responded to Wu Yan's summon. It came out from Wu Yan's body and the violent electricity filled his entire body. Lightning crackled and one could even vaguely hear the sound of thunder. Wu Yan can only rely on his computing power to defend against Flandre-chan's barrage. If Flandre-chan was an enemy, he might be able to deal with her. But she's one of his allies, he can only passively defend against her barrage. It's almost the same as the iron sand wave, but this time, it's a net of lightning. Under Wu Yan's control, the dense net of lightning went straight for the barrage of bullets. When the sound of thunder and explosion rang out at the same time, the attack that was powerful enough to destroy the surface of the beach was once again dispersed. Several attacks cancelled each other out. The beach that was weak for both Wu Yan and Flandre-chan was miraculously intact. Other than the dust that was blown away by the shockwaves, the beach was miraculously intact. Of course, Wu Yan didn't have the time to care about the life and death of this beach. He can't even control his own life and death right now. How could he have the time to care about the beach? After the first wave of attacks cancelled each other out, Wu Yan was panting heavily again. Enduring the pain in his head, Wu Yan bitterly smiled at Flandre-chan. Flandre-chan, can't you listen to me just this once? Flandre-chan rarely had a cold expression on her face, but it didn't look cold at all. Instead, it looked like she was angry. She snorted and turned her head away. Then she reached out her hand to Wu Yan. Shocked, Wu Yan wanted to do something, but his body disintegrated again. The ability to destroy everything in its path was truly too horrifying. Chapter 275. In less than a second, he turned into a puddle of blood again. Even with his immortal body, Wu Yan's heart still felt cold. She could decide a person's life and death in 1 second. Flandre-chan is too strong, too strong. It's no wonder even that old monster Yakumo Yukari has a headache for Flandre-chan in Fantasy Village. Flandre-chan was having a headache. Without a doubt, with this ability alone, Flandre-chan could easily become the strongest combatant in the Fantasy Village, where Tier 7s were as common as dogs and Tier 8s were everywhere. Other than Yakumo Yukari, she could easily become the strongest combatant. Flandre-chan, on the other hand, didn't seem to mind the fact that she was able to kill someone so easily. Instead, she looked at the spot where Wu Yan died with great interest. Her eyes are filled with anticipation. She's waiting for her big brother to come back and play with her again. Wu Yan didn't let her down. He soon appeared in the puddle of blood again. He didn't look too good. After all, without the true ancestor's bloodline, he would have died twice already. The feeling of having one's bones crushed and body falling apart isn't that pleasant. If it wasn't for the fact that Wu Yan's body was falling apart so fast that he didn't have time to feel the pain of his body falling apart would be enough to torture him for quite some time. Flandre-chan's face lit up, she clapped her hands to express her joy. Ah, big brother, you're fine again. Wu Yan clutched the red sealing bracelet tightly in his hand. Even though he died twice to Flandre-chan, the sealing bracelet didn't show any signs of cracking. Judging by its sturdiness, the sealing bracelet lived up to its description of being indestructible. Speaking of which, whether it's the sealing bracelet or the biocontainment device, they're just two normal bracelets. No matter how much force I exert on them, they're indestructible. Should I say as expected of a product from the system? Wu Yan shook his head mockingly and sighed. Why am I still letting my imagination run wild at a time like this? It's no wonder Wu Yan's imagination ran wild. Flandre-chan didn't listen to a single word he said to her, and he couldn't do anything to stop this level 82 loli from doing whatever she wanted to do. Seriously, he's at his wit's end. Even when facing Accelerator, who's a tier higher than him, and the unfathomable IWSI, Wu Yan has never felt so powerless. Wu Yan's heart sank when he saw Flandre-chan cheering in midair. You really don't want to wear it? Wu Yan gripped the bracelet so hard that it's turning blue. His voice was so low that it came out of his mouth. It's clear how he's feeling right now. Wu Yan's mood is extremely low. Flandre-chan's unwillingness to wear the bracelet is the same as losing the chance to live peacefully with Flandre-chan. It's been less than half an hour since Flandre-chan was summoned. Even though Flandre-chan had a good first impression of him, he still died twice. If he let Flandre-chan do as she pleases, then? Would he dare to bring Flandre-chan back to Academy City, bring her home, bring her to Chuju, Mikoto, and the others? Faced with this dilemma, Wu Yan felt like he's going to go crazy. Flandre-chan, who was cheering, suddenly froze up. Her restless heart calmed down a little. Hearing Wu Yan's low voice, Flandre-chan couldn't help but feel sorry for him. No matter what, Wu Yan is the one who saved her from that detestable basement. Plus he smells like her. Flandre-chan might say that she hates him, but she can't bring herself to hate him. Even after living for 495 years, Flandre-chan's mind was still that of a child's. Her mental state was similar to that of a 10-year-old or even a 6-year-old child. This little bit of kindness was enough to increase her favorability towards Lin Sanjiu. However, being in a fantasy land that doesn't conform to common sense and being mentally unstable, Flandre-chan doesn't have the concept of not hurting the people around her. To her, everything that happened before was just a game. However, when she saw the sealing bracelet in Wu Yan's hand, Flandre-chan's calm heart started to stir again. She couldn't understand Wu Yan's thoughts, just like how she couldn't understand her sister's thoughts. She would remember those who treated her well, and she would also remember those who treated her badly. Her sister had locked her up in that room that she didn't like. This was not good to her, so she remembered it. And Wu Yan wants to lock her up because of his own power. That's not good for Flandre-chan either. That's why she's against it. She's disgusted. Even if Flandre-chan doesn't care whether she has the power or not, she still doesn't like it. In other words, Flandre-chan is throwing a tantrum like a child. Even if her childish tantrum has already killed Wu Yan twice. Flandre-chan's wine-red eyes started to glow red again. She didn't even greet Wu Yan as she waved her hand. A wave of illusory bullets shot out from her hand. They were indescribably illusory as they flew towards Wu Yan. Forbidden Starbow Break, Star Arc Break, is coming at him with a shout. Wu Yan's expression changed and he put away his thoughts. He didn't think he could just ignore this seemingly normal and illusory Starbow Break, Star Arc Break. Wu Yan treated the air like it was flat ground. He tapped the ground with his feet and the iron sand wrapped around his limbs carried him away. He started to dodge the barrage of bullets that were even more frequent than the meltdown atomic bomb. Cold sweat started dripping down his forehead. No matter what, Flandre-chan's bullet barrage covered a wide area. Wu Yan had no choice but to endure the barrage of attacks. He looked like he was in a bad shape. Meanwhile, Flandre-chan had already unleashed another barrage of photon bombs. The barrage of comments covered the sky above Wu Yan. It felt like the end of the world. Wu Yan's figure looked so small and insignificant in comparison to the barrage of barrage. A moment of carelessness and the bullets were already in front of Wu Yan. Wu Yan's figure was submerged in the barrage of bullets. He could vaguely see a flash of blue and white when he was submerged in the barrage of bullets. The explosion reverberated through the sky, accompanied by Flandre-chan's excited screams. Flandre-chan couldn't see what was happening in the center of the explosion due to the smoke and dust. Flandre-chan pursed her lips as she looked at the center of the explosion. After a while, the explosion subsided, but the smoke and dust still covered the area. Flandre-chan was a little impatient. She twisted her body in dissatisfaction and shouted at the center of the smoke and dust. "Big brother, come out." Flandre-chan got annoyed when no one answered her. She waved her hand and summoned a gust of wind from the side to blow at the dust cloud in the air. Flandre-chan's eyes turned into crescents as she stared at the center of the explosion. She finally found the person she was looking for. However, when the figure appeared, Flandre-chan's body froze. His head was lowered to his chest. His bangs covered his eyes, making it impossible for others to see his expression clearly. His chest heaved up and down, his nose and mouth twitched like a ventilator as he took in large mouthfuls of fresh air. Blood slowly dripped from his shoulder. There was supposed to be an arm there. Under Flandre-chan's gaze, Wu Yen took another deep breath. He slowly raised his head and looked at Flandre-chan with a pair of cold eyes. "Have you had enough fun?" Chapter 276. Are you done fooling around? The cold voice was like a gust of cold wind that blew through Flandre-chan's restless heart. The sudden change in tone was completely different from the caring and comforting tone from before. Flandre-chan was extremely uncomfortable with the sudden change in tone. Flandre-chan's wine-red eyes met with Wu Yan's. When she saw Wu Yan's eyes, Flandre-chan's body shuddered. The wine-red color that was supposed to be her own has turned into a golden color. At the same time, an indescribable pressure emanated from Wu Yan's injured body and enveloped Flandre-chan's body. It's a weak pressure to Flandre-chan, but it's enough to make her tremble. Her eyes that were originally filled with excitement and craziness are now filled with fear. Flandre-chan's body is still in midair. She couldn't help but take a few steps back. She's trying to get away from that weak pressure that instills fear in her. Alas, it's a futile effort. A faint pressure latched onto Flandre-chan's body like a parasite. No matter how many steps Flandre-chan took back, the uncomfortable pressure still lingered around her body. Flandre-chan's little heart started to thump uncontrollably. No matter how weak Wu Yen is, he's still a true primogenitor. A true primogenitor is the pinnacle of existence among vampires. Even though the pressure from a true primogenitor is weak, it's enough to make a vampire like Flandre-chan fearful. That's because the pressure comes from his bloodline. Golden eyes, it's a sign that a true primogenitor is using his bloodline to its limit. Dying twice, being crippled once, and having mixed feelings about Flandre-chan, Wu Yan's helplessness finally turned into a raging fire that exploded in his heart. Under the pressure of a true primogenitor and Wu Yan's cold tone, Flandre-chan's fragile heart crumbled. You. Flandre-chan stumbled and landed on the beach. She looked at Wu Yen, who's still floating in midair. Her eyes reddened and tears started to flow uncontrollably. "You? Big brother is a bad guy. You. Just like big sister. You." Flandre-chan placed her tiny hand on the corner of her eyes, causing large drops of tears to roll down her cheeks, soaking the dry sand. Flandre-chan wiped away her tears, causing them to roll down her cheeks in an aggrieved manner. Wu Yan's cold demeanor crumbled at the sight of Flandre-chan crying. What followed was a deep sense of helplessness. Wu Yan was a little angry that Flandre-chan killed him twice and had one of his arms blown off. But seeing Flandre-chan like this, he couldn't bear to blame her. In the end, Flandre-chan didn't do anything wrong. She was born with great strength. It wasn't something she wanted. It's already pitiful enough that her mind wasn't able to match her strength. What's more, Remilia had locked her up in the basement for so many years because of this. He made it clear that he wanted to seal Flandre-chan's great strength. Flandre-chan's childish nature made her think that he would treat her the same way as Remilia. It's understandable. Flandre-chan is just a child. Thinking about this, the anger in his heart died down. Wu Yen sighed and straightened his body. A ray of bloody light appeared where his arm was severed. Then his arm healed back to its original state. In a flash, Wu Yen appeared in front of Flandre-chan. Wu Yen chuckled and shook his head at the sight of Flandre-chan crying. He reached out and gently picked her up. Flandre-chan didn't resist Wu Yan's actions. Maybe she didn't want to resist in the first place. Wu Yen easily lifted her up into his arms. Wu Yen patted Flandre-chan's back and he comforted her. "All right, Flandre-chan, don't cry. Wah. Big brother is a bad guy. He's just like big sister and everyone else. He hates Flandre-chan and doesn't want to play with Flandre-chan. Flandre-chan only wants to play with big brother. Wah." Flandre-chan's pitiful cries almost broke Wu Yan's heart. Even if he didn't do anything wrong, Wu Yan can't help but call himself a bastard. To Wu Yan, making Flandre-chan cry is enough for him to call himself a bastard. Wu Yan patted Flandre-chan's back and sighed. Flandre-chan, you're wrong. I may not be a good person, but your big sister is definitely not a bad person. Everything she does is for your own good. You liar. You liar. Flandre-chan shook her head as if she's venting. Her tears didn't stop and her little mouth was screaming. Big sister is the worst. She doesn't want to play with Flandre-chan. She even locked Flandre-chan in her room. Flandre-chan is very obedient, but big sister doesn't want to play with Flandre-chan. Big sister hates Flandre-chan. Wah? Flandre-chan. Wu Yan tightened his arms around Flandre-chan. Your big sister locked Flandre-chan up because she didn't want Flandre-chan to cause trouble. Why would your big sister hate you? She likes you the most, Fran. Flandre-chan finally stopped crying when she heard that. Her tears are still flowing, but the amount has greatly decreased. She raised her head and looked at Wu Yan with her red eyes. But Flandre-chan is very obedient, she won't cause trouble. Wu Yan shook his head with a bitter smile. If Flandre-chan was really obedient, she wouldn't have tortured him so much. But she's still a child, she still needs to be coaxed. Of course I know Flandre-chan is very obedient. But think about it. Wu Yan chose his words carefully before he consoled her. Every time your sister brings back a guest from outside, do you play with them until they break? Flandre-chan was startled, she seemed to be thinking about what Wu Yan said. Then she nodded and said in a pitiful manner. But those people are too easy to break. It's not Flandre-chan's fault. Isn't it your fault if you play with them until they die? Sure enough, this little loli is really something else. Rolling his eyes imperceptibly, Wu Yan could only smile bitterly at Flandre-chan. But it's true that you played with them until they broke, right? Your big sister invited a guest, but you played with them until they broke. Of course your big sister is angry, but she doesn't hate Flandre-chan. In fact, she loves Flandre-chan the most. Flandre-chan lowered her head and kept quiet for a while. Then, she looked up at Wu Yan with a glimmer of hope in her eyes. Big sister, do you really like Flandre-chan? Of course I do. I promise. You don't hate Flandre-chan? Wu Yan nodded with a smile. Flandre-chan stopped crying and looked at Wu Yan expectantly. Then, big brother, do you like Flandre-chan too? Wu Yan smiled, it was a very happy smile. He stroked Flandre-chan's beautiful blonde hair and said with a firm tone. Of course. I like Flandre-chan the most too. Flandre-chan's eyes that were red from crying suddenly lit up. Deep joy rushed into her heart and into her eyes, causing her wine-red eyes to be filled with joy. Really? Really? You don't hate Flandre-chan? Flandre-chan looked at Wu Yan like a child. Wu Yan shook his head helplessly. Flandre-chan, you have to know that no one will hate you. Me too. Flandre-chan finally stopped crying and smiled. Her little face was filled with joy. She grabbed onto Wu Yan's shirt and rubbed her face against it. Then she closed her eyes in comfort. Rubbing Flandre-chan's head, Wu Yan had a warm smile on his face. His eyes were filled with love and affection. She's still a child after all. Chapter 277. Flandre-chan's unstable mental state slowly calmed down under Wu Yan's comforting words. The bloodstained space slowly faded away as well. The sky once again regained its azure blue color. The earth also shed its monotonous blood color and was dyed with a myriad of colors. Life began to come alive. The ocean that was like a sea of blood also finally regained its original color. Flandre-chan's terrifying aura is gone as well. Heaven and earth have returned to its previous state of calmness. If it weren't for the fact that his clothes are in tatters and one of his sleeves is missing, a newcomer wouldn't be able to tell that such a horrifying scene took place in the bullet screen. Everything returned to normal and Wu Yan let out a sigh of relief. He wiped the sweat off his forehead and bitterly smiled inside. This unexpected summon really messed him up quite a bit. Flandre-chan, who was afraid of Wu Yan's primogenitor aura, suddenly fell in love with Wu Yan's scent. She rubbed her cheeks a few times before looking up at Wu Yan. Big brother, will you play with Flandre-chan from now on? Wu Yan sighed sadly. This time it's not because of Flandre-chan's words. It's because his clothes are covered in tears and snot from Flandre-chan's rubbing. However, when he saw the bright smile on Flandre-chan's face, Wu Yan felt that it was worth it even if his clothes were dirted 100 times or 1,000 times. After all, Flandre-chan's attack just now had destroyed most of his clothes already. Wu Yan pinched Flandre-chan's nose lovingly and said with a smile, If you're a good girl, Big Brother will take you out to play right now. Really? Flandre-chan was ecstatic. She nodded repeatedly as if she was afraid that Wu Yan would change his mind. She grabbed onto Wu Yan's tattered clothes and stared at Wu Yan's face with her red eyes. Flandre-chan will listen to Big Brother. Then, Wu Yan handed the red sealing bracelet to Flandre-chan. He looked at Flandre-chan with a serious expression. Put on this sealing hoop, okay? Flandre-chan looked at the red bracelet in front of her. She liked it at first because of its exquisite appearance. Later on, she was afraid that Wu Yan would treat her like how he treated her sister, so she hated the pretty bracelet. Flandre-chan calmed down a bit after Wu Yan talked her out of it. She fell in love with the bracelet once again. A child's mind is just like a woman's face. It changes faster than flipping the pages of a book. Flandre-chan wiped away the remaining tears on her face and nodded seriously. She took the sealing bracelet from Wu Yan's hand and slowly put it on her wrist under Wu Yan's gaze. The red sealing bracelet wrapped itself around Flandre-chan's wrist. The sealing bracelet, which was bigger than Flandre-chan's fist, glowed red the moment it was wrapped around her wrist. Then, under the gaze of two pairs of red eyes, the sealing bracelet shrunk at a speed visible to the naked eye until it's the size of Flandre-chan's wrist. At the same time, the red sealing bracelet on Flandre-chan's wrist and the white one on Wu Yan's wrist lit up at the same time. The light disappeared in a flash and the two bracelets returned to normal. When the light disappeared, Wu Yan's eyes suddenly lit up. He looked at the white sealing bracelet in his hand, a little confused and a little enlightened. An idea flashed through his mind. Wu Yan slowly raised the sealing bracelet in his hand. Seal. The white sealing bracelet on her wrist glowed brightly, and under Flandre-chan's curious gaze, the red sealing bracelet vibrated and a strange energy flowed into Flandre-chan's body. Flandre-chan could feel the sealing bracelet glowing in Wu Yan's hand. A cold current flowed out of the sealing bracelet and it started circulating inside her body. Following the circulation of the cold current in his body, the powerful energy that originally filled his body slowly calmed down. Under the guidance of the cold current, slowly, it sank into the depths of his body. Flandre-chan was stunned, her red eyes flashed with surprise because the eyes that filled her vision all disappeared. Only when all the energy in his body had sunk into the depths of his body and all the eyes in his eyes had disappeared, did the cold current from the red sealing ring finally stop and sink into the depths of his body as well. The white sealing bracelet on Wu Yan's wrist dimmed until it disappeared. The moment the sealing bracelet in his hand dimmed, Flandre-chan's status in the system changed to character. Flandre? Scarlet? Ability, none sealed. Power, none sealed. Endurance, none sealed. Agility, none sealed. Spirit, none sealed. Equipment, none sealed. Level, 0 sealed. Whether it was ability, strength, endurance, agility, or spirit, all of them had become none. Even his equipment column had become none. His level had gone from level 82 tier 9 to level 0. Her vampiric physique has also been sealed away. Aside from her incredible regenerative abilities, Flandre-chan is now an ordinary human. She's no longer a threat to him. The white sealing bracelet on Wu Yan's wrist now has a red border. This red border means Flandre-chan's power is sealed. From now on, as long as Wu Yan commands the bracelet to remove the seal, the red border will disappear and Flandre-chan will return to being a powerful rank 9 lowly. Whenever he wanted to, he could seal it and release it whenever he wanted. It was extremely convenient, especially for someone like Flandre-chan who couldn't control her own power. It couldn't be any more suitable. From the moment Wu Yan and Flandre-chan chose to wear the bracelets, they can never be taken off, they can never be destroyed. In other words, Flandre-chan's power is now in Wu Yan's hands. Wu Yan let out a sigh of relief and at the same time he couldn't help but sigh. What a heaven-defying pair of bracelets. If a super strong person can wear the red sealing bracelet, then the person who has the white sealing bracelet, even if it's a normal person, would have a super strong fighter. Even if it's a normal human, they'll have no choice but to compromise, right? At least this way he'll still have power. But that's almost impossible. The sealing bracelet's effect is heaven-defying and it's indestructible, but the conditions for it to take effect are equally heaven-defying. One must know the bracelet's effect and be willing to put it on. But who would be dumb enough to put on the bracelet after knowing the bracelet's effect? Only someone as young as Flandre-chan would put on the bracelet under Wu Yan's carrot and stick. That's why it's impossible. Wu Yan doesn't mind. If it wasn't for Flandre-chan's special situation, he wouldn't be interested in controlling someone else's power. Hugging Flandre-chan's small body, Wu Yan's heart is filled with joy. That way he would be able to bring Flandre-chan home and have her get along with Hinajiku, Mikoto and the rest. Looking at Flandre-chan, who's feeling comfortable because of the disappearance of the eye, Wu Yan muttered in his heart. From today onwards you're no longer alone. Chapter 278. Academy City, School District 7. On a certain street, a young man is walking down the street, attracting the attention of passers-by. Their eyes and faces are filled with amazement. If one were to take a closer look, they would notice that the passers-by aren't looking at the young man, they're looking at the sweet and adorable little girl in his arms. When the female passers-by saw the little girl, their eyes immediately emitted the light of love and countless little stars. Some of the more unique women even directly coughed out blood from their noses and lay on the street, unable to get up again. Male passers-by passed by and cast their eyes on the little girl. Their eyes immediately emitted a wolf-like green light. And this group of people basically were a little older. As for the younger ones, their eyes would light up and they would embark on a path of no return called Lolikan. Of course, there are some who would look at the young man with the little girl in his arms. However, these gazes are filled with envy, jealousy, hatred, and bone-chilling coldness. The young man who has been baptized by these gazes countless times is already used to it. He's walking down the street with a calm expression. So what if these gazes are twice as hot? Fighting 5 trash, that's all. Young man, or should I say uncle, you're an uncle. Your whole family are uncles. Of course, it's Wu Yan and the little girl is undoubtedly Flandre-chan. Flandre-chan wrapped her arms around Wu Yan's neck and let Wu Yan hug her. Flandre-chan looked at the dazzling array of shops and buildings on the street and gasped in surprise. In the fantasy village, even in the human world where humans lived, there were very few elements of modern society, living as if they were living in ancient times. Flandre-chan, who had never been to the human world even once, was naturally surprised to see the advanced technology of Academy City. Flandre-chan has never seen such interesting scenery before. Flandre-chan's wine-red eyes are filled with amazement and joy. She's like a little girl who's been allowed to play on the streets. She's having fun while laughing. Her bell-like laughter kept coming out of her mouth. It's like a cool breeze cooling down the hot streets. This can be seen from the smiles on the faces of the passers-by on the street. However, it seems like Flandre-chan's charm isn't just to help people cool off. At least, there's a perverted uncle standing in front of Wu Yan and Flandre-chan. He's here for Flandre-chan, his nostrils are bulging and he's breathing hot air like a mad bull. A pair of loving eyes stared at Flandre-chan, who is in Wu Yan's arms. The perverted uncle crossed his arms and wriggled his body like a snake. He growled and growled, he's asking for a beating. Swallowing a mouthful of saliva, the wretched uncle took out a comb from his pocket and combed his hair. He pretended to be serious and coughed. However, his series of actions just now had already caused him to lose control of his body. Young man. The perverted uncle took a look at Flandre-chan, his eyes are glowing. He's just an ordinary person, but he's exuding a strong aura. He's shouting at Wu Yan. Please give that lowly, cough, that little girl in your bosom to me to raise. I have 2 chain stores, 5 companies, and several tens of houses in Academy City. People who are commonly known as filthy rich, refer to people like me. If you let me raise this little girl, I'll definitely be able to let her live a life of happiness. How about it? Are you tempted? Don't hesitate, just give her to me and I'll take care of her. In the beginning, he still sounded quite righteous when he ignored the words that lowly. However, towards the end, the vulgar uncle's face was already flushed red. His nostrils flared up again and he was panting like a cow. It was simply disgusting. Wu Yan smirked at the sight of this perverted uncle who tried to stop him and even tried to raise Flandre-chan. Wu Yan smiled at the sight of this perverted uncle who tried to make Flandre-chan live the life of a Fu family. Although he said that he was smiling, there was a thick black aura behind his back. The wretched-looking uncle instinctively felt a chill run down his spine. Before he could react, a fist suddenly enlarged in his line of sight. Following that, it smashed his glasses and sent him flying into the sky like a cannonball with a scream. Then, it violently smashed into a person who was walking out from a corner not far away. The person was smashed to the ground, and the ingredients in his hands were scattered all over the ground. It was as if he had obtained a precious treasure. No, my special ingredient. I spent all my living expenses this month to buy it. The person didn't care about the blood on his head. Instead, he cared about his so-called special ingredient. It's like he's already used to getting injured. He reached out his hand towards the ingredients scattered all over the floor as if he's trying to keep something. The person looked up at the sky and screamed in pain. Why did someone fall from the sky? Why did it hit me? How unfortunate. Wu Yan's mouth twitched when he heard the familiar screams. He couldn't stay calm. This unlucky guy is a bit far away from me, but if I'm not mistaken, he's the hedgehog head. As for the passers-by around them, they all glanced at the hedgehog head and the wretched-looking uncle who dared to make a move on the little lowly. They all unanimously chose to ignore them. Wu Yan even saw one of the people who wanted to look for him after seeing him injure someone. After understanding what happened, that person ran towards the bruised and swollen uncle and handcuffed him. I'm a disciplinary committee member. I'm arresting you for molesting an underage girl. If you have anything to say, you better keep it to yourself. Your words will determine the severity of your punishment. The person who called himself a disciplinary committee member gave him a thumbs up. It's like he's saying, that was a good punch. His words shouldn't be used as evidence in court but to determine the severity of his punishment? Is this a direct sentence? Although the decision of the wretched uncle who dared to make a move on Flandre-chan was definitely a wise one, why do I feel like I should change my view of Academy City? Speechless, he watched the perverted uncle being dragged away. Yes, he's being dragged away. Wu Yan's heart is throbbing. If his heart wasn't strong enough as a primogenitor, he would have died from a heart attack by now. Flandre-chan giggled as she watched everything unfold. Maybe she knew she was the cause of all this, but she happily told Wu Yan. Oni-chan, I am the one who did this. Those people are so interesting, they're so fun. Wu Yan retracted his awkward expression and he rubbed Flandre-chan's head. He smiled at Flandre-chan. Yeah, are you happy, Flandre-chan? Yes, I am. Flandre-chan said without hesitation. She even cheered excitedly at Wu Yan. Flandre-chan is so happy. There are so many weird houses here, it's so fun. Flandre-chan glanced at the passers-by and after killing a bunch of them with her cuteness, she turned to Wu Yan with a strange look in her eyes. Also, there are so many people here. Wu Yan was surprised. So many people? Flandre-chan nodded vigorously and said in a low voice. Flandre-chan has never seen so many people before. Other than those who came to play with Flandre-chan, Big Sister, Zuyi, Mei Ling, Patrice and a person in black and white, I've never seen anyone else. Wu Yan sighed and pinched Flandre-chan's cheeks. Flandre-chan yelped in pain and said with a smile. Then Oni-chan will bring you around today to see more people, okay? Flandre-chan's eyes lit up and she cheered happily. Okay. Yeah. Long live Oni-chan. Chapter 279. Big bro, what's that? That's cotton candy. What about that one? That's a lollipop. What about that one over there? That's a bubble gum. What about that one? That's chewing gum. Wait, you can eat it but don't swallow it. Spit it out. Wu Yan almost died from exhaustion when he finally got the gum out of Flandre-chan's mouth. Wu Yan has to admit that he underestimated the curiosity of a naughty brat, especially a naughty brat who spends all her time cooped up in her room. It hasn't been long since Flandre-chan asked Wu Yan a question of, what is 100,000? After answering the question, Wu Yan felt his breathing quicken. Looking at Flandre-chan who's happily licking her lollipop, Wu Yan asked weakly. Flandre-chan, you don't know what these are? I don't know. Flandre-chan didn't even turn her head as she focused on the lollipop in her hand. Wu Yan felt dejected. A lollipop is more important than him? You've never eaten anything before? Then what do you usually eat at home? Wu Yan continued to walk while holding Flandre-chan's small body under the stares of the passers-by. He turned his head to look at Flandre-chan curiously. Flandre-chan tapped her chin as if she's trying to recall something. After a while, she answered truthfully. I made a cake and black tea at night. Wu Yan was surprised. He looked at Flandre-chan who's still licking her lollipop. That's it? That's right. Flandre-chan giggled at Wu Yan. Wu Yan blushed with shame when he heard what she said. Big Sis said the cake is dessert and can be eaten after meals. The black tea is a meal and Flandre-chan only needs to drink that. Oh yeah, the taste of the black tea is the same as that of those who were ruined by Flandre-chan. Eyebrows twitching, Wu Yan laughed dryly and wiped the sweat off his forehead. He almost forgot that Flandre-chan is a vampire. The black tea should be the same as the one Remilia drank, right? Type A blood or something. Flandre-chan didn't know that her words made Wu Yan sweat. She was still talking as if she wanted to say all the things she couldn't say while being locked up in the basement. Although the black tea and cake made by Zuyi are delicious, Fran thinks that this thing called lollipop is even more delicious. This place is really fun. It's smaller than the Red Devil Mansion, but there are more interesting things here. It's even more fun than the bullet screen. Friend likes it here. Smaller than Devil Red? This was a huge street. Just how big was this Red Devil Hall? Looks like the head maid is really something. She can use her ability to make Scarlet Devil Mansion so big. Wu Yin kept the smile on his face, it's just that it's a little distorted. Stroking Flandre-chan's light yellow hair, Wu Yin laughed dryly. Well, as long as you like it. Flandre-chan nodded with a smile and started playing with the lollipop in her hand. Wu Yin couldn't help but sigh. Lollipops are really the best thing to use against Lolas. If he knew this would happen, he would have prepared a dozen lollipops before summoning Flandre-chan. That way he wouldn't have been played so badly. Wu Yin forgot that summoning Flandre-chan was just an accident. Wu Yan's original intention was to summon the head maid. It's just that he's already forgotten about the head maid title. Even though the head maid is very loving, but compared to the cute loli that he can hug anytime he wants, how can the head maid give him such benefits? I'm afraid I'll be shot to death by the flying dagger. Flandre-chan, who doesn't know that she's fallen into the wolf's mouth, kept nodding her head at the lollipop in her hand. Her eyes were full of joy. After living for 495 years, her real age is almost 30 times that of Wu Yin, the person she calls her brother. However, her memories are even more lacking than a 5-year-old child. At least a 5-year-old child can still go out, buy candy, play games and make friends. Flandre-chan, on the other hand, only has memories of her sister Remilia, her sister's friend Patchouli, the maid 16 Knights, the guard Hong Miling, and Black White who came to steal things from time to time. The only thing left in her mind is the lonely memory in the basement. That's why Flandre-chan was so happy when she was summoned by Wu Yin and received the memories from the system. She knew that she had left the Red Devil Mansion and even her original world. The people, things she saw while walking around Academy City with Wu Yin are countless times more than the things she has seen in her entire life. To Flandre-chan, these few short hours of memories are more than her 495 years of memories. Therefore, Flandre-chan crazily took in all the images in her eyes. Ever since she put on the sealing bracelet, her smile never faltered. Today is undoubtedly a very important day for Flandre-chan. She got to know about lollipops, cotton candy and all sorts of other things. More importantly, she got to know the man who has always held her in his arms and brought everything to her, Wu Yin. Flandre-chan raised her head and sneaked a peek at Wu Yin. Her wine-red eyes stared at Wu Yan's face. She wants to carve Wu Yan's face into the deepest part of her mind. Flandre-chan, who only has her sister and 5 other people, believes that everything Wu Yin has done is enough to engrave himself into the hearts of the few people who still live in Flandre-chan's heart. Flandre-chan suddenly felt that if she had really broken her brother before, would she still be able to get so many fun things in such a fun place? The answer is no, of course not. Flandre-chan felt a shiver down her spine when she thought of this. She grabbed Wu Yan's shirt with her tiny arms and buried her face in it. She's afraid of him. This is the first time in her 495 years of life that Flandre-chan is thinking about the cause and effect of something. If Wu Yin knew about this, he would definitely be overjoyed. In the past, Flandre-chan would only allow her limited rationality to be dominated by great power. She would follow her heart's desire to find someone to play with, trampling on lives and spilling blood all over her life. Because of her incomplete mind, Flandre-chan had never thought about anything seriously. But now she was thinking about it seriously. What does this mean? This means that Flandre-chan's flawed mind is slowly being normalized. His mind at a young age was also gradually maturing. But this was to be expected. Originally, Flandre-chan's mental state was unstable because she didn't have the mental state to match her strength. Now that her strength was sealed, the reason for her unstable mental state was also removed. Flandre-chan's mental state became normal, and that was to be expected. But when her power is unsealed, will she be as normal as she is now? Feeling someone tugging at his shirt, Wu Yin looked down at Flandre-chan and tilted his head in confusion. What's wrong? Flandre-chan shook her head and buried her head in Wu Yan's chest. Big brother, can you always play with Flandre-chan from now on? Wu Yin felt a bit weird, but he nodded anyway. As long as Flandre-chan doesn't play her bullet screen games, Wu Yin wouldn't be willing to part with her. Although it's only been a few hours, Wu Yin has to admit that he's already taken a liking to this naive, romantic and cute little girl. He tightened his arms as if he was trying to fuse Flandre-chan into his body. Wu Yin said in a soft yet firm tone. Big brother will always be with Flandre-chan. Always. Yes, always. Chapter 280. With Flandre-chan in his arms, Wu Yin stood in front of his own house, staring at the door. He kept sighing as he couldn't lift one of his legs to take a step forward. A lot has happened in the span of one day, but that doesn't mean Wu Yin has forgotten about today's events. With the perfect memory ability, it's hard to forget something like this. If I'm not mistaken, Hinajiku, Mikoto, Ikaros, and Astria should be going out today. Also, I have to ask. They asked me to clean my house. If I'm not mistaken, Kinohada Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku should be wearing maid outfits and helping me clean my house. If I'm not mistaken, the house I was planning to clean today was probably turned into a wasteland by Kinohada Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku. If I'm not mistaken, Choju, Mikoto, Ikaros, and Astria shouldn't have gone out until late at night, right? And if I'm not mistaken, Kinohada Sai and Frenda, those two cute girls, are probably still hating me. In other words, they shouldn't be cleaning up after me. In other words, Choju and Mikoto are already looking at the rubble of the living room. It's his own house, but Wu Yin stood in front of the door for 15 minutes without opening it. It's like he went out to pick up girls and came back late at night, afraid that his wife will teach him a lesson. Other than the aforementioned reasons, the situation is more or less the same. He didn't go out to pick up girls, but he did bring back a loli. It might not be late at night yet, but the sky has been dark for who knows how long. Flandre-chan looked at the house in front of her curiously. She looked at Wu Yin with a curious expression. Even after playing for an entire day, this loli who had her powers sealed didn't look tired at all. Seeing Wu Yin staring at the door in a daze, Flandre-chan pulled on Wu Yan's sleeve. Oni-chan, what's wrong? Do you hate that door? Do you want Flandre-chan to break it for you? Flandre-chan paused for a moment and stuck out her tongue in embarrassment. Flandre-chan forgot, Flandre-chan can't break things anymore. Flandre-chan's words successfully pulled Wu Yin back to reality. Wu Yin bitterly smiled and rubbed Flandre-chan's head. Oni-chan doesn't hate that door, this is Oni-chan's home, why would Oni-chan hate it? Home? Flandre-chan nodded and frowned. Big brother, you're talking about home? Are you going to bring Flandre-chan home? That's right. That's right. Wu Yan's heart skipped a beat. He checked Flandre-chan's expression to make sure she didn't see anything wrong with it. Wu Yan laughed dryly. Technically that's what I meant, but why do I feel like I have committed a crime? Why are you like this? Flandre-chan heard Wu Yan's words, but she didn't understand them. However, she understood that Wu Yan was going to bring her home. Flandre-chan pouted in dissatisfaction. Flandre-chan can still play, why do we have to go home? This time Wu Yan's heart skipped a beat, even his veins twitched. Looking at Flandre-chan, who's still in a daze, Wu Yan wanted to flip the table. Play? If this goes on, it'll be late into the night. Oni-chan, let's not go home, okay? Let's take Flandre-chan out to play. Flandre-chan looked at Wu Yan with teary eyes. She even grabbed Wu Yan's shirt. Wu Yan almost spat out a mouthful of blood from her cuteness. His heart shuddered violently. Wu Yan wants to go home, but Flandre-chan doesn't. This is her first time coming into contact with the outside world and learning about all the interesting things out there. Flandre-chan, who has lived in a basement for half her life, knows that home is a scary thing. After all, going home meant that she couldn't play anymore. Therefore, Flandre-chan decided to act cute. Although she didn't know what acting cute was, after a day of interaction, Flandre-chan knew that when she put on this expression, her big brother would accept any request from her, no matter what it was. Flandre-chan has grasped Wu Yan's weakness very well. Just look at Wu Yan's wavering face and you can tell. But if they don't go home now, this might be the last time he can go out with Flandre-chan. Worried that his stance will be shaken, Wu Yan punched himself in the heart. Wu Yan's voice was shaking. He smiled awkwardly and braced himself against Flandre-chan's cheat-like expression. Flandre-chan, it's dark now and all the fun things have gone home. Flandre-chan is such a good girl, it's time for you to go home. It's dark, we have to go home? Flandre-chan looked up at Wu Yan in confusion and asked, but why did sis say that we should go out when it's dark? Wu Yan broke out in cold sweat and scolded himself for being such an idiot. He has perfect memory, so why did he keep forgetting the identity of the little loli in his arms? Isn't night the time for vampires to go out? Wu Yan forced a chuckle, but there was an unspeakable guilt in it. He had to do it to make himself look good. Now that he did it, he realized how stupid he was. His house's soundproofing isn't that good. The door in front of him opened with a loud bang. The scene inside the house was imprinted into Wu Yan and Flandre-chan's eyes. Flandre-chan was stunned and Wu Yan was sweating profusely. The two door gods in his house. No, the two wives in his house are standing side by side, one on the left and one on the right. Their brown eyes and yellow-green eyes were looking at Wu Yan at the same time. There was a smile in their eyes that made Wu Yan's heart skip a beat. But when the two pairs of eyes saw Flandre-chan in Wu Yan's arms, who was looking at them curiously, they were stunned and didn't say anything. Their silence made Wu Yan sweat even more. It almost dripped onto Flandre-chan's face. Just like that, the house fell silent. Until, Master. Ikaros and Astria came out from inside, and when they saw Wu Yan, their faces lit up and they called out in unison. Ikaros called out in a soft and gentle manner while Astria called out in a cheerful and energetic manner. Ikaros stopped after she called out. She turned her indigo eyes to Wu Yan and Flandre-chan in his arms. There was an inexplicable fluctuation in her eyes. At this time, Hinajiku, Mikoto, and Astria, who was also staring at Flandre-chan, finally reacted. Their eyes lit up and they shouted in unison. "So cute!" The sudden shout startled Wu Yan and Flandre-chan. Before they could react, Hinajiku, Mikoto, and Astria appeared in front of them. They looked at Flandre-chan in their arms and they started shouting excitedly. "So cute! So cute! This child! Hey, what's your name?" "My name is Astria. Can I hug you for a bit? Just for a bit?" Looking at the three creatures with red hearts in their eyes, Wu Yan's cold sweat started pouring down like a waterfall. Flandre-chan stared blankly at Chuju, Mikoto, and Astria, who kept calling out to her. She panicked and tried to grab Chuju and the others. Flandre-chan forgot that her powers were sealed. She stared at her hands blankly before she buried her head into Wu Yan's chest. Chuju, Mikoto, and Astria finally stopped. They looked at Wu Yan, who was laughing awkwardly with a dangerous glint in their eyes. Ikaros saw Flandre-chan hiding in Wu Yan's arms. She looked at Wu Yan's hands that were holding Flandre-chan tightly. She clutched her own chest. "I wish I could be like her." Chapter 281. Nighttime. Smoothing out Flandre-chan's bangs, Wu Yan looked at Flandre-chan, who was fast asleep with her thumb in her mouth and her other hand clutching onto his shirt. He couldn't help but grin at the sight of her sweet and adorable sleeping posture. But that smile quickly turned into a bitter smile. For Flandre-chan's sake, Wu Yan spent a lot of time explaining the whole story to Chuju and Mikoto. Perhaps it's because Flandre-chan is a child, and a child that Hinajiku and Mikoto love so much. The two girls who are usually jealous of him didn't turn on him for bringing a girl home. Of course, Ikaros played a big part in this as well. Since who knows when Ikaros has developed a housework ability that's not inferior to a housewife's. While Wu Yan was playing with Flandre-chan in Academy City, Ikaros managed to tidy up the ruined living room to the point where it looked like it was brand new. Wu Yan was flabbergasted by this. If it wasn't for the fact that Ikaros didn't have a time ability in her character status, Wu Yan would have thought she's going to become the next head maid. It's also because Ikaros tidied up the living room that Wu Yan managed to escape. If it wasn't for her tidying up the living room, the two girls probably wouldn't want to sleep with him again tonight. No, they don't want to sleep with him anymore. As for the reason, it's because of Flandre-chan, who's sleeping in his arms and clutching his clothes tightly. Maybe it's because it's her first time in this world, or maybe it's because her powers are sealed. Flandre-chan lost her sense of security and started making a fuss, refusing to sleep alone in a room. Wu Yan can still remember how happy Chuju, Mikoto, and Astria were when they heard the news. They looked at Flandre-chan expectantly. The word, "sleep with," was almost written all over their faces. But when Flandre-chan announced loudly that she wants to sleep with Oni-chan, the three girls' happy and expectant faces collapsed at the same time, replaced by deep resentment and hatred. Of course, that's for Wu Yan. Thus, under the cold snorts of Chuju and Mikoto and the sound of the door slamming shut, Wu Yan has decided to sleep with Flandre-chan tonight. Personally, Wu Yan has mixed feelings about this. He's happy because Flandre-chan got close to him and even slept with him. That's a worry. As expected, it's because he didn't get to play the Papa game tonight. Sighing helplessly, a certain creature whose mind was filled with nothing but Papa glanced at Flandre-chan beside him. When he saw her cute sleeping posture, his heart skipped a beat and he quickly chanted, "Amitba." Gently pulling Flandre-chan's hand away from his body, he removed Flandre-chan's thumb from her mouth and tucked her in. After covering her with the blanket, Wu Yan straightened his body. He picked up Flandre-chan's beret hat that fell off her head and hung it on the edge of the bed. Wu Yan looked at Flandre-chan again. He couldn't help but chuckle. Wu Yan pinched Flandre-chan's nose and whispered, "How can you be so cute?" Flandre-chan seemed to have sensed someone teasing her in her sleep. She wrinkled her nose in dissatisfaction and turned her body to the side with a smile on her face. Her sleeping posture is even cuter than before. Wu Yan's heart skipped a beat and he smiled bitterly. No, cute can't even begin to describe her. Flandre-chan, you're breaking the rules. Right after he said that, Wu Yan heard someone knocking on his door. Glancing at the door in confusion, Wu Yan got off the bed. Who is it in the middle of the night? Afraid of waking Flandre-chan up, Wu Yan opened his door softly. When he saw the scene outside, Wu Yan froze for a moment before covering his nose out of reflex. His face was filled with astonishment. Master. The one standing outside Wu Yan's door is Ikaros. Of course, if it was just Ikaros, Wu Yan wouldn't have reacted this way. But now that Ikaros is Ikaros' mate, he has no choice but to react this way. A set of pure white made attire wrapped around Ikaros's tall and voluptuous body. The upper part of her chest was wide open, barely covering half of Ikaros's ***. The bottom part was a skirt that barely covered her underwear. Ikaros blushed as she stood in front of Wu Yan. Her hands clutched the hem of her skirt tightly. Her tall and slender body was bashfully pinching the hem of her skirt. Coupled with her oversized maid outfit, she's bashful. Oh my god, that was the only word left in Wu Yan's mind. Is this still Ikaros? That was the second thought that came to Wu Yan's mind. Ikaros? Wu Yan's heart was trembling violently. If he thought that Flandre-chan's sleeping posture was against the rules, then Ikaros' shyness is against the rules. Suppressing the urge to turn into a werewolf, Wu Yan gulped and stammered. Ikaros, are you dressed like this? Hearing that, Ikaros lowered her head bashfully, causing the fire of lust that he tried so hard to suppress to rise by a few notches. Ikaros didn't notice it. She continued bashfully twisting her body and said in a small voice. This is the city's internet. It's saying that men like girls to dress like this. Wu Yan's heart was in tears. Oh my pure Ikaros, why did you go online to read these things? Although it doesn't look bad, master? Ikaros couldn't help but raise her head when Wu Yan didn't say anything. Seeing Wu Yan's blank face, she started feeling a bit uneasy and she nervously asked, Master, you don't like it? Her shy expression turned into a worried one. Paired with those pitiful indigo eyes and the pure white maid outfit, Wu Yan's heart started to throb again. Rubbing his itchy nose, Wu Yan smiled sheepishly. Not really, I guess it's the other way around. Ikaros's face lit up, she asked softly. Then master, do you like it? I do like it. Wu Yan hesitantly continued. But, Ikaros, why are you so proactive today? Stunned, Ikaros couldn't help but lower her head and whisper, Because, master? Ikaros didn't finish her sentence for some reason, but her eyes were glued to Wu Yan's naked Flandre-chan. Wu Yan didn't know why, but he could guess that Ikaros was a little envious of his interaction with Flandre-chan. Wu Yan shook his head with a chuckle. Glancing at the sleeping Flandre-chan, he turned to Ikaros with a burning gaze. Exiting the room, Wu Yan closed the door behind him. Ikaros was stunned by his actions and he chuckled. Her hand suddenly reached out and grabbed Ikaros's shoulder. She pulled the maid outfit that was barely hanging on her shoulder to the side and pulled it down. Ikaros gasped in surprise. A pair of naked bunnies jumped out and bounced a couple of times. This made Wu Yan's heart burn even hotter. Pressing Ikaros against the wall, Wu Yan reached under her skirt and pulled down her panties. Master. Ikaros blushed as she called out to him. Wu Yan quickly cut her off. Keep it down. Before Ikaros could react, Wu Yan forcefully penetrated her, turning her words into moans of agony. Chapter 282. Academy City School District 7, Tokuwadai Dormitory. As we all know, Tokuwadai dormitories are double rooms. Two people live in one room, just like Mikoto and Kuriko. They used to live in the same room. As for now, Mikoto is living in Wu Yan's house. Because of this fact, Kuriko suffered a heavy blow. Every day she's muddle-headed and crazy, shouting Wani-sama won't give up on Kuriko, or Wani-sama will come back one day, using these as reasons to defend her right to use the other half of the dormitory. But even so, under the efforts of the great dormitory supervisor, Kuriko's dormitory room is occupied by another person. This rule, even the LV5 Mikoto didn't have this privilege. You can imagine how great the dormitory supervisor is? But in this strict, Tokuwadai dormitory room there's one room that's an exception, only one person lives in it. This room is naturally our Jisama, Shokuho Misaki's room. Even if she doesn't have this privilege, with Shokuho Misaki's ability to control people's hearts, it's easy for her to make her own room hers. At this time in the bathroom of Shokuho Misaki's dormitory, Jisama is slowly taking off her Tokuwadai uniform, exposing her voluptuous body to the air. It's obvious she's planning to take a bath. She gently pulled down the white stockings on her thighs. If the scene of her bending down to take off her stockings was seen by those men who have a crush on Shokuho Misaki, they'll definitely have a nosebleed and never be able to get up again. Shokuho Misaki casually threw her clothes into a nearby basket, lightly caressed her body with a confident smile on her face. She walked inside. Hot water dripped down from above, sprinkling on Shokuho Misaki's voluptuous body. The water droplets hit her soft white skin, creating a splash following the curves of Shokuho Misaki's body, creating a beautiful arc. She lightly stretched her thighs. This free and easy movement is extremely seductive. Even compared to those super idols, it's even better, not to mention those voluptuous breasts. If Wu Yen was here, he would definitely say that it was a foul. Shokuho Misaki shook her golden hair to get rid of the water droplets on it. She turned off the shower head, sat down in the bathtub and closed her eyes in satisfaction, enjoying her favorite time in the bath. After a long time, Shokuho Misaki opened her eyes and gently stroked her pair of plump breasts. Even if she only used a strength that couldn't even kill a mosquito, Shokuho Misaki still felt a strange sensation, causing her pretty face to turn red. Sighing, Shokuho Misaki couldn't understand. It's not like she's never seen breasts bigger than hers, but why is she so sensitive in this area? Because of this, even Shokuho Misaki herself rarely touches her breasts. Lying in the bathtub, Shokuho Misaki unconsciously recalled that day when she went on a date with that despicable bastard. Her most sensitive area was caressed by him. She couldn't help but feel annoyed. Shokuho Misaki fiercely slapped the surface of the water. As if venting something, she angrily said, "That despicable bastard, after taking advantage of me, he didn't even contact me once. What a scum." After venting her anger, Shokuho Misaki lay back in the bathtub and sighed. "That guy, what is he doing now?" After saying that softly, Shokuho Misaki said in an annoyed tone, "Probably being all lovey-dovey with that Misaka Mikoto. I really don't understand what's so good about that pasty middle schooler." After saying that, Shokuho Misaki's starry eyes glanced at her voluptuous breasts. She lamented to herself again. "I really don't know who will benefit from this. Why don't you benefit me?" The sudden teasing caused Shokuho Misaki to lose her composure. She reflexively buried her body in the hot water. Shokuho Misaki immediately looked towards the source of the voice. "Who is it? You were just thinking about me, now you're asking me who I am?" After hearing the voice again, Shokuho Misaki finally recognized the owner of this familiar voice. Her eyes flashed with a strange light. Then she saw a figure standing in front of her bathroom door. Short black hair casually covered his forehead, a pair of wine-red eyes filled with an inexplicable charm. It made that ordinary face look even more handsome. At this moment, those eyes were filled with a smile. Looking at her in the bathtub, he didn't even try to hide the fact that she was naked. He was openly admiring her body. "It's you?" Shokuho Misaki didn't know what kind of emotion she was feeling when she said this. There was joy at seeing the other party, anger at the other party openly admiring her naked body, and also resentment at the other party for not contacting her for a long time. All in all, it's complicated to the extreme. In the end, it's the reserved nature of a woman that won over the other emotions in Shokuho Misaki's heart. Shokuho Misaki's face was bright red. She was angry and shy. She shouted at the other party, "What are you waiting for? Get out." Wu Yen turned his head away in disdain. "Tisk? What, you just said that I didn't come looking for you. Now that I'm here, you want me to leave?" Hearing this, Shokuho Misaki's embarrassment turned into anger. "Then can you please pick a good time?" Wu Yen snickered as he sized up Shokuho Misaki's jade-like body. He teased her. "Isn't this a good time? I'm glad I picked a good time." "You?" Shokuho Misaki didn't know what kind of expression she should use to face this shameless guy. She only knew that her expression right now must be very interesting. This made Shokuho Misaki scold herself for being such a disappointment. As the queen of Tokuwadai, a queen who should be confident and free at all times, Shokuho Misaki was very dissatisfied with herself for being so easily swayed in front of Wu Yen. Perhaps sensing Shokuho Misaki's dissatisfaction, Wu Yen helplessly shrugged. "Well, queen, don't mind it so much, you've already touched it, looking at it won't hurt." Shokuho Misaki sighed and buried her body into the water, trying her best to find some sense of security. Wu Yan's words made her even more amusing. Finally, Shokuho Misaki had no choice but to sigh and bury herself in the water to give herself a sense of security. Even if she thought of herself as a free and easy queen, Shokuho Misaki still couldn't ignore the fact that her body was exposed to the eyes of a stranger. But isn't this the most adorable part of her? Her starry eyes met with Wu Yan's pair of wine-red eyes. For some reason, Shokuho Misaki felt an unusual fondness for his eyes. Every time Shokuho Misaki would want to look at those eyes, it made her feel very comfortable. But after a while, Shokuho Misaki shifted her gaze and said to Wu Yan in a bad mood, "You came here at such a good time, what's the matter?" Wu Yan replied in a righteous manner, "Of course I am here to see Jisama." Hearing this, Shokuho Misaki's starry eyes stared straight at Wu Yan's righteous face. She didn't say anything, she just stared at him. Following the silence, Wu Yan's righteous face became more and more shaky. Under the queen's starry gaze, Wu Yan quickly retreated. "Fine, I do have something to talk to you about." Shokuho Misaki coldly humphed and turned her head away. She knew he wouldn't come here without a reason. Wu Yan laughed dryly. "What's the matter, say it?" Scratching his cheek, Wu Yan kept staring at Shokuho Misaki's smooth body. "Well, let's not be in a hurry, let's talk about the topic of who should benefit first." Chapter 283. Hearing Wu Yan's words, Shokuho Misaki blushed. She realized that he might have heard everything she said. "You heard everything?" Shokuho Misaki pursed her lips. Her starry eyes reddened as she looked at Wu Yan. That's how shy she is. After all, if the other party had heard her words, it meant that her girlish complaints had also been heard by him. This is enough to make Shokuho Kosama feel embarrassed. Wu Yan put on a smile that isn't a smile on his face, indirectly telling Jisama that he didn't hear her mumbling in the bathroom. Shokuho Misaki's face turned a deep shade of crimson red. Shokuho Misaki could only lower her head, lower and lower until it reached her full breasts. Only then did she stop. She was just short of drowning herself in the water and suffocating herself to death. Seeing Kosama acting like a little girl, Wu Yan rubbed his forehead with one hand and made a cute expression. His laughter, however, is a bit strange. It's obvious that he's teasing her. Shokuho Misaki really wanted to use mind control on him and make him run around naked to relieve her embarrassment. Alas, this beautiful wish of hers was turned into a fantasy because of Wu Yan's electromancer ability. Realizing that Kosama might go berserk if he continues to tease her, Wu Yan stopped before going too far. Keeping his teasing expression, he coughed and walked towards Shokuho Misaki. Shokuho Misaki was stunned for a moment before panicking. Don't forget she's naked right now. A bad feeling rose in her heart. Shokuho Misaki shrunk back into the bathtub. Unfortunately, the bathtub in the Tokuwadai dormitory isn't big enough for her to retreat. Soon, Shokuho Misaki realized that she has nowhere to run. "You? What are you doing?" Shokuho Misaki pretended to be calm as she looked at Wu Yan. Her starry eyes couldn't hide the panic in her heart. Wu Yan's lips curled into a sinister smile. Shokuho Misaki wanted to warn him, but she was afraid of attracting the attention of the other ladies in the Tokuwadai dormitory. She could only watch as Wu Yan walked towards her, her body curled into a ball. Seeing this, Wu Yan snickered and teased. "What's the matter, Kosama? Are you afraid?" "Who? Who's afraid?" Shokuho Misaki wanted to be like before, puff out her chest confidently and speak her mind confidently. Unfortunately, she knew that doing so would only benefit a certain despicable bastard, so she gave up on that thought. However, Shokuho Misaki, who has always been the strong one, is obviously at a disadvantage because of this. While Wu Yan's jaw dropped, he also noted down Shokuho Misaki's weakness. After all, Kosama is also an important target of her third mission. And now it's an even more important opportunity. Realizing this, Wu Yan's heart was suddenly on fire. Even his eyes looked like they were about to burst into flames. Shokuho Misaki's heart couldn't help but beat faster. "Hey, Kosama." Finally, Wu Yan came in front of Shokuho Misaki. Looking at her dodgy eyes and her seductive body in the bathtub, he chuckled. "Just now you mentioned that you wanted to give them to someone. Can you talk to me about that?" "Talk your ass." Shokuho Misaki couldn't help but curse. She couldn't understand how this person could be so shameless. He has a pair of beautiful eyes. What made Shokuho Misaki even more confused was, even though the other party was so shameless that she wanted to skin him alive, why couldn't she hate him? This is a problem that needs time to be solved. Of course, this is a topic for later. Right now, the most important thing is... Shokuho Misaki's face was filled with embarrassment and fear. Wu Yin whispered into her ear. Kosama, why don't you give them to me? You. Shokuho Misaki glared fiercely at him, but her eyes met with a pair of fiery eyes. She panicked again and hurriedly avoided eye contact. Shokuho Misaki underestimated the intensity of the fire in Wu Yan's eyes. Even when she averted her gaze, she could still feel his gaze caressing her face, her breasts, her entire body. It's like a fiery hand caressing her face, caressing her breasts, caressing her entire body. And so, Shokuho Misaki decisively handed over the first time in her life. I'll go out first. Realizing that if this goes on, something unimaginable will happen. Shokuho Misaki steeled her heart and stood up. Thinking that being looked at once is better than being looked at many times, Shokuho Misaki stood up from the bathtub, lifted her feet and prepared to run out of the door. However, no matter how fast Shokuho Misaki is, can she be faster than Wu Yen? The answer of course is no. Wu Yen isn't surprised by Shokuho Misaki's escape. If Jusama stayed in the bathtub and curled up like a ball, Wu Yen wouldn't be able to do anything to her. But now, Shokuho Misaki flashed by his side. Wu Yan's wine-red eyes flashed as if he could see through his opponent's silhouette. He saw through her weakness and saw through her plans. With quick reflexes he used Dragon Catcher Hand. Thus, in the next second Wu Yen grabbed a pair of plump breasts, one in each hand, and he grabbed one in each hand. Shokuho Misaki, who thought she could escape with her life, looked at the bathroom door in front of her with a happy expression. But in the next second, her happy expression turned into a heavy moan. The reason, of course, is the pair of hands that grabbed her from behind. Shokuho Misaki's chest is her most sensitive area. Even a light touch on her chest would make her feel something. Wu Yan's action of grabbing her chest is even more absurd. Shokuho Misaki's strength was completely drained the moment the hands grabbed her. She didn't even have the strength to stand up. She fell backwards onto a broad chest. No, let go. Shokuho Misaki pressed her palms against the hands on her chest, trying to pull them away. But it was already the last of her strength. Shokuho Misaki gasped for breath. She was so ashamed that she wanted to die. Wu Yen once again grasped her weakness. Shokuho Misaki could already see her ending. However, all her thoughts vanished under the pressure of Wu Yan's hands. Her sensitive spots were grasped by Wu Yen. The thing called rationality in Shokuho Misaki's mind became a luxury item. His hands moved nimbly, followed by a loud moan from Shokuho Misaki. Shokuho Misaki's hands that were pressed against her own started moving along with her own. It looked like Shokuho Misaki was using her own hands to move Wu Yan's hands. Don't. Shokuho Misaki had no choice but to use her last shred of rationality to say those words. But even if the meaning was obvious in this situation, it would only turn into seasoning for the ripples. Under Wu Yan's actions, Shokuho Misaki finally lost her last bit of rationality. She closed her eyes and turned the pleasure of her body into the most direct sound, forming a beautiful melody. In the bathroom she played a solo for the man behind her. Chapter 284. Inside the Tokuwadai dormitory, two young ladies of Tokuwadai were chatting and laughing as they walked past the door of a dormitory. However, when their eyes landed on the door of the dormitory, a look of longing flashed past their eyes, because this is the room of their most admired and longed Shokuho Misaki, their queen's room. For them, passing by Shokuho-sama's room with no longing in their eyes is unforgivable. However, the two Tokuwadai ladies who passed by the dormitory didn't hear the strange sound coming from inside the door. In the dormitory, the sound of flirting echoed in the room. The sound was not soft, but when it reached the door it was blocked by the door. It could be seen that the soundproofing effect was not bad. At this time Wu Yen and Shokuho Misaki were no longer in the bathroom. Instead they turned their battlefield to the bed. Shokuho Misaki's breathing was a little rapid. Wu Yen, who was lying on top of her, could clearly hear her rapid breathing. This was only natural. After all, even for her lady queen, she had only experienced this sort of battle once. As Wu Yen kept teasing her, cute sounds kept coming out of Shokuho Misaki's moist lips. Because of Wu Yan's hands she can't even breathe properly. "Queen, are you comfortable?" While his hands kept rubbing her chest, Wu Yen asked Shokuho Misaki with a devilish smile. It's rare for her to be this weak. If he doesn't tease her a little, Wu Yen won't be able to forgive himself. Shokuho Misaki's face turned red. This is too magical. It's rare to see her blushing. although a certain someone has been lucky enough to witness it many times. It's just that Shokuho Misaki didn't have the strength to speak. Her sensitive spots were constantly being electrocuted into the deepest part of her heart, causing her body to tense up like a string, waiting for someone to exert force and snap it. And obviously Wu Yan is that final force. Unknowingly, Wu Yan's hand seemed to be guided by some unknown force. It slid down from Shokuho Misaki's slender waist and landed somewhere else. Feeling a certain part of her body being caressed and kneaded, Shokuho Misaki's eyes widened. Her starry eyes were filled with emotions, making Wu Yan's heart tremble. Wu Yan whispered into Shokuho Misaki's ear. "Jisama, your eyes are so beautiful." Hearing this, Shokuho Misaki's starry eyes lit up. A faint sense of happiness welled up in her heart. Shokuho Misaki suddenly didn't feel as fearful as she had been in the past. No one knows about Shokuho Misaki's past. Or her parents. What kind of past did she have? What kind of past pushed her to become a LV5 who is second only to a handful of people? No one knows, not even Wu Yan. But, thinking about the endless darkness in Academy City and Jisama's ability to control people's hearts, one can imagine that Jisama's past is definitely not that good. Ignoring everything else, just looking at Jisama's starry eyes, the emotions she showed towards Wu Yan, it's clear that this pair of starry eyes brought back some bad memories for Jisama. That's why, when Wu Yan said the same thing to her when they first met, Jisama's reaction was so strange, and now when he said the same thing again, Shokuho Misaki's heart was filled to the brim. She closed her eyes, her pair of soft breasts actually stuck out, as if they're offering themselves up for Wu Yan to play with. Wu Yan can feel that something's different about Shokuho Misaki, but that doesn't stop Wu Yan from continuing with what he's about to do. Shokuho Misaki's pair of soft breasts, they're just too beautiful. The softness in his hand is constantly attracting Wu Yan's hand, making his fingers move involuntarily, and each of his movements would make Shokuho Misaki's body tremble. MMM. Heavy muffled moans came out from between Shokuho Misaki's fingers. The feeling in her chest as well as a certain part of her lower body made Shokuho Misaki's heart that hasn't been moved for a long time, it started to feel uneasy. Unable to hold back that feeling, unable to hold back her own voice, Shokuho Misaki actually took the initiative to kiss Wu Yan's lips. This time, it's Wu Yan's turn to be surprised. His eyes widened, looking at Shokuho Misaki's pretty face in front of him. Wu Yan couldn't believe it, because this is the first time he's been kissed by someone forcefully. When he came back to his senses, Wu Yan couldn't help but cry. He thought he would be able to gain the upper hand against Jisama. He didn't expect Jisama to be Jisama after all. She's always the one on top, never the one on the bottom. However, such thoughts were quickly drowned out by the pleasure of their tongues intertwining. Wu Yan simply rolled his tongue, entangling it with Shokuho Misaki's tongue, and then he fully immersed himself in kissing Shokuho Misaki. Shokuho Misaki's little face is completely red, not sure if it's because of shyness, or because of the pleasure of her body, but in short, Shokuho Misaki at this time is like an ostrich, very cute. Between the overlapping lips, more smooth saliva slowly flowed in their mouths, intertwining two little tongues, but at the same time, it brought great pleasure to both of them, especially Wu Yan. The smoothness of Shokuho Misaki's tongue made him even more excited. While Shokuho Misaki's feeling is a little different from Wu Yan's, it's pretty much the same. Shokuho Misaki never thought that just kissing could bring her so much pleasure. Last time in the amusement park, although she already had a taste at that time because it was her first kiss, Shokuho Misaki didn't have much awareness. She didn't really think about how she was feeling. Now, after seriously kissing Wu Yan, Shokuho Misaki realized that kissing is such a beautiful thing. In the past, Shokuho Misaki didn't understand why a woman would need a man to rely on. She thought, even though I'm just a woman, but at the same time, I'm also a queen-sama, men are just toys in my hands. With her mind control ability, Shokuho Misaki has the qualifications to say this. Especially after using her ability to peek into the dirty thoughts in the hearts of those men, she felt that way even more. Now, after kissing Wu Yan deeply, Shokuho Misaki suddenly understood why a woman would need a man. Shokuho Misaki couldn't peek into Wu Yan's thoughts, but with her understanding of Wu Yan, she's afraid that Wu Yan's dirty thoughts are no less than those men she looked down on. But everything in this world is so strange. Shokuho Misaki, who looked down on men's dirty thoughts at this time, felt that if it was Wu Yan, she wouldn't be unable to accept it. That's why sometimes, a woman's thoughts are so unfathomable and so blind. So they need more love, including Shokuho Misaki. Chapter 285. Ha ha Wu, Shokuho Misaki's eyes were filled with tears. Under the effect of her starry eyes, the twinkling stars in her golden pupils looked like they grew in water, giving people a magical feeling. At this time, Shokuho Misaki was like a crying girl, her eyes were filled with tears and her mouth was making whimpering sounds. People who don't know what's going on would think that Shokuho Misaki is crying, her two tongues intertwined, her moist lips couldn't stop the moans that came out of her mouth. Her sensitive body made her look like a helpless little girl. As long as someone blows on her, big drops of tears would fall from her starry eyes. After a long time, two pairs of lips finally separated under Wu Yan's slight force. A soft pop sound was heard, making Shokuho Misaki's already red face even redder. The shy Shokuho Misaki didn't know how attractive she was. Wu Yan's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. What's more, Shokuho Misaki was still naked. Ah! A soft cry came out of Shokuho Misaki's mouth. That's because Wu Yan's hands had already split into two, one above and one below, grabbing her mounds and started to knead them. Ah Wu, En, a sensitive spot is a sensitive spot. Under his teasing, Shokuho Misaki surrendered without hesitation. She raised her head and moaned in a mixture of pain and pleasure. Her moaning made Wu Yan's heart burn with lust. He couldn't wait to take advantage of Jisama right there and then. Gently caressing Shokuho Misaki's thigh, Wu Yan felt that it wasn't time yet. He could only suppress the lust in his heart and continue to tease Shokuho Misaki's sensitive body. For some reason, this sensitive body didn't last long, making Wu Yan feel suffocated. At the same time, the power that was supporting Shokuho Misaki all this time seemed to have disappeared. Shokuho Misaki's hands seemed to have lost their bones, they drooped down softly, all the power was removed. Only her lips were left as if they were supported by another power. They were constantly moving, gasping for breath, moaning, begging for mercy. They were all coming out from those lips. It seems that the kiss from before has caused Shokuho Misaki to lose a lot of her power. Hugging Shokuho Misaki's delicate body, Wu Yan could clearly feel the unique softness of the girl in his arms. Smooth, soft, almost all of it was applied to Wu Yan's naked body. Their bodies were almost overlapping, allowing Wu Yan to feel every inch of Shokuho Misaki's skin. Really, no matter where it is, it's soft. It's a kind of limitless softness without layers, without limits. It's a softness that embraces everything. What are you doing? Feeling Wu Yan's body and his heartbeat that is several times stronger than her own, Shokuho Misaki pulled Wu Yan's hand uneasily. She squeezed out a few words from her mouth and said to Wu Yan. It's clear that Shokuho Misaki hasn't completely let go of her emotions. Some things don't need to be said out loud. At times like this, both sides can sense each other's emotions. Just like how Wu Yan can sense Shokuho Misaki's uneasiness, Shokuho Misaki can also sense what Wu Yan wants to do. It's natural for Shokuho Misaki to feel uneasy. Everything happened too fast, just like the first time she had intimate contact with Wu Yan. It's so fast that Shokuho Misaki couldn't catch her breath. How could she have imagined that she was just taking a shower like normal? But the result was that she was covered in sheets by this person who just barged into her life not long ago? Shokuho Misaki also didn't expect Wu Yan to have already planned to push her down. Clearly she has only known him for less than 3 months, plus the time they met was only a few times. That's why everything in this world is so strange. Of course it's about doing this and that with Jisama. At this time, one of Wu Yan's hands is still on Shokuho Misaki's soft buttocks, the other hand is still on Shokuho Misaki's plump soft flesh, maintaining the position of moving his hands up and down. Wu Yan smiled evilly at Shokuho Misaki. Wu Yan can feel that after he said those words, Shokuho Misaki's soft breasts that are different from her buttocks, a violent thump, thump, heartbeat. Without a doubt, Shokuho Misaki is panicking. Wait. Shokuho Misaki shook her head in a fluster. Her face was still flushed red. It made Wu Yan feel suffocated. Isn't this too fast, Jisama? Wu Yan's hand touched Shokuho Misaki's warm breasts, gently squeezing them. Her warm body quivered and quieted down. Some things can't be measured with time, although Wu Yan's words from a certain point of view are correct and philosophical, but when he said it at this time, it gave Shokuho Misaki a feeling, trap. It's too much of a trap. At this time, Wu Yan is still holding Shokuho Misaki's breasts, one on top and one on bottom. He lifted Shokuho Misaki's body from the bed and straddled her on top of him. For some reason Wu Yan likes this position. Shokuho Misaki, under Wu Yan's guidance, sat on top of Wu Yan. She could feel Wu Yan's evil intentions. She felt something hard pressing against her buttocks. Shokuho Misaki panicked. Wait. She grabbed onto Wu Yan's shoulders tightly, she screamed in panic. But as she screamed, her voluptuous body was pressed down by Wu Yan. Yua. Shokuho Misaki could feel something inside her body, followed by the shattering of something else inside her body, followed by a sharp pain. She couldn't help but feel a sharp pain in her chest. She couldn't help but feel a sharp pain in her chest. Shokuho Misaki couldn't help but sigh. Like a swan that was shot by a hunter's arrow, Shokuho Misaki fiercely raised her head and let out a miserable cry. The cry echoed throughout the room, showing the pain of its owner. You. Such intense pain. Shokuho Misaki, who has never suffered any physical trauma, broke down her tears. Big drops of tears flowed out from her eyes and dripped onto Wu Yan's body. It hurts, you evil bastard, you made me hurt, you. Her hands gripped onto Wu Yan's shoulders so hard that they turned blue, but Shokuho Misaki still felt that this is not enough to vent her pain, so she complained to Wu Yan, who took everything away from her. At this moment she also has the right to complain. Alright, don't cry. Wu Yan coaxed Shokuho Misaki like he's coaxing a child. Such a clumsy method, but at this moment, it's surprisingly effective. It made Shokuho Misaki feel a lot better, and her tears also lessened a lot. After the pain subsided, a strong sense of emptiness spread throughout Shokuho Misaki's body, causing her to involuntarily twist her body. Receiving Shokuho Misaki's signal, Wu Yan simply shrugged, causing Shokuho Misaki to let out another cry, but this time, it's mostly happiness. Finally he can fully enjoy the beauty. Wu Yan hugged Shokuho Misaki's voluptuous body and began to toss her up and down, enjoying the wonderful pleasure that comes from both body and mind. Moaning sounds could be heard. Chapter 286. In Tokuwadai's dormitory, none of the ladies knew that their most respected and worshipped Shokuho Shirsama, Queen Shokuho Shirsama, had been devoured by the scum they hated the most while they were happily discussing some skincare products and some pretty clothes. Not even a single bone was left behind. Inside Shokuho Misaki's dorm room, the fierce battle is still going on. The world outside the door is completely isolated from the world inside. At this point, Shokuho Misaki was lying on her bed, her hands tightly gripping the sheets in front of her. Her face was flushed with the most joyous of moods, and the sounds of moaning were coming from her lips. Her body kept swaying back and forth, and with each swing Shokuho Misaki let out a heavy moan. As a result, a certain wolf who was grabbing Shokuho Misaki's waist and kneeling behind her, moved even faster. Shokuho Misaki is like a small boat in the middle of a storm, following the source of the storm behind her. It's like she's about to crash, dancing with the wind. Even she doesn't know when she'll fall. What Shokuho Misaki didn't know was that the expression on her face that was enough to suffocate a certain someone, or the desire that was enough to kill a certain someone's heart, were all factors that led to her being subjected to an even more violent storm. Her curvaceous body was covered in a faint pink glow. Drops of sweat were secreted from her pores and formed on her body. Every time a bead of sweat appeared, it would be accompanied by a suspicious but pleasant fragrance from Shokuho Misaki's body, making the two who were in the midst of the greatest pleasure feel a burst of desire. The sweat dripped down Shokuho Misaki's body in a beautiful arc and dripped onto the white sheets as if it had completed its mission in life. Because of this, the sheets under Shokuho Misaki's body were soaked as if they were fished out of water. However, this humidity didn't make Shokuho Misaki or Wu Yan feel uncomfortable at all. Instead, they felt that this wasn't enough. Thus, this is another factor that made Wu Yan push the cart as hard as he could. One by one, these factors led to the current situation. Wu Yan was like a drilling machine, and Shokuho Misaki's body was shaking violently, along with the waves of moans that would make a saint go crazy. At some point, Shokuho Misaki's body suddenly tensed up. She grabbed the bed sheet with both hands and at the same time her toes curled up. An inexplicable sense of pleasure came from inside her body. Shokuho Misaki didn't know what this is, but she got flustered. She turned around and looked at Wu Yan with a flushed face. She yelled out in a flirtatious manner. Wait. Wu Yan held his breath. Shokuho Misaki didn't know how much of an effect she had on him with such a seductive expression. Her face flushed red, and her eyes filled with lust, gasping for air. Wu Yan didn't stop like Shokuho Misaki expected him to. Instead, he increased his speed and charged at Shokuho Misaki. The powerful impact caused Shokuho Misaki to cry out in pain. She felt something was about to break out of her body as Wu Yan pushed harder. She raised her head and screamed. If someone passed by at this time, It's impossible that they didn't notice anything. At the same time, Wu Yen also let out a satisfied breath. His face was like a spring breeze, as if something that made him uncomfortable has been released from his body. Is comfortable? You? Shokuho Misaki's body began to twitch and she let out a small whimper, which would make anyone who heard it feel their blood boil. It's a shame that the only audience in the room had already extinguished the fire in his heart after hearing Shokuho Misaki's loud cry. Of course, it's only at the right time. If it was any later, the fire would have started burning again. After a long while, Wu Yen finally smiled and laid down on the bed. Shokuho Misaki also fell heavily on the bed. Her eyes were blurred, her breasts were moving up and down as she breathed. Shokuho Misaki tried her best to open her starry eyes and look at Wu Yan's face. When she saw the proud smile on Wu Yan's face, Shokuho Misaki's flushed face was filled with anger. She pinched Wu Yan's waist hard. Of course, Shokuho Misaki's so-called heavy is just her own opinion. Her stamina has long been depleted in that battle of attrition. Tell me, did you calculate everything? Shokuho Misaki's thoughts aren't without reason. Of all the times to come to her, he chose to come to her when she's taking a bath. Isn't this intentional? Too bad Shokuho Misaki doesn't know that in this world, there's a guy called the pickup hand. Every time he opens the door it's intentional, because at that time there's always one or two girls taking a bath. With Shokuho Misaki's strength she can't even hurt a strand of hair, but Wu Yen still pretended to be in pain. He cried out, "I'm innocent. This is really a coincidence. As if I'd believe you." Shokuho Misaki rolled her eyes at Wu Yen when she regained some of her strength. However, when she thought about how Wu Yen had tried all sorts of tricks on her, Shokuho Misaki couldn't help but feel annoyed. Since when did Shokuho Misaki, become someone who can be manipulated by others? Perhaps because of the past, Shokuho Misaki hated the feeling of being manipulated, even if it was in bed. So, Shokuho Misaki made a quick decision. She flipped her body, and under Wu Yan's stunned expression, Shokuho Misaki rode on top of Wu Yan's body. Seeing Wu Yan's stunned expression, Shokuho Misaki giggled. "You tricked me just now. This time it's my turn." Wu Yen stuttered as if he was scared out of his wits. "Jisama?" Shokuho Misaki glared at Wu Yen. She rudely interrupted, "What are you doing? Do you have a problem with that?" Wu Yen was stunned. After a while, he managed to squeeze out a sentence. "Do you still have strength?" Shokuho Misaki's face turned red. She shouted angrily, "It's none of your business. You're the one who benefits in the end anyway. Why are you talking so much?" And so Wu Yen shut his mouth. He couldn't help but feel a strange desire in his heart. Maybe it's not a bad idea to take the queen by force. Shokuho Misaki gritted her teeth, her body trembled. She suppressed the shyness in her heart and slowly sat down in Wu Yan's arms. When the two were tightly connected again, Wu Yen let out a satisfied sigh, while Shokuho Misaki let out a soft moan. Then, using his half-baked skill of mind control, to peek into other people's minds, he slowly began to use it. Looking at the pair of throbbing breasts in front of him, listening to the soft moans in his ears, and feeling the comfort of his body, Wu Yen closed his eyes and focused on enjoying himself. The moans never stopped. Chapter 287. Shokuho Misaki is under a lot of pressure, especially at a time like this. As an offensive queen, Shokuho Misaki's wish to become an offensive queen may sound good, but reality is cruel. If Shokuho Misaki were to use her mind control to turn a woman into a super attacker, it would be a piece of cake. But when it comes to herself, even if she could change her personality with her ability, it would still be very stressful for her to do so. After all, our Jisama is a sports idiot. Stamina? That's her weakness. Thus, her Lady Queen became a true 3 minutes god. After 3 minutes, her Lady Queen changed from a strong aggressor to a strong aggressor. As for this so-called aggressor, it was all in the mouth. Shokuho Misaki is under a lot of pressure, but at the same time she should be thankful that she's not a man. It was another storm. After that, the two lay back down on the bed, panting softly with their eyes closed, enjoying the aftershocks of their lovemaking. The sheets on his back couldn't get any wetter. At this time the person lying on it should feel uncomfortable, but for some reason Wu Yen didn't feel uncomfortable at all. Instead he felt comfortable like he's in a hot spring. As for Jisama, lying on top of Wu Yen, how can a bedsheet be more comfortable than a meat cushion? Stroking Shokuho Misaki's smooth back, Wu Yen had to admit that Jisama's body is pretty damn good. Even if she doesn't have that pair of boobs, Jisama's voluptuous curves alone is enough to make anyone fall head over heels for her. Shokuho Misaki didn't know what Wu Yen is thinking about. But, judging by the fact that something inside her that hasn't left her body is back in high spirits, Shokuho Misaki can guess what's going on. Shokuho Misaki quickly said to Wu Yen, "Don't do it again, I can't take it anymore." Hearing this, Wu Yan's hand paused. He had no choice but to stop. With Jusama's physique, it's a miracle that she can last this long. Seeing this, Shokuho Misaki couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief, and then she was secretly annoyed and at the same time she sighed helplessly. She seems to have been begging for mercy, and this time too, as an offensive queen, Shokuho Misaki is under a lot of pressure. Whenever she thinks about how she's begging for mercy, Shokuho Misaki can't help but feel anger rising from the bottom of her heart. She's not going to be nice to the guy who forced himself on her. Shokuho Misaki's starry eyes were filled with dissatisfaction as she said in a slightly annoyed tone, "All right, now that you've taken advantage of me and eaten me, it's time for you to tell me why you're here?" Wu Yen dryly chuckled. What can he do? He really did have a reason for coming here. Pushing her down is just something he can do along the way. With Shokuho Misaki's intelligence, his little scheme can't be hidden from her. It's too fake to say that he's here just to see her. With that in mind, Wu Yen quickly said, "Of course I'm here just to see you." Fake. It's too fake. Shokuho Misaki doesn't doubt his words. Even Wu Yen has to say the same thing. Even if he knows that his words are fake, it can't be helped. He just pushed her down not too long ago. If he really said that he's here for something, it'd be too boring. So even if it's fake, Wu Yen can only accept it. Shokuho Misaki's eyes seemed to be able to see through Wu Yan's heart. She carefully stared at Wu Yan's face. Perhaps she guessed Wu Yan's thoughts. Shokuho Misaki coldly snorted. However, from her expression, it seems like she's satisfied with Wu Yan's words, or rather his thoughts. Of course, Shokuho Misaki won't admit it. She's still upset about the fact that she couldn't push Wu Yen down. Don't talk nonsense. Just say it. Since you're here, you must have something you need my help with, right? This time, Wu Yen can only rub his nose and admit it. Alright, I do have something I need your help with. Sure. Shokuho Misaki's straightforward answer came just as he finished his sentence. Wu Yen, who originally wanted to waste his breath, was stunned. Wu Yen didn't forget how much effort it took to get Shokuho Misaki's help when he snuck into the research facility where the sisters were kept. Not only did he have to make her a random date, but he was also ridiculed by Jusama, and this time she agreed so easily? Could it be that pushing her down will bring me such benefits? Wu Yen quickly shook his head and denied it. If Jusama is the type of person who listens to everything after being pushed down, then she's not Jusama. Wu Yan's wine-red eyes stared straight into Shokuho Misaki's starry eyes. He narrowed his eyes, trying to see through Shokuho Misaki's schemes. I say, Jusama, when did you become so straightforward? How can you say that? Shokuho Misaki touched her cheeks and said in a pitiful tone, You've already done this to me, what else can I do other than listen to you? It would have been better if Shokuho Misaki didn't say anything. Now that she did, Wu Yen became even more vigilant. If what he said was fake, then Shokuho Misaki's expression couldn't be more fake. As if she didn't see Wu Yan's vigilance, Shokuho Misaki looked at him with a playful smile. Wu Yan's mouth twitched, he couldn't stay calm anymore. I say, where did this pitiful sobbing go to? As the saying goes, a woman can change her mind as quickly as flipping a page. Shokuho Misaki's pitiful face turned into a playful smile, and in the next second, it turned into impatience. Are you going to tell me or not? If not, I won't help you. Wu Yen, who couldn't see through Shokuho Misaki's thoughts, turned his face away and shrugged helplessly. Whatever, she's already his woman. Putting away his mischievous grin, Wu Yen put on a serious face. His expression gave off a serious vibe. I want you to help me take a look at a child. Take a look at a child? Shokuho Misaki had an odd expression on her face. Her eyes started flickering as she looked into Wu Yan's eyes. She continued with a weird tone. We just had sex and you want me to take care of a child? Wu Yan almost spat out a mouthful of saliva when he heard that. What are you thinking? I want you to take a look at a child's psychological condition. Psychological condition? This time Shokuho Misaki didn't tease him. She frowned and said softly, The child you're talking about, does he have some psychological problems? Yeah. Wu Yan said helplessly, His mental condition is very unstable. In the past he would go berserk from time to time. Although I've managed to suppress it, my method can only treat the symptoms, not the root cause. It can only prevent the child from going berserk, but it can't solve the problem. Wu Yan looked at Shokuho Misaki. That's why I want you to take a look at him, see if there's any way to make him normal. Go berserk. Shokuho Misaki didn't care about the method Wu Yen mentioned. Instead, she was curious about the words Wu Yen used. She was curious about what kind of situation could make this guy, the third strongest in Academy City, say something like go berserk. As for the mental and psychological problems of this so-called child, Shokuho Misaki didn't care. With her ability, it's a piece of cake. This is why Wu Yen came to Shokuho Misaki. Chapter 288. Academy City, School District 7, Wu Yan's house. The house that was originally quiet suddenly erupted with a loud roar that shook the very foundations of the house. Yawa. Inside the living room, the owner of the roar is lying on top of a table. She's yelling while kicking her legs around. It's obvious that the owner of the voice is throwing a tantrum. The owner of the tantrum is Flandre-chan. Hinajiku, Mikoto, Kinohada Sai, Frenda, Takitsubu Riku, and Astria were covering their ears like they couldn't take it anymore. Ikaros was the only one who looked at Flandre-chan with a blank expression. Maybe she didn't know how to react, or maybe she just didn't know how to react. Hinajiku and Mikoto looked at each other helplessly. Even though the two girls are the ones who can make the decisions in this family other than Wu Yen, they really don't know what to do with a child throwing a tantrum. Let alone them, none of the girls here have any experience in taking care of a child. Although Hinajiku and Mikoto have taken care of little Liren before, little Liren was too obedient and didn't know how to take care of her. So Hinajiku and Mikoto are really at their wits' end. Chuju has a headache looking at Flandre-chan, who's rolling around on the table. She walked up to her and said, "Flandre-chan, be a good girl and calm down, okay?" I don't want to. Flandre-chan doesn't seem like she's going to be obedient. She's still lying on the table, waving her arms and legs around. Chuju and Mikoto can't get close to her. I want Oni-chan. I want Oni-chan. Flandre-chan wants Oni-chan. That's right, that's why Flandre-chan is throwing a tantrum. For Flandre-chan, in this unfamiliar world, her sister isn't here, the people from Scarlet Devil Mansion aren't here either. The only person she can rely on is Wu Yen, whom she just met yesterday. Wu Yen is a very important person to her. Perhaps due to her power being sealed, Flandre-chan has become very reliant on Wu Yen. But from another perspective, it's understandable. If a child's family brought her to a strange house and then disappeared, then the child would definitely make a big fuss. Flandre-chan is in such a situation. Plus, Flandre-chan's mental state wasn't very stable to begin with. It's not hard to guess why she ended up like this. If Flandre-chan's powers weren't sealed, I'm afraid everything in this house would have been wiped out a long time ago, including people. It has to be said that once a child starts to make a fuss, the sound of her voice isn't something an average person can bear. Even if Flandre-chan lost her powers, her voice was still enough to make everyone in the house unable to bear it. Flandre-chan has been in this state ever since she woke up this morning. This caused all the young girls present to have a headache. At the same time, they couldn't help but wonder what kind of charm that guy had to make such a cute little girl rely on him so much. This is a classic case of saying the grapes are sour when you can't eat them. Looking at Flandre-chan, who's still throwing a tantrum, Chuju, Mikoto, and the others can't help but cry. Mikoto is the one who screamed like a madwoman. Yen, where the hell did you go? Come back right now. Perhaps it was because of Mikoto's shout, the living room suddenly lit up. Other than Kinohada Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku, all the other girls' eyes lit up. When the light dissipated, Wu Yan's figure appeared in the living room in front of the girls. Chuju, Mikoto, Astria, and the others sighed in relief. As for Kinohada Sai and the others, they're still trying to figure out how Wu Yan appeared. When Wu Yan appeared in the living room and saw the expressions on the girls' faces, he was stunned. What's wrong with you girls? Why are you looking at me like that? Oni-chan. Cheers came from behind Wu Yan, startling Wu Yan. He reflexively turned around and a small figure jumped up from the table and ran into Wu Yan's arms. Wu Yan subconsciously hugged the small figure. He was stunned again. Flandre-chan? Oni-chan, where did you go? Flandre-chan missed you so much. She kept rubbing her face against Wu Yan's body. Her small hands were clutching onto Wu Yan's clothes as if she's afraid Wu Yan will disappear again. She looked at Wu Yan with teary eyes. She looked like she's going to cry at any second. This made Wu Yan panic. Patting Flandre-chan's back, Wu Yan said gently. Oni-chan didn't go anywhere, I just had something to do. Oni-chan is a bad guy, you abandoned Flandre-chan? Flandre-chan puffed up her cheeks in dissatisfaction. She turned her head away from Wu Yan, but her small hands were still clutching onto Wu Yan's body. Wu Yan felt helpless and amused at the same time. "You're finally back. If you didn't come back, the sky would have collapsed." Chuju looked at the quiet Flandre-chan and sighed in relief. At the same time, she looked at Wu Yan in pleasant surprise. She seemed to have a hard time. Wu Yan, who didn't experience Flandre-chan's lion roar, was puzzled. Mikoto also looked at Wu Yan in pleasant surprise. To be honest, if Wu Yan didn't come back, Mikoto would have had the urge to send out a bolt of lightning. One can imagine how helpless she was just now. That pleasant surprise, however, froze when she heard a giggle. Era, Misaka-san, you're still so energetic." Mikoto's smile froze on her face. She felt a small electric current flowing through her forehead. This voice, this tone, could it be? Before Mikoto could finish her sentence, Kinohada Sai and Frenda beside her called out first. "The fifth." Mikoto slapped her own face and covered her eyes. "So it's you, Shokuho Misaki." Shokuho Misaki covered her mouth and giggled. "What's wrong?" "Misaka-san, you don't look too happy to see me." "How can I be happy to see you?" Mikoto didn't mince her words. There was even a hint of hatred in her voice. "It looks like she really doesn't welcome Shokuho Misaki's arrival." Mikoto pointed at Shokuho Misaki with an unfriendly look. "Woman, why are you here?" Shokuho Misaki shrugged and sighed helplessly. She then looked at Mikoto with a don't-you-know look and said, "Of course it's Yen who brought me here." Mikoto's mouth twitched. "I guessed a little, but now that I know, why do I have a—" Turning her head towards Wu Yen, sparks flashed on Mikoto's forehead as she asked in a low voice, "Where's the urge to electrocute people?" Wu Yen chuckled awkwardly. Even though he knew he'd be the one to get hurt if Sis Cannon and Jisama were to bump into each other, but for Flandre-chan, on the side, Kinohada Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubo Riku were stunned by this scene. Watching the interaction between Mikoto and Shokuho Misaki, as well as Shokuho Misaki's words, Kinohada Sai's eyebrows twitched. "Don't tell me this super fifth was also super recruited into the Crystal Palace by that super slut?" Frenda looked at Shokuho Misaki as if she had seen through the truth before looking at Wu Yen. She instantly understood. In the end, Psychological Control also became a member of that guy's Crystal Palace. Kinohada Sai clenched her fists and said hatefully, "This super pervert already has so many women, yet he still wants the super Crystal Palace. Could it be that the only thing in his head is the word female?" Hearing this, Frenda shrugged. "In the end, aren't we still the female that he has his eyes on?" Kinohada Sai remained silent, but her pair of small eyes kept darting around, as if she was thinking of something bad. Takitsubo Riku kept looking at Wu Yen. There was a hint of sadness in her eyes. "Will he still remember me?" Chapter 289. Seeing Shokuho Misaki looking like she's going to humiliate Mikoto, he knew that if this goes on, Sis Cannon will go berserk, so he quickly interrupted her. "Jisama, let's get down to business first. Business is more important." Shokuho Misaki rolled her eyes at Wu Yen, clearly displeased that Wu Yen didn't let her tease Mikoto. This made Wu Yen laugh dryly. When will he find a way to make these two happy? After all, they're both his women. Wu Yan's face was soon covered in tears, because the answer is no. Mikoto and the rest knew that Wu Yen brought Shokuho Misaki here for a reason. Recalling what Wu Yen explained to them, Mikoto and Chuju finally understood. At the same time, they looked at Flandre-chan in Wu Yan's arms with pity in their eyes. Mikoto humphed and turned her head away, refusing to look at Shokuho Misaki. Flandre-chan may only stick to Wu Yen, but the other girls are quite fond of her. Other than Ikaros, who doesn't have a strong emotional system, most of the girls here have a preference for Flandre-chan. Seeing Mikoto ignoring her, Shokuho Misaki also turned her head away. This made Wu Yen a little speechless. Why does it feel like Jisama isn't here to help? She's here to cause trouble. Soon Shokuho Misaki finally noticed Flandre-chan in Wu Yan's arms. Seeing how cute Flandre-chan is, Shokuho Misaki's eyes flashed with fondness. Even Jisama isn't immune to this. It's easy to see how charming Flandre-chan is. However, when Shokuho Misaki saw Flandre-chan's wine-red eyes that are the same as Wu Yan's, she froze. Without thinking, Shokuho Misaki blurted out, "This child, don't tell me she's your and someone's daughter?" Chuju, Mikoto, Astria, Kinohada Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubo Riku all stumbled and fell to the ground. Ikaros also looked at Shokuho Misaki in shock. This proves how shocking Shokuho Misaki's words are. If he wasn't carrying Flandre-chan, Wu Yen would have fallen to the ground and wouldn't be able to get up again. Wu Yen can only reply in an annoyed tone. Where the hell did you get that conclusion from? Shokuho Misaki suspiciously looked at Wu Yen before looking at Flandre-chan. She pointed at Flandre-chan's eyes and reasoned with her. Look, aren't your pupils the same? Wu Yen choked, he didn't know what to say. There are plenty of people with the same pupils in this world, but wine-red eyes are a rare sight. Since they happen to have the same pair of pupils, anyone would think they're related. However, Jisama's words are a bit shocking. Wu Yen really wanted to explain that Flandre-chan isn't his daughter, but he can't explain why they have the same pupils. Wu Yen could only come up with one sentence. If I say no, would you believe me? Hearing this, Shokuho Misaki tapped her chin with her index finger, looked around at everyone, nodded, and gave an unexpected answer. I believe you. Wu Yen's eyebrows twitched. Why would you believe me so easily? Hearing Wu Yan's words, Shokuho Misaki smiled. She looked at Wu Yan with her starry eyes and said, because I don't believe you can give birth to such an excellent breed with your ability. As soon as Shokuho Misaki finished speaking, the girls heard a sound of something breaking. It came from Wu Yan's body, it came from his brain. Taking a deep breath, Wu Yan told himself not to get angry. Don't get angry, don't get angry, don't get angry. How can I win against Jisama when it comes to talking? Even if I'm angry, I should get back at her. Yes, that's right. With that thought in mind, Wu Yan felt relieved. A smile bloomed on his face. This made the girls who were familiar with him a little confused. Only Shokuho Misaki looked surprised. She seemed to have thought of something. She lowered her head in regret. Shokuho Misaki's heartbeat quickened. Her legs felt like jelly, as if she was reminded of something. To avoid embarrassing herself, Shokuho Misaki quickly told Wu Yan. Okay, didn't you ask me to see this child? Let's start. Wu Yan narrowed his eyes. He put this matter in his heart. He'll deal with Jisama later. Looking down at Flandre-chan in his arms, Wu Yan said, Flandre-chan, let that big sister take a look at you. Flandre-chan didn't understand. She didn't know what Wu Yan and Shokuho Misaki wanted to do to her, but since Wu Yan said so, Flandre-chan looked at Shokuho Misaki and nodded. Seeing this, Shokuho Misaki smiled and nodded her chin. She took out a remote control from her purse and pointed it at Flandre-chan. Then she pressed the button lightly. After the beep, Flandre-chan's pupils seemed to have lost their light. Her eyes that were full of life lost all color and became as still as water. She didn't move at all. Choju, Mikoto, and Astria held their breaths. They didn't want to disturb Shokuho Misaki. Kinuhata Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku didn't know what's going on, but anyone with a brain would know what to do and what not to do. Thus they quieted down and waited. Shokuho Misaki's starry eyes also seemed to have lost their light. Even the stars in them didn't shine, but after a while her starry eyes trembled violently. At the same time, Shokuho Misaki's face turned pale. Everyone's heart was in their throats. They were worried something might happen to Flandre-chan. Luckily, Shokuho Misaki quickly regained her composure. Everyone released a sigh of relief. Wu Yan bitterly laughed. This Jisama, is she trying to scare people to death with her sudden outburst? After a long time, under the strange silence, Shokuho Misaki finally finished her work and put away the remote control in her hand. However, her pair of starry eyes kept flashing, and her expression was extremely complicated. How is it? Is there any way? Seeing Shokuho Misaki put away the remote control, Wu Yan quickly asked. Everyone turned to look at Shokuho Misaki. Shokuho Misaki looked at Wu Yan with a complicated expression. Her eyes were filled with resentment. Wu Yan didn't understand. Perhaps she saw Wu Yan's confusion. Shokuho Misaki sighed and said, I didn't expect your origin to be so mysterious, a different world, a system. I really didn't expect it. Hearing this, Wu Yan, Choju, and Mikoto were shocked. Wu Yan looked at Shokuho Misaki in shock and asked, You know everything? After asking this question, Wu Yan suddenly remembered that Shokuho Misaki, with her mind control ability, can peek into other people's memories. In other words, Shokuho Misaki peeked into Flandre-chan's memories and obtained the system's memories from Flandre-chan's memories. In other words, Jisama really knows everything. Shokuho Misaki looked at the dumbfounded Wu Yan. The resentment in her starry eyes intensified. No wonder you said Misaka Mikoto has a bigger world waiting for her. Indeed, compared to you guys who can travel through worlds, a small Tokuwada is nothing to you guys. Wu Yan laughed awkwardly. He knew that Shokuho Misaki was complaining about how he protected Mikoto during their first meeting. However, while Shokuho Misaki understood, the others didn't. Oi oi oi, what are you guys talking about? Kinuhata Sai shouted. What different world? What super system? What super time travel? Explain it all to me. Wu Yin, Hinajiku, and Mikoto looked at each other, helplessness in their eyes. Great, now they're exposed, what a blunder. Chapter 290. He has to admit, asking Shokuho Misaki to check on Flandre-chan's mental state was a mistake, but it also solved one of Wu Yan's problems. Of course, Wu Yan didn't expect Shokuho Misaki to peek into Flandre-chan's memories. The system's transfer of memories to Flandre-chan was more than enough for Shokuho Misaki to learn about their secrets. Coincidentally, Wu Yan's problem was solved by Shokuho Misaki, Kinohara Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku. Wu Yan's mission 3 was to push down at least 3 characters and make them follow him out of this world. Wu Yan already had a target in mind. He successfully pushed 2 of them onto his bed and rolled around in the sheets with him. However, he didn't know how to explain his situation to them. He didn't know where to start at this moment. Now Jisama's peek into her memories gave Wu Yan a chance to explain himself to everyone. In a way, Wu Yan's problem has been solved. In the huge living room, Shokuho Misaki, Kinohara Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku were listening to Wu Yan's story. Other than Shokuho Misaki, who exclaimed from time to time, the other 3 were stunned. Shokuho Misaki obtained a lot of information from peeking into Flandre-chan's memories. Now, with Wu Yan's explanation, she didn't have much of a reaction. However, this is the first time Kinohara Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku have heard of something so absurd. That's right, to the 3 of them, this matter is indeed absurd. What system? What transmigration? What spalier world? What instance dungeon? Every single one of them made their little brains swell up, they almost short-circuited. It can be said that Kinohara Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku didn't want to believe Wu Yan's words at all. After all, this is the science world. Everything has to be based on science. Is everything Wu Yan said scientific? However, when Ikaros and Astria revealed their wings, Flandre-chan revealed her tail and crystal wings, the 3 girls were stunned. Even Shokuho Misaki, who saw this for the first time, couldn't help but cover her mouth with her hand. She was shocked beyond words. In other words, everything you said is super real? Kinohara Sai stared blankly at Chuju and Mikoto. If it was Wu Yan's words, no matter how convincing, Kinohara Sai wouldn't choose to believe it. It's obvious how much Kinohara Sai's hatred towards Wu Yan 2's level. But since it came from Hinajiku and Mikoto, she had no choice but to believe it. She knows that Wu Yan might be bullshitting, but Hinajiku and Mikoto, with their temperaments, they wouldn't be so immoral when it comes to matters like this. That's why when the 2 nodded, Kinohara Sai grabbed her head and shook it. She had a, "I've already fainted, the world has already been destroyed" look on her face. She couldn't accept it. However, from another perspective, Wu Yan's words did indeed destroy their world. To be more precise, it should be their worldview. That means. Kinohara Sai turned to look at Wu Yan with excitement in her eyes. "You'll leave this world one day, won't you?" Wu Yan nodded. Kinohara Sai almost jumped up in joy when she saw Wu Yan nodding. She wanted to cry in her heart. Finally, I can escape from this devil's clutches. Wu Yan knew what Kinohara Sai was thinking when he saw the excitement in her eyes. Wu Yan smiled and said, "We will leave this world, but when the time comes we will bring you with us. So, don't worry about us abandoning you." What? This time, Kinohara Sai really jumped up. However, she wasn't happy. She pointed at Wu Yan and complained loudly. "You super pervert. You won't super let us go even if we super leave this world? Ma, calm down, girl." Wu Yan patted Kinohara Sai's shoulder and smiled. "We have such a good relationship, how can I abandon you? So don't worry, I don't want to give up on such a cute maid." "You're the maid. Your whole family is super maids." Frenda sighed and said dejectedly. "I already knew the result. How can this wolf let us go so easily?" As for Takitsubu Riku, after accepting Wu Yan's words, she didn't care anymore. She was once a member of the Black Ops in Academy City. She had seen too much of the dark side of Academy City. She didn't have much of a sense of belonging to Academy City, so she didn't care about leaving. Instead, it was Shokuho Misaki who showed great interest in this matter. She placed the back of her hand on her mouth and smiled. "Spalier world, interesting. I'd like to see that so-called other world." Wu Yan couldn't help but ask. "Jisama, you're not thinking of coming with us, are you?" "Can't I?" Shokuho Misaki looked at Wu Yan and said with a sad voice. "Don't tell me, Xiao Yan, you're planning to go back on your word after pushing me down?" Hearing Shokuho Misaki's words, Wu Yan cursed. Sure enough, almost at the same time, Chuju, Mikoto, Kinohara Sai, and Frenda all screamed in shock. push her down. Among them, Mikoto's reaction was the most intense. She couldn't help it. If it was someone else, it would be fine. If it was someone else, it would be fine. But this is Shokuho Misaki. The Shokuho Misaki he hated the most. Asterisk beep. Asterisk, a flash of lightning came from Mikoto's body. Wu Yan's body trembled and he almost ran away. When Wu Yan slowly turned to Mikoto's direction, Mikoto's body was already filled with blue and white electricity. Lowering her head, Mikoto raised a fist and said in a low voice, "Yen, don't you have anything to explain?" Wu Yan smiled bitterly and waved his hands as if to tell Mikoto to calm down. But his action, which was equivalent to admitting it, made Mikoto go berserk. Hearing the lightning getting more intense, Wu Yan glared at Shokuho Misaki, who was gloating over his misfortune. Looking at Mikoto, who was about to turn into a goddess, he steeled his heart. With a leap, Wu Yan jumped in front of Mikoto. With one hand still holding Flandre-chan, he used his other hand to pull Mikoto into his embrace. Mikoto shrieked and the electric current in her body disappeared. She fell into Wu Yan's arms, and before she could react, a big mouth covered her little mouth, causing her to widen her eyes. "Oh!" Kinuhada Sai, Frenda, and Astria gasped in shock. Hinajiku, on the other hand, had already covered one of her eyes. She couldn't bear to look at it anymore. The world is getting worse. That "oh" didn't just mean the girls were shocked, it also woke Mikoto up. Looking at Wu Yan's face so close to hers, Mikoto's face started to heat up. Starting from her neck, a bright red color started to crawl up her face until it covered her entire face. Following a bang sound, Mikoto's head boiled with water. The steam rose slowly, showing how embarrassed its master was right now. She pushed Wu Yan away and pointed at Wu Yan. "What are you doing? There are so many people here, you." Looking at Mikoto's red face, Wu Yan chuckled. This is the effect he wanted. Wu Yan even wiped his lips with a wicked smile. His scum temperament was on full display. Mikoto's face turned even redder. She felt everyone's gazes were so piercing. She covered her head and ran back to her room. Chuju gave Wu Yan a reproachful look before she chased after Mikoto. Astria followed suit. Ikaros gave Wu Yan a hesitant look before following as well. Wu Yan let out a sigh of relief. At least his life is saved. Chapter 291. With the departure of Mikoto, Chuju, Astria, and Ikaros, the place became a lot emptier. The only ones left were those who had something to do with leaving this world. Perhaps that's why Ikaros was hesitant when she left. It's obvious she wants to stay by Wu Yan's side, but she also knows that Wu Yan should take care of Shokuho Misaki, Kinuhada Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku. That's why Ikaros decided to leave. Wu Yan, who guessed her thoughts, couldn't help but smile dotingly. As expected, Ikaros is the one who deserves the most love. Shokuho Misaki suddenly said, "She's quite understanding, that girl called Ikaros." To Shokuho Misaki's surprise, Wu Yan shook his head and he chuckled. "No, I think it's a bit of a misnomer to use on Ikaros." Looking at the direction Ikaros left, Wu Yan said with a doting smile. "Ikaros is a bit slow when it comes to emotions, there are a lot of things she can't understand." Then that's why Ikaros is trying her best to change herself. What she doesn't know is that I like her the most. She doesn't need to change at all. Shokuho Misaki nodded as if she understood something. She turned to Wu Yan and giggled. "So, you're not worried that I will get jealous of you, huh?" Wu Yan glanced at Shokuho Misaki and he smirked. "Then why don't you try one for me?" Shokuho Misaki humphed and turned her head away. "What are you doing? Can't I be jealous? I'm still a girl." Yes. Shokuho Misaki was even more annoyed by Wu Yan's perfunctory reply. Before she could complain, Wu Yan said, "Alright, how's Flandre-chan?" Shokuho Misaki narrowed her eyes. She looked at Flandre-chan, who was sleeping in Wu Yan's arms because of her ability. "Don't worry about her, she's fine. Her mental state is a bit unstable, but she'll be fine soon. She'll be a normal little girl again." Wu Yan was stunned for a moment before he was overjoyed. He tightened his grip on Flandre-chan and said, "Thank you, Konosama." Shokuho Misaki didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Don't misunderstand, I didn't do anything." "Didn't do anything?" Wu Yan looked at Shokuho Misaki in surprise. After making sure she wasn't joking, he frowned and he looked at Flandre-chan in his arms. "If you didn't do anything, how did Flandre-chan's mental state recover so quickly?" Shokuho Misaki glanced at Flandre-chan and stroked her blonde hair. Originally, This little girl by the name of Fran became mentally abnormal because she possessed a terrifyingly powerful strength that overrode her young heart. And now you've already sealed her power. Without that terrifying power as a burden, she's like a spring that has lost its weight. Her mind will naturally grow stronger in the following time until it returns to normal. Wu Yin laughed heartily. Then he noticed that Flandre-chan is still sleeping, so he stopped himself from laughing out loud. Instead he chuckled. That's great. Shokuho Misaki stared blankly at Flandre-chan's sweet sleeping posture and sighed. I can't believe this little girl has such power inside her body. I'm afraid even all the LV5s in Academy City combined wouldn't last more than a minute. That ability that can destroy everything in its path is truly terrifying. You know about that too? Shokuho Misaki rolled her eyes and regained her confidence. Of course, Flandre-chan's power is strong, but it's been sealed. Plus, her mental state is unstable, so it's easy to invade her mind. Basically, I know everything she knows. You know about Gensokyo as well? Shokuho Misaki nodded. Wu Yin hesitated for a bit before asking. Then what Flandre-chan did in Gensokyo, you know about it as well? Shokuho Misaki looked at Wu Yin and laughed. You didn't think Flandre-chan's identity as a vampire and how she tore people apart would scare me, did you? Wu Yin smiled sheepishly. So you knew about it? Shokuho Misaki rolled her eyes at Wu Yin and sighed. Those so-called scholars in Academy City, what they did to the aptitude users or test subjects is even worse than what Flandre-chan did to them. I've been watching them since I was a child because of my mind control ability. Wu Yin went silent. Indeed, the darkness in Academy City is too thick. Shokuho Misaki, with her mind control ability, is probably the one who's experienced the darkness the most in Academy City. Whether it's her own experience or someone else's memories, seeing Wu Yan's expression, Shokuho Misaki laughed and said, Era, are you feeling sorry for me, little Yin? Shokuho Misaki's teasing tone caused Wu Yan's repressed expression to crumble. The heaviness in his heart also dissipated. He rolled his eyes at Shokuho Misaki before replying in an annoyed tone. I was, but not now. Shokuho Misaki immediately leaned on Wu Yan and wrapped her arms around Wu Yan's neck. Don't be like that, I like to see you feeling sorry for me. Wu Yan's eyebrows twitched and the corner of his mouth twitched. You like it when I feel sorry for you? Shokuho Misaki giggled and suddenly asked Wu Yan out of curiosity. Little Yin, when are we leaving this place and going to that spalier world? I'm really curious about that place. Wu Yan shook his head helplessly. Jisama, what's there to be curious about another world? Of course I'm curious. Shokuho Misaki said with a bit of dissatisfaction. You said Misaka Mikoto would use that place as a stage, don't you think she can do it? Wu Yan clutched his head and laughed. So it's because of Mikoto. So, when is it? Well, if you're in such a hurry, then we'll have to see if a certain someone is willing to cooperate. Wu Yan's wine-red eyes shot out like an arrow and landed on a lowly girl who was trying to tiptoe out of the room. She froze in her tracks just as she was about to take a step forward. She's Kinuhata Sai. For some reason, after Chuju, Mikoto, Ikaros, and Astria left, Kinuhata Sai's body trembled. She had a bad feeling about this and the alarm in her head went off. Girls tend to have an inexplicable trust towards their own sixth sense. Thus, Kinuhata Sai decisively followed her heart's guidance and started to sneak out. But in the end, Kinuhata Sai didn't manage to escape. At the same time, Kinuhata Sai's alarm went off like crazy. Without hesitation, Kinuhata Sai sprinted out of the room. But soon, she felt that her running feet were already in the air. Kinuhata Sai fell into despair. She struggled with all her might and shouted, Super, let go of me, you super pervert. Wu Yan grinned when he heard that. Kinuhata girl, you won't be able to escape today. Ignoring Kinuhata Sai's struggle, Wu Yan grabbed Kinuhata Sai by the back of her collar and walked into the room. Seeing this, Frenda patted her chest in relief. But then she remembered that she was pushed down a long time ago. Takitsubu Riku stared blankly at Kinuhata Sai being dragged into the room. She realized what was going to happen next and her face turned red. Chapter 292. Shokuho Misaki, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku stared blankly at Kinuhata Sai being dragged into the room by Wu Yan. It wasn't until the sound of the door slamming shut that the three girls in the living room finally reacted. With Shokuho Misaki, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku's brains, plus the way things have developed, they can easily guess what Wu Yan is planning to do with Kinuhata Sai. Speaking of which, if you bring a girl into your room, even if you say there's nothing going on, no one will believe you." Shokuho Misaki gritted her teeth and snorted coldly as if venting her anger, but she didn't say anything. Seeing Wu Yan bringing a girl into his room right in front of her made her feel a little uncomfortable. But based on what Wu Yan said before, Shokuho Misaki can guess that leaving this world has something to do with what Wu Yan is planning to do. Shokuho Misaki couldn't help but think to herself, could it be that in order to leave this world, one must use the method of pushing someone down? That means a pair of starry eyes turned to Frenda and to Kitsubu Riku. Shokuho Misaki's pupils turned as if she had thought of something. Suddenly, a hint of slyness flashed across her eyes. Even the corners of her mouth curled up into a smile. Frenda and Takitsubu Riku, who have been watching Wu Yen and Kinuhata Sai enter the room, suddenly felt a chill run down their spine. It's as if a cheetah has its eyes on them. Their faces twitched and they started looking around for the source of the chill. At the same time, the source of the chill, Shokuho Misaki secretly smiled. She glanced at Frenda and Takitsubu Riku, then at Mikoto's room. She quietly took out a remote control and pointed it at Frenda and Takitsubu Riku. On the other side, Wu Yan's room. "Don't come over here. Let me tell you, I'm super awesome." Kinuhata Sai slowly shrunk deeper into the bed, and as Wu Yan got closer, she also shrunk deeper into the bed. Kinuhata Sai's little heart was beating rapidly, and her face was filled with panic. She could only helplessly put on an "I'm very fierce" expression, staring at Wu Yan while saying some weak words. When Wu Yan heard Kinuhata Sai's words, he couldn't help but laugh. Even his footsteps stopped. Looking at Kinuhata Sai, who was shrinking into the bed, Wu Yan shook his head, crossed his arms and looked at Kinuhata Sai with a smile. Kinuhata Sai also stopped and looked at Wu Yan suspiciously. According to her understanding of Wu Yan shouldn't be someone who would let go of such a threat. Could it be that this fellow had suddenly found his conscience? When such a thought appeared in Kinuhata Sai's mind, Wu Yan laughed loudly, and pounced on Kinuhata Sai like a wolf hunting for its prey. Kinuhata Sai was shocked, she screamed and retreated, but it was already too late. Wu Yan accurately pounced on Kinuhata Sai's delicate body, and pushed her onto the bed. A thick manly scent assaulted Kinuhata Sai's face, and her body also gained a weight that was much heavier than her, but unexpectedly she was able to withstand the weight with her small body, causing Kinuhata Sai to be stunned. "Super, let go of me." Kinuhata Sai screamed in panic, but unfortunately just as she started screaming, her hands were grabbed by the person on top of her, and with a twist, her hands were above her. "Help! Super, help! Frenda! Takitsubo! Super, come and save me!" Sensing that she was being restrained, the panic in Kinuhata Sai's heart became even more intense. In her panic, Kinuhata Sai could only use her womanly instincts to scream for help. If it was any other time, this might work, since Chuju, Mikoto, and the others would not appear when they heard someone screaming for help from their room. But at this moment, Mikoto was hiding in her room and Chuju, Astria, and the others were also hiding in Mikoto's room. For the time being, they wouldn't be able to hear Kinuhata Sai's cries for help. If Kinuhata Sai continued to scream, she would eventually be rescued, but would Wu Yan allow her to continue screaming? Licking his lips, Wu Yan laughed out loud. He bent down and his lips met with Kinuhata Sai's little mouth. The rest of her words were blocked back in her throat. Kinuhata Sai's eyes widened, she was crying in her heart. This is the second time I was forcefully kissed by this despicable wolf on top of me. It's a pity that the heavens gave me such a cute appearance and body, but today, it's going to be taken away by this wolf. While Kinuhata Sai's mind was in a mess, Wu Yan's tongue had already broken through Kinuhata Sai's tightly clenched teeth. With an unstoppable force, he captured Kinuhata Sai's little tongue. Thus, the two tongues that have seen each other before started tangling with each other. The pleasure of their tongues intertwining quickly entered Kinuhata Sai's mind. Although Kinuhata Sai was young, her heart that had experienced countless B-grade movies started to tremble. Her eyes started to water up. Kinuhata Sai almost lost herself in the pleasure of that passionate kiss. Realizing that her body was starting to heat up, Kinuhata Sai hardened her heart and decided to bite down on Wu Yan's tongue that was moving freely in her mouth. However, at the next moment, Kinuhata Sai's teeth that were about to bite down suddenly lost all strength due to Kinuhata Sai's expression. The reason is that unbeknownst to her, Wu Yan's big hand had already passed through Kinuhata Sai's clothes and started to pinch her soft and small breasts. Wu Yan's hand that was supposed to be holding both of Kinuhata Sai's hands was now left with only one. With one hand holding both of Kinuhata Sai's hands tightly together, the other hand can naturally do whatever he wants. Woo 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 woo. Feeling her breasts being pinched rhythmically by a hand, Kinuhata Sayai's pupils dilated again, her eyes started to water up again, her face started to blush, her mouth started to make the same rhythmic moans as the hand that's pinching her breasts. It's very cute and moving. Even Wu Yan, who has already tasted the taste of a lowly girl, couldn't help but feel a ripple in his heart. Frenda as a lowly has a sweet appearance and a cute personality, she exudes the taste of cuteness everywhere. Wu Yan really enjoyed it. As for Kinuhata Sayai, compared to Frenda who knows how to act cute, this lowly has a different taste when tasting her. This made Wu Yan's evil heart start to beat with eagerness. Especially Kinuhata Sayai, she also has a pair of beautiful legs. In the morning he pushed down the queen, blonde and huge-breast Shokuho Misaki, now he's going to push down another lowly. Even Wu Yan felt that he's being evil. Of course it's only for a while. As for his evil actions today, Wu Yan didn't feel that there's anything wrong with it. In fact, he felt that today is his lucky day. Papa, Wu Yan loves to play. Thus, Wu Yan, who's gradually getting dissatisfied, immediately let go of Kinuhata Sayai's little bunny that he's holding. Kinuhata Sayai couldn't help but sigh in relief. But this sigh of relief didn't last long before it's lifted up again. Letting go doesn't mean letting go. If one isn't enough, then let's go with two. What a simple thought. And it's this simple thought that made Wu Yan's hands start to fondle and knead Kinuhata Sayai's little bunnies back and forth, kneading them into various shapes. Kinuhata Sayai's bones have completely melted. Even if she doesn't want to admit it, Kinuhata Sayai has to admit that Wu Yan's technique is too skillful. At this moment, she's starting to feel something, her body started to heat up, Kinuhata Sayai's eyes started to blur, the strength of her struggle started to weaken, all the strength in her body has been gathered into her mouth, used to moan. At this moment, Wu Yan's hand has already pulled out from Kinuhata Sayai's clothes and started to target her clothes. Chapter 293. Under Kinuhata Sayai's weak resistance and unyielding whimpers of protest, Kinuhata Sayai's unchanging hoodie and shorts were taken away from her petite body not too long after. The clothes were casually thrown under the bed by Wu Yan. At this moment, Kinuhata Sayai has turned into a naked little lamb in front of Wu Yan. That petite body of a lowly did not diminish the lust in Wu Yan's heart. After all, even if it's a lowly, Kinuhata Sayai's body has an unusual charm. Smooth and beautiful thighs, smooth and supple skin, as well as a delicate fragrance that assails the nostrils, all of these are seductive luster from this petite body. Feeling the chill on her body, Kinuhata Sayai understood her current situation. She was so embarrassed that she wanted to die. This is also the second time Kinuhata Sayai exposed her body in front of a man. Kinuhata Sayai wanted to raise her hands to block in front of her chest to block Wu Yan's invasive gaze. However, before she could do anything, Wu Yan seemed to have seen through her intentions. With a pa sound, he grabbed her hands and pressed them on both sides of Kinuhata Sayai's head. Wu, you despicable bastard. Even though she knows that no matter what she says, the big bad wolf on top of her will not let her go, Kinuhata Sayai still couldn't help but cry out. Wu Yan admired Kinuhata Sayai's petite body that he hasn't seen for a long time. Then he looked at Kinuhata Sayai's eyes and laughed. Kinuhata girl, are you still thinking of resisting? It's useless, it's better to give up. How about this, I'll be gentler from now on. Hearing this, Kinuhata Sayai stubbornly stared at Wu Yan and shouted. How can I not resist? I'm being pushed by a super strong force. If I don't resist, doesn't that mean I'm being pushed by a super strong force? Wu Yan's expression turned awkward. You know that you're being pushed by a super strong force, yet you still have the time to explain? Kinuhata Sayai was stunned for a moment before nodding her head in realization. Alright. I'm being pushed by a super strong force right now, I don't have time to explain. After saying that, Kinuhata Sayai looked at Wu Yan suspiciously. You're still talking about me? Aren't you also doing the same thing? You even have the time to chat with the girl you're trying to force yourself on? Wu Yan was also stunned. After an "oh," he said, oh that's right. I'm in the middle of a forceful push, but I still have the mood to chat. Following the conversation between the two, the scene fell into a strange silence. Only the two of them were left staring at each other. Their expressions were very interesting. To be able to have such a conversation in the middle of a forceful push, it was really amazing. After a long time, Wu Yan suddenly said to Kinuhata Sayai, I say, are you trying to use unreliable dialogue to get away with this? Kinuhata Sayai's expression froze, her eyes started to turn resentful. Her reaction was no doubt telling Wu Yan that she was trying to get away with it. Wu Yan's mouth twitched. He suddenly reached out and pressed Kinuhata Sayai's small breasts. He started to pinch them with all his might, causing Kinuhata Sayai's expression to change, and she started to moan. "Ah, let go of me." This time, Wu Yan ignored Kinuhata Sayai's cries and started to focus on Kinuhata Sayai's small body. He even stuck out his tongue and started to tease Kinuhata Sayai's small body. MMM. Kinuhata Sayai has never experienced such a situation before. She couldn't help but tighten her body and bite her lips. She felt that as Wu Yan's tongue continued to lick her body started to feel strange. A strange yet familiar feeling started to emerge from the depths of Kinuhata Sayai's body. The reason why it's strange yet familiar is because Kinuhata Sayai has only felt this once before. This feeling, it's the same feeling she felt after being defeated by Wu Yan and being trained by him. Under the control of this strange yet familiar feeling, Kinuhata Sayai reacted without hesitation. His hand lightly brushed across Kinuhata Sayai's smooth thighs. Feeling that it's about time, Wu Yan smiled excitedly. He waved his hand, and in the next second, his tightly wrapped clothes flew away. From the speed, it's clear that Wu Yan's undressing skills have reached an unimaginable level. When the great spear appeared in front of Kinuhata Sayai started to panic. In her panic, Kinuhata Sayai couldn't help but scream. Using an unknown strength, she pushed Wu Yan away and turned around to crawl to the other side. After crawling a few steps, Kinuhata Sayai felt that she couldn't crawl anymore, because her small waist was grabbed by Wu Yan's two large hands. At the same time, Kinuhata Sayai also felt a hard sensation pressing against her small buttocks. Knowing that she can't escape anymore, Kinuhata Sayai couldn't help but let out a final whimper. Her heart is crying. "Goodbye, my lovely youth." Following Kinuhata Sayai's whimper, Wu Yan also shrugged his waist, allowing Kinuhata Sayai to let out another whimper. But this time it should be a scream of pain. Why is it so painful? Kinuhata Sayai's pair of small eyebrows are deeply furrowed, her mouth is letting out a painful moan. Her body is also tensed up, she doesn't dare to move anymore. From this, it can be seen how much pain Kinuhata Sayai is in. Trying her best to hold back the tears that are about to reach her eyes, Kinuhata Sayai bit her lips to prevent herself from crying. Kinuhata Sayai's stubborn personality doesn't allow herself to cry because of pain. The pain came so quickly, but it didn't go so quickly. After all, Kinuhata Sayai is only a 12-year-old girl. Feeling the pain in her body, Kinuhata Sayai kept trying to hypnotize herself. "I don't feel pain. I don't feel pain. I don't feel pain." Hearing Kinuhata Sayai's soft and painful moans, Wu Yan couldn't help but laugh and shake his head. He didn't want to feel how good it is right now. He leaned on Kinuhata Sayai's back and whispered into her ear. "If it's painful, it's better to cry out, it'll heal faster that way." Hearing that, Kinuhata Sayai's murmuring mouth paused, she glared fiercely at Wu Yan and started sobbing. "You despicable super pervert, you ked me and now you're saying such sarcastic words." Wu Yan grinned sheepishly and shut his mouth. Indeed, saying something like that at a time like this feels a bit like making sarcastic remarks. However, after being teased by Wu Yan, Kinuhata Sayai felt the pain in her body lessen by quite a bit. Her tightly furrowed eyebrows also loosened up. However, in the next moment, a sudden sense of emptiness made her face stiffen again. The fatal sense of emptiness made Kinuhata Sayai start to wish for Wu Yan to do something. She wanted to open her mouth, but she suddenly remembered that she was the one who was forced to do it. How can she open her mouth? Thus, Kinuhata Sayai started to feel conflicted. If Wu Yan knew what Kinuhata Sayai was thinking, Wu Yan would definitely feel conflicted too. What kind of situation is this? You still have the time to think about such things. Could it be that your hidden nature is off the line? However, even though Wu Yan didn't know what Kinuhata Sayai was thinking, he himself couldn't hold it in any longer. Not to mention the problem of whether others can hold it in or not, he directly pounded the conflicted Kinuhata Sayai into a daze. A long moan came from Kinuhata Sayai, who was still conflicted a second ago. Kinuhata Sayai was overjoyed because that fatal sense of emptiness has been alleviated by Wu Yan's actions. And this long groan is also the signal to start the battle. After the long groan, the sound of flesh colliding, accompanied by loud and small groans, began to resound. Chapter 294. Hugging Kinuhata Sayai's soft body, listening to Kinuhata Sayai's soft moans, smelling Kinuhata Sayai's sweaty scent, enjoying every part of Kinuhata Sayai's body, Wu Yan moved his body and closed his eyes in satisfaction. In the entire space, Wu Yan's two favorite sounds echoed. One is the most pleasant moans from the girl's mouth, the other is the slapping sounds from the thrusting of the body. No matter how long he listens to it, Wu Yan feels that he can't get enough of it. Wu Yan is feeling one thing, Kinuhata Sai is feeling another. She heard her own sounds, Wu Yan felt pleasure but she felt embarrassed. She also heard the sounds of the thrusting of the body. When Wu Yan felt pleasure she also felt pleasure, but she was also gritting her teeth. Kinuhata Sai isn't as shameless as Wu Yan. As a girl, even if Kinuhata Sai is a bit tough, she would still feel embarrassed. Kinuhata Sai couldn't believe that such sounds would come out of her mouth. Kinuhata Sai kept trying to stop her sounds, but with Wu Yan's thrusting, the electric current that came from the deepest part of her body made her unable to control her mouth. In the end, she couldn't stop moaning. Kinuhata Sai almost lost her soul when she experienced the feeling of love for the first time. Her rationality has already left her brain. At this moment, Kinuhata Sai feels that she is no longer herself. However, Kinuhata Sai didn't deny it at this moment. She is indeed the most comfortable. However, Kinuhata Sai also didn't try to hide her embarrassment. Her face is red, half of it is because of the pleasure, the other half is because of the shame. Kinuhata Sai has never hated her helplessness like today. Being abducted, Kinuhata Sai can accept it. Being pushed, Kinuhata Sai can accept it. But this embarrassing position, Kinuhata Sai can't accept it no matter what. Lying on the bed, Kinuhata Sai's hands subconsciously grabbed onto the blanket. Looking at the blanket in front of her and feeling the impact on her back, Kinuhata Sai's heart was once again filled with tears. Can we make a deal? Let's change positions. This sentence, Kinuhata Sai wanted to say it countless times, but every time it reached her throat, it would be squeezed away by a moan. In the end, Kinuhata Sai maintained this embarrassing position for almost half an hour. She was also embarrassed for almost half an hour. Even though Kinuhata Sai no longer had any sense of rationality in her mind, she still retained her sense of shame. Thus, under the influence of this shame, Kinuhata Sai quickly exploded. After letting out a long cry, Kinuhata Sai's nerves also snapped, her skin flushed crimson red. Kinuhata Sai lost the last bit of strength she had to support herself and collapsed on the ground, unable to get up anymore. Wu Yan furrowed his brows and sighed helplessly. His expression is one of exasperation for not living up to his expectations. Grumbling in his heart, Wu Yan followed Kinuhata Sai's collapsed body and laid on top of her, using his body to tell Kinuhata Sai. He is still not satisfied. In Kinuhata Sai's eyes, the little bit of consciousness that had just returned to her, upon sensing Wu Yan's actions, a trace of panic flashed across her eyes. Before she could say anything, Wu Yan once again entered her body and made her sing. At this moment, in this space, other than the sound of Kinuhata Sai's moans and the sound of the bed colliding against each other, there was finally another sound, and that was the sound of the bed being unable to bear the weight. This sound undoubtedly added to the fun, causing Wu Yan's movements to become even more violent. This also caused Kinuhata Sai to feel hatred. This bed is too weak. Very soon, Kinuhata Sai was also unable to bear the weight like the bed. She let out a long whimper, her body tensed up again. Kinuhata Sai welcomed her second climax of the day. However, just like before she could catch her breath, Kinuhata Sai was once again manipulated by Wu Yan. Kinuhata Sai was completely flustered. Her pair of eyes were filled with endless tears. She looked at Wu Yan charmingly and moaned, You're still going. As for the question of, are you going to come or not? Wu Yan answered her straightforwardly, following the movement of his body. Help. 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 For the nth time, Kinuhata Sai's heart was filled with tears. In the past, she was still full of confidence in her endurance. After all, in order to complement her nitrogen armor ability, Kinuhata Sai trained her body quite a bit. But this time, under the actions of the beast behind her, Kinuhata Sai felt that her previous confidence was nothing in front of this guy. Indeed, no matter how much Kinuhata Sai trained in terms of physical strength compared to the true ancestor, she is nothing but trash. Thus, in the midst of Kinuhata Sai's soft moans and begging for mercy, a new battle started once again. Kinuhata Sai could only close her eyes and silently pray, My body is no longer youthful, I hope you can persevere. Suddenly, in this space where there were only 3 sounds, another sound rang out. However, it was different from the previous 3 sounds. This sound was very short, but it attracted the attention of Lei Feng and Lei Feng. Because that's the sound of the room door being opened. Subconsciously stopping their movements, Wu Yan and the panting Kinuhata Sai reflexively looked towards the door. With one look, both of them were stunned. Frenda. To Kitsubo. Kinuhata Sayai's exclamation revealed the reason why the door was opened. However, this reason caused the two of them who were still in the most intimate position to be stunned. Frenda and Takitsubu Riku stood at the door and stared at the two of them. Their expressions didn't change at all, as if the other party wasn't doing something shameful but was playing a game of chess. The two of them who were in a daze didn't notice that Frenda and Takitsubu Riku's eyes have lost their luster. Kinuhata Sayai was the first to react. Looking at her two best friends standing at the door, Kinuhata Sayai's face instantly turned red. The shame in her heart suddenly exploded. Yuwa! Letting out a loud cry, Kinuhata Sayai covered her face with both hands. Her body started to twist and turn, trying to escape from Wu Yan's control. Her embarrassed and angry voice came out from the gaps between her fingers. You, Frenda, Takitsubu, don't look, super don't look. Kinuhata Sayai's voice didn't manage to get Frenda and Takitsubu Riku to leave. Instead it woke Wu Yan up. Wu Yan, who came back to his senses, stared blankly at Frenda and Takitsubu Riku, who were standing at the door. Feeling his own desire on Kinuhata Sayai's body, Wu Yan's heart actually burst with excitement. And so Wu Yan *******. His body became erect. All of Kinuhata Sayai's shame turned into moans. Kinuhata Sayai couldn't believe that her body started to move again. She almost cried. Sure enough, this guy is a super *******. Unable to stop moaning, Kinuhata Sayai couldn't bear to imagine herself at this moment. She only knows that she's done for. She won't dare to show her face to anyone anymore. However, Kinuhata Sayai didn't expect that in the end, the one who doesn't dare to show her face isn't her, but Frenda and Takitsubu Riku, who barged into this loving little red room. The familiar sound of the door closing rang again. Wu Yan's movement stopped once more. Kinuhata Sayai, who didn't know what happened, also opened her fingers and looked over. In the end, the scene that entered their eyes made the man and woman stunned again. Frenda and Takitsubu Riku didn't leave. Instead, they closed the door and entered the room. That's not all. The two women stared blankly at Wu Yan and Kinuhata Sayai. Then, in front of Wu Yan and Kinuhata Sayai's gaze, they started to take off their clothes. Kinuhata Sayai was stunned, so was Wu Yan. At the same time, he was also stunned. Could it be that today is the day to break the record? Flying 3? Chapter 295. As a petite figure that is smaller than Kinuhata Sayai and a voluptuous figure appeared in front of Wu Yan and Kinuhata Sayai's eyes, they finally realized. This time it's too late. This isn't the first time Wu Yan has seen these three figures in their nude state. Not only that, he's seen them in this state almost every day. Those three photos of Kinuhata Sayai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku are still in his space ring. He takes them out to admire them twice a day. However, this is the second time he is seeing them in real life. This time it's much more exciting than the previous time. After all, the previous time he was just taking advantage of her, but this time, Kinuhata Sayai is still underneath him. Kinuhata Sayai felt that all the surprises in her life had been used up today. Her worldview had been completely destroyed in just one day. Looking at her two best friends walking towards her after taking off all their clothes, Kinuhata Sayai's mind was in a complete mess. Wait. Super wait for me. Kinuhata Sayai squeezed out all the energy she had stored up for tomorrow. Like a dying flash of light, she bounced up from her bed, giving Wu Yan a fright. However, Kinuhata Sayai didn't have the heart to care about Wu Yan. Seeing that Frenda and Takitsubu Riku were not listening to her and were slowly walking towards them, Kinuhata Sayai was on the verge of breaking down. She screamed hysterically. What are you guys super doing? Do you guys super know what you are doing? You guys are super crazy. Kinuhata Sayai is only one step away from adding a nitrogen armor to her fist and giving herself a punch. Seeing Frenda and Takitsubu Riku stripping naked and walking towards the two who are having papapa, anyone would think that they are going to participate in this. Even if logic tells Kinuhata Sayai that with her two best friends, such a thing is impossible, absolutely impossible. But looking at the current situation, she has no choice but to believe it. Super wait for me, did you guys not hear me? As the two girls continued to approach as if they didn't hear anything, Kinuhata Sayai finally broke down. With her two small fists covered in nitrogen armor, Kinuhata Sayai's exhausted body actually jumped up from the bed as though she was possessed by King Kong Hercules. Kinuhata Sayai only wanted to use her ability to destroy everything in front of her, to relieve her current bad mood. However, before she could jump halfway, she was directly carried into the arms of a certain evil wolf who was scheming. As her body was pulled into his embrace, Kinuhata Sai subconsciously punched him. However, in the next second, her fist trembled as all her strength was sucked out. Enwu, Kinuhata Sai's eyes widened as she felt that familiar hard object once again break through her barrier and enter her body. Kinuhata Sai cried, "Wu, what time is it now?" "You're still?" Kinuhata Sai didn't get to finish her sentence because her petite body was being tossed around by Wu Yen at a speed never seen in her entire life. And Kinuhata Sai was on the verge of swallowing the last bit of life she had left. Doing pa-pa-pa with someone else in front of her best friend was so exciting. Kinuhata Sai had never thought that she would be treated like this one day. On the other hand, Wu Yen was completely immersed in his excitement. If it was the usual Wu Yen, he might be able to see something from Frenda and Takitsubu Riku's actions. But right now Wu Yen is in the middle of his lovemaking. Thus, Wu Yen's IQ dropped without limit. Tossing her petite body, Wu Yen looked at Frenda and Takitsubu Riku who were already in front of him. He reached out an arm, hugged Frenda's petite body and pulled her down. "No. I can't," Kinuhata Sai screamed with all her might, begging, "Wu, like this. Really? I can't." Ignoring Kinuhata Sai's pleading, Wu Yen continued tossing Kinuhata Sai's body with one hand while caressing Frenda's body with the other. Soon, Frenda's body started to blush. After caressing Frenda's perky butt, Wu Yen placed Kinuhata Sai on top of her. Ignoring Kinuhata Sai's body, he placed Frenda's body on top of Kinuhata Sai's, overlapping them. What are you trying to do?" Kinuhata Sai's eyes started to lose focus. She already guessed Wu Yan's plan, but it's because she guessed it that Kinuhata Sai asked. She couldn't believe it, she couldn't believe that her first time turned out to be so exciting. When Frenda's body was on top of her, Kinuhata Sai's mind went blank. She subconsciously hugged Frenda. Kinuhata Sai wanted to scold Frenda, but Wu Yan's relentless thrust stopped her from doing so. Looking at Frenda's face, Kinuhata Sai finally realized that Frenda's eyes were devoid of any light. Realizing that this matter isn't as simple as it seems, Kinuhata Sai grabbed onto Wu Yen like a life-saving straw, hoping that he would listen to her. But this is another hopeless wish. With a long thrust, Wu Yen entered Frenda who was on top of Kinuhata Sai. Frenda, who was moving around like a doll, let out a whimper. After that whimper, Frenda's blue eyes finally regained some light. But if possible, Frenda would rather not recover. Frenda has been maintaining her consciousness, but for some reason she couldn't control her body. In her mind, she watched herself and Takitsubu Riku being naked and entering this forbidden place. Frenda only had one thought in her mind, and that is, "I should just die." This thought, when Frenda saw herself being carried by Wu Yen and placed on top of Kinuhata Sai's body, it became even more intense. Realizing what was going to happen in the next second, in the last second before she could no longer control her body, Frenda let out a hateful cry from the depths of her heart. "Shokuho Misaki. I hate you." In the next second, Frenda felt her body being forcefully penetrated, then she regained control of her body, her blue eyes regained some light and met with Kinuhata Sai's eyes. The two of them stared at each other, but the expression in their eyes was one of shame and anger. The sudden divine opening made Wu Yan's face as wide as a hippopotamus. A satisfied smile hung on his face. Wu Yan looked at the two lowly girls lying in front of him, he almost couldn't hold back his laughter. "How long has it been since I last had this kind of treatment? Sure enough, being a transmigrator is so satisfying." One moment Frenda, the next Kinuhata Sai, Wu Yan didn't want to talk anymore, and in fact he really didn't want to talk anymore. Wu Yan just wanted to enjoy himself before he leaves this world. Although he used to enjoy himself almost every day, today he enjoyed himself a lot. The two lowly girls who were looking at each other helplessly started moaning in front of each other. They were so close to each other that they started moaning in front of each other. Kinuhata Sai and Frenda both had an expression of wanting to cry, but no tears came out. Too embarrassed to look at each other, they could only close their eyes. However, after moaning, the fragrance from their mouths still hit each other's faces, telling them that this is all real. Just like that, Frenda and Kinuhata Sai started living the most unbearable day in their hearts, including Takitsubu Riku, who is still standing on the side. She still hasn't broken free from the control, but she still has her own consciousness and witnessed everything with her own eyes. Chapter 296. Heavy, very heavy. This was the first thought that flashed through Wu Yan's mind after he lifted Takitsubu Riku's breasts. "It's as heavy as Ikaros, it's as heavy as Shokuho Xian, but it's different from Ikaros and Shokuho Xian's. Wu Yen couldn't quite wrap his head around this strange feeling, he's also surprised by it. What kind of person is Wu Yen now? To put it simply, Wu Yen is no longer human. After all, he is now a true ancestor. In addition to the strong vitality and recovery ability of a true ancestor, they also have a very prominent characteristic. That is their physical strength. This is to be expected. After all, a true ancestor is in existence at the top of the life chain. How can their physical strength be weak? It might be a bit of an exaggeration to say that he can split mountains and earth, but that's it. With this kind of strength, although lifting a pair of breasts is abnormal, it is undoubtedly a world of difference compared to the so-called splitting mountains and earth. It actually made Wu Yen feel heavy. Wu Yen also knows that this weight is different from normal weight. But this doesn't stop Wu Yen from liking this pair of breasts. Takitsubu Riku still has a blank look on her face. Of course, this is only on the surface. In the depths of her heart, the consciousness that saw her being teased by Wu Yen is extremely embarrassed. If Takitsubu Riku could still control her body, her face would be completely red by now. Shame is an understatement to describe the current situation. Takitsubu Riku is one of them, Kinohata Sayai and Frenda who are still lying on top of each other under Wu Yan's body are the other two. Things have already developed to this point. Whether it is Kinohata Sayai or Frenda, they have already accepted their fate and threw away all the emotions in their hearts to endure everything that Wu Yan has brought to them. The result of this is that Kinohata Sayai, who has already reached her peak many times, is now lying on the ground like a dead pig. As for Frenda, although she came later, her situation is similar. After all, no matter how strong she is still just a lowly. After pushing Frenda to her limit again, Wu Yen took a deep breath to suppress the restlessness in his heart. Listening to Frenda's long moans, he gently placed her beside the exhausted Kinohata Sayai. At the same time, he tightened his grip on Takitsubu Riku's breasts. Takitsubu Riku didn't react at all, as if she didn't care about Wu Yan's actions. However, within those dead eyes, a layer of ripples suddenly bloomed. Her skin slowly turned red, proving that Takitsubu Riku isn't completely emotionless. Of course Takitsubu Riku can feel it. Although she has lost control of her body, her senses are still there. Taking a glance at Kinohata Sayai and Frenda who are panting like dead dogs, Takitsubu Riku's heart is filled with an inexplicable sense of fear and anticipation. Just like Kinohata Sayai and Frenda, Takitsubu Riku knew from the day she was kidnapped by Wu Yen that this day would come sooner or later. With Wu Yan's personality, Takitsubu Riku even thought that this day came a little late. Before this, she always thought that Wu Yen would eat them on the first day of their arrival. She didn't expect this day to be delayed. Takitsubu Riku couldn't help but wonder if Wu Yen wanted them from Yujino Shizuri not because he wanted to eat them like Kinohata Sayai said, but because he had other motives? If Takitsubu Riku knew that among the three of them, Frenda was eaten on the first night, she wouldn't think this way, and now, this day has finally come. Although it was a result of someone with ulterior motives, Takitsubu Riku can't help but feel a little hopeful towards something like this. After all, back then, Takitsubu Riku was different from Kinohata Sayai and Frenda. When she followed Wu Yen, Kinohata Sayai was half forced and Frenda was half threatened. The reason why she was half forced and half threatened was because of Kinohata Sayai and Frenda. Frenda was a little too timid, but if Kinohata Sayai really didn't want to follow Wu Yen, then even if Wu Yen was serious she wouldn't have compromised. It can only be said that after that day at the lab, everything that Wu Yen did to Kinohata Sayai and Frenda has left a faint shadow in their hearts, just like Takitsubu Riku. After all, before this they were still pure and innocent girls. That's why under Wu Yan's half-forced and half-threatened situation, the two girls subconsciously didn't resist. They just wanted to give it a try, and were basically abducted. But Takitsubu Riku is the only one among the three who volunteered. Compared to Kinohata Sayai and Frenda, who can only leave a faint shadow, Takitsubu Riku left a deep impression in her heart. Especially after the incident with Kakin Taidaku, her impression of Wu Yen exploded. That's why she volunteered. It's just that, as a normal girl, Takitsubu Riku is still a little scared of her first time. When Wu Yen hugged Takitsubu Riku and pressured her with his great spear, this fear intensified. Takitsubu Riku wanted to say something but her body is being controlled, she can't move. Seeing that the great spear is about to reach the city gate, Takitsubu Riku couldn't help but shout the exact same words that Frenda shouted in her heart. Shokuho Shin. I hate you. The moment he finished his thought, a puchi sound was heard as well. A soft groan came out from Takitsubu Riku's mouth. At the same time, it means that she has regained control of her body. Her eyes that have regained their vigor stared at Wu Yan's face. Takitsubu Riku clenched her teeth and endured the pain. But her deeply furrowed brows let Wu Yan know that it's not that she doesn't feel pain. Grabbing Wu Yan's shoulders tightly with both hands and wrapping her legs around Wu Yan's waist, Takitsubu Riku softly moaned and said softly, "Please. Please be gentler." Wu Yan put on a hearty smile, causing Takitsubu Riku's heart to thump. At the same time, Kinohata Sai and Frenda, who have regained some of their strength, wanted to punch that evil smiling face. Takitsubu Riku's eyes were blinded, so she couldn't see Wu Yan's intention. But Kinohata Sai and Frenda saw through it. That's obviously a proud smile. After happily licking Takitsubu Riku's breast that Wu Yan couldn't stop praising, Wu Yan held one of Takitsubu Riku's breasts with one hand and her breasts with the other. Then he began the action that he did the most today. Takitsubu Riku's moans were released by Wu Yan's actions. Not long after, Kinohata Sai and Frenda's moans followed suit. In this space, it's like a symphony causing ripples in the air. Outside the door, Shokuho Exian's face blushed as she listened to the sounds coming from the room. After all, she sang the same song this morning. Listening to the three different voices, Shokuho Exian's eyes flashed with embarrassment and anger. Based on her understanding of Wu Yan, these three girls are definitely being targeted by him. Shokuho Exian's only wish is for that day to come earlier. Sighing softly, Shokuho Exian's eyes were filled with anger as she said softly, "You got off too easy." The more she thought about it, the more she felt it wasn't worth it. At the same time, she was pissed at herself. What the hell is wrong with her to care about something like this? Her starry eyes looked towards Mikoto's room. She rolled her eyes, a sly glint flashed in her eyes. Her lips curled into a cold smile. "No, I can't let that bastard get away so easily. At least, I can't let him get away so easily." Chapter 297. Academy City, School District 7, Wu Yan's home. The room that had been filled with intimate sounds for the entire day was now completely silent except for a few light panting sounds. Wu Yan is lying straight on his pillow with a face like a spring breeze. It's easy to see how comfortable Wu Yan is right now. Kinohata Sai's petite body is lying behind him. Frenda is lying on Wu Yan's left side while Takitsubu Riku, who has the best figure, is being hugged by Wu Yan and placed on top of him. This scene tells everyone what happened here. Feeling Takitsubu Riku's soft breasts pressing against his chest, even if Wu Yan doesn't smoke, he can't help but want to light one up. It's only now that Wu Yan recalled what happened with Ripple, he felt that something was wrong. Towards Frenda and Takitsubu Riku's previous behavior. Whether it's what he saw on the screen or what he got to know about the two girls during this period of time, Wu Yan has a feeling that the two girls wouldn't do something like him naked and willingly join Ripple's battle. With their personalities, they wouldn't do such a thing. Just by thinking about Frenda and Takitsubu Riku's previous behavior and the situation in this room, you can understand what's going on. After all, Wu Yan isn't a bulldozer that doesn't know how to use his brain, you are. It's because he thought of the reason for this that Wu Yan was stunned. It can't be, right? With Her Majesty's personality, would she help me expand the Crystal Palace? That's impossible, she's Her Majesty. Wu Yan thought he understood Shokuhu Sasuke very well, but he didn't think that if Shokuhu Sasuke could see through his little scheme, with her personality, it's not impossible for her to do something like this. And when something like this happens, it means that Her Majesty is going to scam someone. Wu Yan didn't expect this, that's why he ended up in tragedy. Wu Yan didn't want to think about it since he can't figure out why. He just kept this matter in his heart and decided to ask Shokuho Exian about it. Wu Yan shook his head, closed his eyes and fell asleep. At the same time, in another room, Chuju, Mikoto, Astria, Shokuho Xin, and Ikaros, who was hugging a sleeping Flandre-chan, slowly walked out. The girls had different expressions on their faces. Astria's face was filled with embarrassment and anger. Ikaros's face was expressionless. Chuju and Mikoto had their heads lowered. Only Shokuho Xin had a faint smile on her face. Everyone's gaze landed on the same room after they walked out of the room. That room is Wu Yan's room. Chuju and Mikoto looked around the living room. When they didn't see Wu Yan, Kinohata Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku, their faces darkened even more. A dense aura surrounded them. Even Astria took a few steps back in fear. The room was silent. After a while, Chuju and Mikoto took the lead and walked towards Wu Yan's room. Astria, Ikaros, and Shokuho Xin followed behind. When Wu Yan's consciousness returned to his head, Wu Yan let out a light sigh. He opened his eyes and sat up from his bed. After a good night's sleep, Wu Yan felt his bones going soft. Stretching lazily, Wu Yan's sleepy eyes slowly regained their usual vigor. However, when Wu Yan saw the scene in front of him, he froze on the spot. His entire body stiffened like a rock. His pair of wine-red eyes were in a state of stupor. Looking at the scene in his room, Wu Yan thought he was dreaming. Chuju and Mikoto, one on the left and one on the right, stood in front of his bed. They were looking at him with a faint sneer on their face. Their eyes were burning with rage. Astria looked at Wu Yan like she's looking at a scumbag. Ikaros didn't know what to do with Wu Yan, who just woke up. She wanted to say something but she couldn't. She lowered her head and hugged Flandre-chan's sleeping body. Shokuho Sasuke had a smile in her eyes as if she's watching something interesting. Wu Yan shuddered. Kinuhata Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku left their beds at some point in time. They're all neatly dressed but they're standing behind the group without saying a word. Only Wu Yan could see that Kinuhata Sai and Frenda were looking at Wu Yan with an inexplicable expression. They seemed to be taking pleasure in his misfortune. Takitsubu Riku looked at Wu Yan as if she was mourning for him. Her eyes were filled with pity. Wu Yan's expression changed rapidly as he looked at the different expressions of the women in front of him. Sometimes it was green, sometimes it was white, sometimes it was red, sometimes it was as dark as the bottom of a pot. It was complicated to the extreme. His heart felt like it was being trampled by 100 million alpacas. That heart of his was just a second ago was trampled on like a piece of scrap metal. There are no words in this world that can describe what he's feeling right now. Suddenly Chuju smiled. Her smile was bright and beautiful. Looking at that smile, Wu Yan's heart skipped a beat. "Hey Yan," Chuju looked at Wu Yan and said with a smile. "I remember you exchanged for a true ancestor bloodline and transformed yourself into a true ancestor vampire, right?" Wu Yan felt a sense of danger in his heart. Wu Yan almost ran away. Wu Yan resisted the urge to run and forced a smile. "Haha, yeah, what's wrong?" This time it's Mikoto's turn to smile. With a sweet smile on her face, Mikoto casually said something that made Wu Yan fall into complete despair. "Ha, that's great. This way no matter how I play with you, you won't break." As soon as she said that, the electricity started to flow around Mikoto's body. At the same time, small cherry blossoms started to appear out of thin air and curl around Hinajiku's palm. Looking at the scene in front of him, Wu Yan fell silent. Wu Yan, who has guessed the situation, pretty much knows that begging for mercy has become a luxury. Thus, he could only lower his head and close his eyes as if accepting his fate. Raising his head, Wu Yan raised his voice and yelled out the final line of this world that is the most classic line ever uttered in this world. What a misfortune! What followed was a thick blue-white lightning and a crystal sword that cut through the atmosphere. Astria, Ikaros, Kinuhata Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku all left the room. 3 of them returned to their rooms satisfied with Mikoto's misfortune. 2 of them couldn't bear to watch any longer, so they left. After a while, Hinajiku and Mikoto angrily left the room that was filled with the smell that made them blush. They didn't even close the door and left. Only Wu Yan was left sitting on the bed with a gloomy face. Although he was not injured at all, from his wine-red eyes that were filled with sorrow, it could be seen that the experience just now was definitely unforgettable. As a true ancestor, Wu Yan was both lucky and unlucky. At the very least, there were some unforgettable memories that were deeply engraved in his mind. Shokuho Miyabi giggled as she walked up to Wu Yan. She lightly touched his face with her white-gloved hand. "The Crystal Palace isn't that easy to open. You have to restrain yourself in the future. Dear, love," looking at the sweet smile on the face of the queen who caused his surname to be Fu, and caused his tragedy, Wu Yan's heart was filled with tears. You're tuning in to the Han Lee's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.